Chapter 1121 Finally seeing He Fan's true inheritance. This upper extreme heavenly eagle is an immemorial desolate beast, no wonder it gives off such an abnormal feeling. If we are going to attack him, we will need to deal with the eagle first. Did you forget what he said? Other than this eagle, he also has other ancient desolate beasts. Is he an enslavement path GU immortal? If he is an enslavement path GU immortal, he would be easier to deal with. This path is vulnerable to direct attacks. Even if he is an immortal, we are also GU immortals. That might not work. Don't be hasty, we will see on Immortal Succession Mountain. Even up until the immortals arrived at Immortal Succession Mountain, some GU immortals were still talking about the upper extreme heavenly eagle. This was not strange. An immemorial desolate beast which had rank 8 battle strength upon maturity, this news was a shock to the immortals. Fang Yuan listened to their words, but he still showed a calm and composed expression. There were no flaws in his acting. Unwittingly, the immortals' guesses of him had already distorted from reality. Fang Yuan was happy to see this. The more wrong things they assumed, the greater his advantage. If he was really treated as an enslavement path GU immortal, then they would get to see the power of a transformation path and strength path GU immortal. Conversely, during the conversation, Fang Yuan continued to probe and obtained a lot of precious intelligence. These GU immortals seem to have been isolated from the world for too long. They are not good at confrontations or dealing with people. Not just in terms of words, they are not as crafty as GU immortals outside. I could easily probe their background. They have barely any shrewdness, and their methods are outdated. All in all, these GU immortals are split into two groups. One is led by old immortal Chen Kai. The 4 GU immortals are related by bloodline. The other group are the 3 blood-sworn immortals. They are Zhou Min, Zheng Tuo, and Feng Jun. They actually have a blood path leader. The final 2 are loners. As expected, they do not work with the groups. Fang Yuan snickered internally. Places with people will have competition for benefits. He Fan Grotto Heaven was no exception. But evidently, the conflict here was small and low level. The GU immortals were not skilled at competing against one another. It truly paled in comparison to Northern Plains. And most importantly, these GU immortals had very little knowledge. Fang Yuan had already probed. These GU immortals could not get into Treasure Yellow Heaven, or rather, they did not even know about its existence. But, look at their identities, they were descendants of criminals. It made sense that old ancestor He Fan prevented them from connecting to Treasure Yellow Heaven. If they could connect to Treasure Yellow Heaven, it would be different. Not only would they have updated methods, they would be able to trade and gain knowledge. Even without trading, they would grow in experience. It would be an immense growth. Immortal Succession Mountain was a tall, lone mountain. It was not a famous mountain or river. It had 10 levels, getting smaller towards the top. There was evident signs of man-made design in it. Around the mountain were forests that had lots of resources in them. Fang Yuan was quite amazed. Even though He Fan Grotto Heaven was isolated from the world, it had no calamities and tribulations, and because it could not connect to Treasure Yellow Heaven, the resources inside were truly too rich from generations of accumulation. The immortals followed the brass bell heavenly spirit, landing in the single stone pavilion near the mountain peak. The stone pavilion was very simple in structure, but even though it was just a pavilion, it had a grand atmosphere. The pavilion was supported by 8 thick pillars. There was a stone tablet in the pavilion that was eye-catching. The stone tablet was huge like an elephant. It took up almost all of the space in the pavilion. There were words carved on it. The brass bell heavenly spirit entered the stone pavilion, hanging on a pillar of the stone pavilion. There was a hook there. It stopped moving after getting into position. Old immortal Chen Kai said, "Superior immortal, you have just arrived. You must have many questions. Look at this stone tablet. It will answer a lot of your questions." Fang Yuan was prepared. He looked at it patiently. A while later, he finally understood everything. It turned out that back then, He Fan's most beloved granddaughter, He Feng Yu, had vanished, along with Attitude GU. He Fan lost his precious granddaughter, but there was nothing he could do. His lifespan was almost expended. He could only place his immortal aperture down and absorb the immemorial Azure Heaven fragment, losing his freedom. The few He tribe GU immortals who could not take care of her were locked in He Fan Grotto Heaven. Not only was their freedom taken away, their immortal apertures were even taken out and fused into He Fan Grotto Heaven. This way, He Fan Grotto Heaven became even bigger. Before He Fan absorbed the fragment of immemorial Azure Heaven, he had already made his arrangements, leaving behind his true inheritance in the heavenly crystal eagle nest. But he could not stop thinking about his granddaughter. He wanted his descendants to look for her. Thus, he added an additional step. That was the aura of Attitude GU which was needed. From his perspective, even if he did not show up, with He tribe's power at that time, they could definitely find He Fengyu's location and get back attitude Gu. But in truth, he was too optimistic. Or rather, because of kinship, he refused to accept the truth. He felt that He Fengyu was still very likely alive. Because of his miscalculation, He Fan's true inheritance went uninherited for all this time, until now, after Feng Yuan disguised himself and opened the heavenly crystal eagle nest. This had to be considered an error by old ancestor He Fan. But he was a rank 8 great expert after all. Before his death, he sensed this error as well. He thought, if nobody from the main tribe inherits his true inheritance, what would happen? If that happened, either He tribe would be wiped out or become weakened, without any worthy descendants. What He Fan thought of was, in that case, he might as well prepare another batch, and let the people in the grotto heaven inherit his true inheritance, passing it down in that way. They had He tribe's bloodline after all. Thus, after setting up the heavenly crystal eagle nest, before his death, He Fan added a new rule to his true inheritance. He set a timing. Several hundred years later, if nobody from the main tribe obtains his true inheritance, then the descendants in the grotto heaven would be allowed to roam Immortal Succession Mountain and find their own opportunities. This was stated in the tablet. Old ancestor He Fan left behind his key true inheritance on Immortal Succession Mountain. He set up a lot of smaller inheritances as well before his lifespan ran out. The other He tribe criminal immortals cried and grieved. They felt that they let him down. They died together with him. But before dying, they imitated He Fan and left behind their stone tablet inheritances on Immortal Succession Mountain. Their true inheritances were hidden inside. The He tribe members who were in northern plains were searching for attitude Gu, but there was nothing they could find. Time passed. The time limit that old ancestor He Fan set had long since elapsed. Thus, in He Fan Grotto Heaven, Immortal Succession Mountain was opened up to the mortals to explore. As a result, Gu immortals started appearing in He Fan Grotto Heaven. However, even though these mortals could compete for He Fan's true inheritance, it was too difficult to explore Immortal Succession Mountain. Although many mortals obtained the true inheritances, and a portion of them became Gu immortals, there had never been anyone who got to the mountain peak and obtained the first true inheritance. According to the stone tablet, if the person who obtains the first true inheritance becomes a Gu immortal, they would be the owner of He Fan Grotto Heaven. They would have the authority to forgive the sins of these criminal immortals. They would regain freedom and return to He tribe. But before this, no matter how many generations had gone by, they could not have the He surname. They could only have other names. It would remind them of their identities as criminals. After reading the contents of the stone tablet, Feng Yuan finally understood. The confusion inside him was lifted. No wonder these Gu immortals have such complex expressions and emotions towards me. They have both kind and ill intentions at the same time. Feng Yuan thought about it from their perspective. If it were him, he would be having even more complex feelings. According to He Fan's rules, the time limit was over, so be it the He tribe main immortals or these criminal immortals, they were qualified to vie for He Fan's true inheritance. These immortals had been enthusiastically raising descendants to obtain He Fan's true inheritance, to open up the grotto heaven and regain freedom. As for these Gu immortals, they had already obtained other inheritances. They were not qualified to compete for He Fan's true inheritance. Thus, the Gu immortals in He Fan Grotto Heaven did not have much conflict normally. They lived quite peacefully. Originally, they did not think that anyone from the main tribe would come. After all, it had been so long, but nobody came. With Feng Yuan's sudden appearance, their preconceptions were broken. And because of the rules on the stone tablet, they had to go welcome him, even though they were against his arrival and mentally not prepared. From their perspective, He Fan's true inheritance belonged to them already. As long as they continued to nurture descendants, one day, someone would ascend the mountain peak and obtain He Fan's true inheritance. Thus, they did not want to see Feng Yuan's arrival, but they had no choice but to follow the rules. The heavenly spirit might be mindless, but He Fan had considered this before dying. Even though it was rather unreliable, it still firmly carried on He Fan's will after his death. And He Fan still had one method of restriction. Becoming a Gu immortal would have calamities and tribulations. Whenever they are unable to pass the tribulations, these Gu immortals would come to Immortal Succession Mountain and ask the heavenly spirit for help. The heavenly spirit would use the immortal Gu in the first tablet's true inheritance to stall their calamities and tribulations. Even though they could be safe for the moment, they would be under the heavenly spirit's control. The heavenly spirit only had to use a certain method in the true inheritance to remove the method of stalling calamities and tribulations, causing them to die. Many GU immortals were able to pass the calamities and tribulations early on, but they did not know about Treasure Yellow Heaven. Even though Heifan Grotto Heaven had a lot of resources, there was a limit to its variety. These GU immortals' cultivation needs could not be fulfilled. Thus, after many calamities and tribulations, when they got stronger, these GU immortals were gradually unable to pass them. Eventually, they had no choice but to seek help from the Heavenly Spirit. They all fell into Heifan's trap and became controlled by the Heavenly Spirit. Even though Heifan had died for many years, he still had great control over Heifan Grotto Heaven as a result. Old Ancestor Heifan, as expected and worthy of the champion that led He tribe to its most glorious era. Even after he died, he still had complete control of Heifan Grotto Heaven. These GU immortals all revere him. But what this tablet states might not be too factual. Hey, I don't believe that those criminal immortals were willing to die together with Old Ancestor Heifan. Evidently, regardless of their wishes, Heifan still acted in this ruthless and cruel manner. He is truly praiseworthy. If they were allowed to live, Heifan Grotto Heaven might have been broken through from the inside already. Thoughts flashed past his mind rapidly. Feng Yuan's gaze retracted from the stone tablet. He slowly raised his head to look at the brass bell Heavenly Spirit. He asked, "Then, what should I do to obtain this true inheritance?" Once he said that, the other GU immortals held their breaths and concentrated, looking over with concerned gazes. Chapter 11:22, Troublesome Final Test. The stone tablet in the pavilion stated, be it a main tribe member brought over by the Heavenly Spirit or a criminal immortal who ascended the mountain, they had one final, most important test before inheriting Heifan's true inheritance. But the contents of this final test were not written on the stone tablet. They had to ask the Heavenly Spirit. The Heavenly Spirit was mindless, but remembered Heifan's instructions. Thus, Feng Yuan asked it. Soon, the immortals heard the brass bell Heavenly Spirit shake, creating a long and loud sound. When the sound vibrated off the pillars, there were changes to the tablet. At the end of the original content, new lines were appearing. The immortals gasped upon seeing it. This says that Heifan Grotto Heaven is the true inheritance itself. Whoever obtains the true inheritance becomes Heifan Grotto Heaven's owner. But to obtain Heifan's true inheritance, there is one final test. It is actually this. No wonder Old Ancestor Heifan set a rule that if the inheritor appears, all of us need to go and welcome him. Old Ancestor is magnanimous. He planned meticulously. Even though we are criminals, he had never forgotten us. He is still concerned about us descendants. The immortals discussed. They felt admiration towards Old Ancestor Heifan. Some had red eyes as they almost cried. Feng Yuan looked at the new information. He was frowning. His expression had turned heavy. The contents clearly told him what the test was. As long as I pass the final test, I can obtain Heifan's true inheritance. But what is this? It wants me to obtain the votes of half of the GU immortals inside Heifan Grotto Heaven. And I must complete it within 3 years in the Grotto Heaven's time. Feng Yuan shook his head. Old Ancestor Heifan's final test was out of his expectations. Evidently, he was siding with the GU immortals inside Heifan Grotto Heaven. As an outsider, it was very difficult for Feng Yuan to obtain their support. But Feng Yuan soon reacted. He understood Heifan's intentions. Old Ancestor Heifan set the rules to encourage his inheritor to take in these GU immortals within Heifan Grotto Heaven. After all, GU immortals were hard to nurture. By taking them in, it would benefit He tribe greatly. Thus, this not only tested the inheritor's abilities, their interpersonal skills were also tested, whether they could be a skilled leader to unite others or not. Heifan was using his true inheritance to choose a leader for He tribe. He was not just looking for a GU immortal expert. Old fellow, you are already dead. Why are you considering so many things? It is so troublesome. Feng Yuan thought, but on the surface, he sighed as he spoke in heartfelt fashion. Ancestor Heifan was thinking for He tribe the entire time. He put in so much effort. As a descendant, I am deeply moved. Yes, yes, the immortals heard his words and responded. Originally, these GU immortals were feeling very worried. After all, if Feng Yuan obtained Heifan's true inheritance, they did not know what would happen to criminal immortals like themselves. But now, with Old Ancestor Heifan's arrangement, their welfare was assured. Feng Yuan kept his moved expression as he turned around. Standing before the stone tablet, facing the immortals in the pavilion, he asked, then how can I obtain all of your support? As Feng Yuan had expected, what he obtained was silence. Times were different now. Initially, they were wary of him, but now, Feng Yuan needed to get half of the GU immortals' recognition. In that case, the situation was reversed. It was completely different. The immortals looked at each other. Nobody spoke. Only their gaze towards Fang Yuan changed. Earlier, they were cautious and tried to express kindness while concealing their ill intent, but now, they had distant gazes, they got on their high horses and thought about it internally. Fang Yuan was not rushed, he stood on the spot, waiting for their reply. After a while of silence, the most experienced and oldest Gu Immortal, Chen Kai, could not hold it in anymore. He coughed. Today's matters progressed too quickly, we are simply unprepared for it. Sigh, maybe I am getting old, all this thinking is making my head hurt, I cannot process it yet. Superior Immortal, you must have had a long journey to reach here and are tired, right? Why don't you go take a rest first and relax, we can think about this later. This old fox. Fang Yuan snickered internally. Old Immortal Chen Qi's words were well received by the Gu Immortals present, they answered him with great enthusiasm. They were fragmented earlier, but now, it looked like they were united, dealing with the outsider Fang Yuan together. However, so what if I agree to your stalling? Fang Yuan had expected them to respond in that manner. His expression did not change, he nodded and said reluctantly, Immortal Chen Kai, you have a point. Chen Kai showed a smile of victory, but soon he concealed it. My accommodations are crude, but we have some tea for you. If you do not mind, it would be my great honor to accommodate you. Chen Kai invited warmly, but he did not give a clear reply to Fang Yuan's words. Fang Yuan smiled in a reluctant manner, nodding, I will trouble you in that case. He called it crude, but old Immortal Chen Kai was naturally just being humble. His accommodations were not crude at all, instead, they were very elegant and grand. A number of palaces sat on top of a mountain peak. This mountain seemed to be man-made, the top was flat, palaces were erected all over it, there were golden bricks and green tiles, with many beautifully crafted pillars. Chen Kai and his Gu Immortal subordinates lived here. Not just them, a large number of Gu masters and mortals as well. These are all my descendants, please excuse them, Superior Immortal. At my age, I enjoy having descendants and nurturing them. Chen Kai explained. Fang Yuan nodded. This shows that you are someone who values relationships. Chen Kai looked at Fang Yuan with deep meaning. Who would not like people who values relationships and loyalty? Ha ha ha. Fang Yuan laughed too. Seeing Chen Kai and Fang Yuan talking so harmoniously, the other three Gu Immortals had relaxed emotions. Just like this, Fang Yuan stayed here for the time being. Strangely, since the first day, Chen Kai had not shown himself again, and did not meet with Fang Yuan again. Fang Yuan was not anxious, he waited patiently. 4 days later, in the palaces, Fang Yuan and Chenla strolled in the long walkways. Chenla was one of the female immortals, she had long hair in 2 buns and a bubbly nature. In terms of bloodline, she was old Immortal Chen Qi's great-granddaughter. Young Master He Cheng, look at that lotus, I love its color. Chenla pointed at the lotus pond and smiled. This walkway was quite special, it crossed over the entire lotus pond. There were lotuses inside the lotus pond of all colors, they were floating aimlessly, it was a beautiful sight. These last days, even though old Immortal Chen Kai did not meet with Fang Yuan, Chenla was keeping him company to look at all the scenic sights in the palaces. This yellow lotus is cute, pure and innocent, it really suits you, Lure. Fang Yuan smiled. Chenla lowered her head, she was embarrassed, she said faintly, Young master, what are you saying? Lure was just happy from seeing these flowers. I feel very happy seeing you as well, Lure. Fang Yuan smiled as he extended his arms, holding Lure's hands. Chen Li's body shook, she subconsciously wanted to get free, but Fang Yuan's hands were holding her tightly. Chen Li's face was bright red, even with her Gu Immortal cultivation level, her brain was in chaos, she struggled as she murmured, Young master, you. Fang Yuan took a step forward, his body almost completely touching Chenla. Chenla quickly moved back, because her body was unstable, she fell backwards. Fang Yuan held her in his arms as she fell. Be careful, don't fall. His gentle voice entered Chen Li's ears. When Chenla reacted, she was already lying in Fang Yuan's arms. Chenla raised her head, she saw Fang Yuan, who was smiling with a hint of cheekiness in his gaze. Chenla was extremely embarrassed, she punched Fang Yuan's chest softly. Young master, you are too naughty, you bullied me. Saying this, she struggled out of Fang Yuan's embrace. Fang Yuan gasped, he took a step back, showing intense pain on his face. Chenla quickly moved forward, asking him with deep concern, Young master, how are you? Fang Yuan breathed in deeply, to speak the truth. Not long ago, I engaged in a fierce battle. It is not easy to inherit He Fan true inheritance. Many GU immortals in the tribe are not willing to see it happen. So you are injured, why didn't you tell me? Chenla stomped her feet, her embarrassment was gone, she looked at Fang Yuan's chest as she asked, does it still hurt? It is a small injury, it is no issue. But with higher cultivation level, my Dao marks are deeper, the injuries I suffered are more severe. Fang Yuan smiled, before shifting the topic. However, your great-grandfather refined GU and suffered injuries, he is in a similar state as me, right? Otherwise, why would he not meet me for the last few days? Panic flashed across Chen Li's eyes, she stammered and tried to respond to Fang Yuan. Old Immortal Chen Kai could not refuse to meet Fang Yuan without any reason, thus, the excuse he gave was that he had suffered a backlash from GU refinement failure, his injuries were severe and he could not meet guests. Of course, at this timing, how could he suddenly get injured from refining GU? Both parties knew the reason, they did not speak it. On that night, the 4 GU immortals including Chen Kai engaged in a secret discussion. Chenla reported, Ancestor, young Master He Cheng asked me about your injury today. Oh, he finally lost his patience huh, Chen Kai smiled. Thankfully, I managed to conceal it, he was not suspicious. But as time passes, I am afraid, Chenla was worried. The other 3 GU immortals looked at each other, smiling. Chenla was well protected by her family, she was unhardened and innocent, she did not know that Fang Yuan knew about it clearly. The fact that he asked about Chen Qi's injuries was a subtle reminder. The male GU immortal Chen Liji thought for a moment before saying, it seems that we have to talk to this He Cheng properly. Chapter 1123. What is this Gu's name? Old Immortal Chen Kai shook his head, he said with an unmoved expression, so what if we wait a few more days? There is no rush. Chen Liji said worriedly, he understands the situation, if we drag this out, he might get annoyed. If he is forced away and goes to Zheng Tuo's side, it would be troublesome. Little G, don't worry. Chen Kai smiled, analyzing, the final test of the true inheritance requires half of the GU immortals in Heifan Grotto Heaven to support He Cheng. Right now in Heifan Grotto Heaven, disregarding He Cheng himself, there are 9 GU immortals. We have 4 people on our side, we are nearly half of the total. This is a huge quantity, as long as he gets our support, he would already be one step from winning. As long as he gets one more person's vote, he would succeed. There is no way he did not consider this. Even if he gives up on our side and go to the other GU immortals, he would face trouble. The situation is different now, he is an outsider, if he wants our support, he has to give up some benefits, he needs to put up something for our gain. Moreover, those 3, Zheng Tuo and the others, are more ambitious. Chen Liji did not speak, instead, Chen Huanyun said, Old Ancestor, actually, I have an idea. If He Cheng cannot get half of the GU immortals' votes, wouldn't he fail? As long as Heifan true inheritance remains on Immortal Succession Mountain, one day, our descendants would ascend to the top and obtain it, right? We have been guarding Heifan's true inheritance for countless generations, even old ancestor Heifan gave us the rights to vie for it, are we really going to give it to an outsider? He Cheng is not an outsider, he is from the main tribe. Chenla rebuked. Lure, don't forget, the main tribe is enjoying freedom and glory in the outside world. As for us, we have been trapped here for generations, suffering in torment. Chen Huanyun said grimly. Chenla had a bitter expression, she stopped talking. Chen Kai shook his head. Yun I had considered your words long ago, this would not work. Firstly, it is extremely difficult for mortals to ascend Immortal Succession Mountain, even if we nurture them and a lucky person shows up, when would they finally inherit the true inheritance? Decades, centuries, nobody knows. Secondly, even though He Cheng is alone, don't forget about the He tribesmen behind him, there are a huge number of He tribe GU immortals. If he fails, that is only his personal failure. He tribe's GU immortals are going to continue coming here. By then, can we stop them all? Are we going to stop all of the main tribe's GU immortal? Can we, other than the 4 of us, can Zheng Tuo and the rest be trusted? These GU immortals in Heifan Grotto Heaven did not know about Treasure Yellow Heaven, after so many years and generations, they could not connect to Treasure Yellow Heaven. Thus, they had no idea what happened to He tribe. Fang Yuan lied and concealed the truth, he easily deceived these GU immortals, running around them in circles. Chen Qi's words made the rest of the immortals' expressions change. Chenla added, that's right, today, young Master He Cheng told me that it was a tough process to defeat those He tribe GU immortals and obtain victory. Even until now, he is still injured. Chen Kai nodded, continuing to analyze. He Cheng was able to emerge victorious. He is not ordinary at all. He has rank 7 cultivation level, and the upper extreme heavenly eagle with him. He has great prospects. If we help him now, it would be giving him timely assistance. When we return to the main tribe, we will have a firm foundation under him. Wouldn't that be great? However, we are not going to help him without any rewards. He has to pay a price. If he does not give up some benefits, he would not cherish our help. He would not feel gratitude towards us. Old ancestor is right, Chen Liji said. We will not go wrong listening to ancestor. Chen Le smiled. Chen Kai sighed eerily. He looked at the 3 GU immortals, saying with deep emotions, I am old, my lifespan is almost up. I only want you descendants to live better in the future. When I go into the door of life and death, I will rest in peace. Ancestor, don't say things like that, you will definitely live a long time. Chen Li's eyes turned red. Chen Liji said firmly, Ancestor, don't forget about lifespan GU. To obtain our support, that He Cheng has to give us something. Lifespan GU is definitely one of our conditions. Chen Qi's eyes flashed deeply. He looked at Chen Le. Forget about lifespan GU, at the very least, we need to make sure Le fulfills her wish, and gets together with her lover. Chen Li's face was flushed red with embarrassment. She stood up as she stomped her feet. Ancestor, you are making fun of me again. Ha ha ha. In the secret room, laughter was echoing. At the same time, Fang Yuan stood on the garden of his accommodation, raising his head towards the night sky. This Heifan Grotto heaven had a clear day and night. Daytime was long, while nighttime was short. This was something that only happened in Grotto heavens. Blessed lands usually did not have day and night. Heifan Grotto heaven's night sky had no stars, but the darkness was not pitch black. If one looked closely, it had azure color. A cool wind blew. Fang Yuan's arms were behind his back. He looked at the sky as he sorted out the information that he had obtained recently. These last days, he had been interacting with Chen Le, obtaining a lot of precious information from this gullible girl. He had clear and extensive knowledge regarding Heifan Grotto heaven and the GU immortals inside it. Moreover, he had developed his ideas regarding Heifan true inheritance further. It is almost time. In just 2 days, the time will be ripe. Fang Yuan thought. Cold light flashed across his eyes, shining deeply. 2 days went by in an instant. It was noon. Bright sunlight radiated in the palace, making it extremely lively. Winds blew, birds chirped. It was a beautiful sight. From outside Chen Qi's room, Fang Yuan's voice could be heard. I came here without informing you. I hope you can forgive me. He finally lost his patience. But he already waited for quite some time. Chen Kai was not surprised. The entire group of palaces was a huge mortal GU house. Fang Yuan's actions were all under his observation. The door opened on its own. Chen Kai sat on his bed, half lying down. He said weakly, Esteemed guest, you are here, but I am unable to get up and attend to you. Fang Yuan quickly walked in, standing in front of the bed, saying worriedly, It seems that you are heavily injured. You are a rule path GU immortal. After considering deeply, I thought of a way to lighten your injuries. Chen Kai had no injuries. Superior immortal, I am grateful for your concern, but my injury is not something that can be healed easily. Fang Yuan smiled. Friend, you might not know, my immortal killer move is a signature method of our tribe. Even though the core immortal GU is still in the tribe, I know the content of the killer move. I will pass this immortal killer move to you. You can change the core and it might help with your injuries. How can I accept this great gift? Chen Kai quickly rejected. Fang Yuan said warmly. I feel like we are close friends. These last few days, I have been imposing on all of you. The killer move will be my gift in return. Superior immortal, this gift is simply too valuable. Chen Kai continued to reject it. Fang Yuan's expression changed. His tone became very worried. How can an immortal killer move express my true sincerity? Oh, honestly speaking, this Heifan true inheritance's final test is troubling me greatly. I hope you can give me some advice. Chen Kai heard this and his eyes shined. He understood Fang Yuan's words. He was here to exchange benefits for support. Chen Kai subconsciously sat up, saying, In my humble opinion, this matter is like refining GU. When refining GU, the fire is very important. It has to be large at times, and small at other times. We have to deal with important matters more patiently. Hee, I am ashamed. I have a lot of interest in GU refinement, so I spouted nonsense. Please ignore me. This was not nonsense, it was simply bullshit. As a rule path GU immortal, why are you so interested in refinement path? But Fang Yuan knew what he was trying to say. He smiled. The main tribe has countless books on refinement path. As long as I obtain the true inheritance, I will be able to grant everyone freedom. When you return to the main tribe, these books will all be accessible to you. And I have collected a number of refinement path methods and GU recipes as well. When I succeed, I can give them all to you, why not? Chen Kai nodded, showing a pleased expression. But he quickly said, I love refinement path, it is truly a time-wasting hobby. But my nephew Chen Li Ji is an enslavement path GU immortal, he is so envious of your upper extreme heavenly eagle. Fang Yuan's expression sank. There is only one upper extreme heavenly eagle, it cannot be given away. But there are a lot of iron crown eagles in the main tribe, they are famous in northern plains. I can assure that everyone will get one once we return. Chen Qi's joy flashed on his face, he sighed. In the past, old ancestor He Fan suppressed Chao tribe, it was to obtain their secret of raising eagles. To think that after so many years, they had already developed to this extent. But our ancestors were criminals, when we return to the main tribe, what circumstances will we face? I am truly worried. No need to worry, I can assure that everyone will be very welcomed back in He tribe, after all, your return means that the tribe becomes stronger as well. Fang Yuan paused before saying, as for the crime, it occurred so many generations ago, once I get the true inheritance, I will spare everyone. You have all defended He Fan Grotto Heaven for so many years, your merits outweigh your crimes, and because you also helped me obtain the true inheritance when I return to the main tribe, I will uphold justice for everyone. Chen Kai smiled. Superior Immortal, you are a dragon among men, an absolute genius, your words are truly reliable, after hearing this, I am somewhat assured. I thank you for your trust. We all have He tribe's bloodline, we are one family. However, as for the other immortals outside, it will depend on their performance. Fang Yuan vaguely suggested. His meaning was, first come first serve, whoever supports him first will gain greater benefits when they return to the main tribe. Chen Kai nodded, he was a sly fox, he naturally understood what Fang Yuan meant. He smiled. Superior Immortal, your words are truly enlightening, they are amazing. Especially the word family, it is so apt. Saying so, he looked at Fang Yuan, seeing his slight smile, he felt deeper confidence, he asked, what do you think of little La? Fang Yuan's smile faded, he answered, intelligent and eloquent, innocent and lively, she is very attractive. I will not lie to you, Le is secretly in love with you. Sigh, it is a pity. Superior Immortal, you are such a talented person, how could she match you? Sigh, as her ancestor, I am unable to fulfill her wish. I only hope that Le, this poor child, is able to forget about Superior Immortal and find her own happiness in the future. Chen Le sighed. Fang Yuan no longer smiled, he frowned as he considered, before saying solemnly, I will not lie to you either, I am in love with Chen Le, I am willing to marry her as my wife. If he really loved her, he should be yelling happily in excitement, he would not show a solemn expression after considering it. But Chen Kai ignored it completely, as if he could not understand it. Fang Yuan snickered internally, he could understand why. This Chen Kai kept saying he was thinking for his descendants' future, but was that true? He was sacrificing Chen Le to gain his own benefits. Chen Kai laughed loudly. Fang Yuan's reply was very satisfactory to him, even though he said it reluctantly. He went overboard, his smile vanished, he sighed deeply. Sigh, it is a pity that my lifespan is running out, I will not be able to attend you and Le's wedding. Fang Yuan instantly understood, this old fellow was asking for lifespan GU. His expression turned grim, he stopped smiling, he said dryly, that's not the case at all, in my opinion, you are truly hale and hearty, your appetite is truly great. Old Immortal Chen Kai chuckled as he looked at Fang Yuan directly, he showed a determined expression that was not backing off. I am truly ashamed, actually, I am a very greedy person, not only do I want to attend the wedding of Superior Immortal and Le, I also want to see the children that you have after getting married. After all, those are my descendants as well. Fang Yuan began to prance around, his eyebrows were tightly pursed, he said directly, lifespan GU are hard to find, they are very precious, I am unable to give them away. This treasure from heaven is truly hard to obtain. Old Immortal Chen Kai nodded, as if he had expected Fang Yuan's reply already, he continued, but there is no need to worry. I'll let you know, this He Fan Grotto Heaven also produces lifespan GU, they are all gathered and collected. The heavenly spirit might be mindless, but old ancestor He Fan had his arrangements. If I am not wrong, there are definitely lifespan GU within He Fan's true inheritance. I sigh, I only need 300 years worth of lifespan GU. 300 years. Fang Yuan stared at Chen Kai angrily. Chen Kai was still smiling comfortably. Fang Yuan turned furious. 300 is too much, I don't even have a single one. I will only give 100. 150. Chen Kai bargained, he finally put down his act. Fang Yuan walked for a few more rounds, gritting his teeth. Forget it, I will give you 150. Deal. Chen Kai clapped, smiling widely and happily, he stopped caring about his face. After all, this was more than 100 years of lifespan, how could a bit of face compare to it? Chen Kai looked at Fang Yuan, smiling even more deeply now. Superior Immortal, I heard from Lur that you have a lot of Immortal GU, I wonder if you can let me have a look to broaden my horizons. Fang Yuan was stunned before flying into a rage, he gritted his teeth at Chen Kai. This old fellow was too greedy, he said he wanted to take a look, but the truth was, he wanted Fang Yuan to use an Immortal GU to exchange for his support. Chen Kai saw Fang Yuan turning furious and his heart jumped, but soon, he thought that this was a rare chance, there would be no opportunities like this again. After they returned to the main tribe, would this occur again? Thus, he quickly said, Superior Immortal, this is my final request, as long as I get it, the four of us will definitely support you. Fang Yuan began prancing again. He took heavy steps, as if the concrete floor had an unresolvable deep enmity with him. Chen Kai observed his expression, seeing that Fang Yuan's anger was fading and he was actually thinking about it, he let down his guard. He felt great joy inside him, success. As expected, after a moment, Fang Yuan stopped his movements, he stood in front of the bed with an Immortal GU in his hand. Rank 7 Immortal GU. Chen Kai shouted, feeling surprised and joyful. This is a Sword Path Immortal GU, it is not compatible with me, otherwise, you would never see this. Fang Yuan said angrily. What is this Gu's name? Chen Qi's eyes were shining, he watched as Fang Yuan handed the GU over to him. Wait, I'll exchange with this one instead. Fang Yuan suddenly changed his mind, he retracted his arm as he took out another GU from his immortal aperture. Chen Qi's gaze subconsciously moved to Fang Yuan's other arm. No sooner said than done. The Sword Path Immortal GU activated. Sword Path Killer Move, Dark Assassination. Chen Kai was staring blankly, the bloody mark left on his forehead enlarged as blood started to spew out from the front and back of his head. He was dead. Chapter 1124, Dark Assassination. With Chen Qi's death, all the palaces started shaking. The group of palaces were all mortal GU houses, they were under old immortal Chen Qi's control. But Fang Yuan came prepared, at his will, he activated arrangements that were prepared long ago. At once, the tremors of the palaces settled down and did not continue. This was one of Fang Yuan's preparations these last days. Mortal GU houses were nothing special to GU immortals. Unless it was regarding an immortal GU house, but how could these GU immortals inside Heifan Grotto Heaven have that? Heifan was ruthless, before he died, he killed all of the criminal He tribe GU immortals. The inheritances left behind were naturally lacking some crucial information, there was no way they contained information about immortal GU houses. And with just these GU immortals inside Heifan Grotto Heaven, there was little hope of them creating an immortal GU house. Furthermore, even though the palaces were huge and grand, the methods used were too old. Fang Yuan could easily unravel them. Old immortal Chen Kai letting him stay here for such a long time was a huge mistake. These GU immortals in Heifan Grotto Heaven have lived in peace for too long, without great struggle and competition to spur on progress, they have basically no alertness. Fang Yuan looked at old immortal Chen Qi's corpse, snickering in disdain. Chen Kai died with his eyes wide open, he was still in shock, Fang Yuan had attacked too quickly, he could not even react to show fear. Fang Yuan confirmed that Chen Kai was dead, before keeping him inside the sovereign immortal aperture. Next, he used familiar face, turning into old immortal Chen Qi's appearance and leaving the room, walking out openly. Greetings to old ancestor. Greetings to old ancestor. Along the way, Fang Yuan met many GU masters and mortals of all genders and age. After seeing Fang Yuan, they knelt down, expressing their most respectful greetings. Every time, Fang Yuan activated his GU worms, using a formless force to help them stand up, he asked them some questions in encouragement, these descendants of Chen Kai were extremely grateful to him. They did not know that the real Chen Kai had already been killed by Fang Yuan, they were greeting the culprit. They did not suspect a thing, because this was how old immortal Chen Kai usually acted. Fang Yuan had been toying with Chen Le these last days, he obtained a lot of intel, among which were Chen Qi's habits. Otherwise, with just familiar face, he could only disguise his appearance, he could not alter his actions to fit those of old immortal Chen Kai as well. Fang Yuan walked openly and confidently. After a while, he arrived at a palace. Ancestor, why are you here? Chen Liji heard a disturbance and walked out of the palace, greeting him. He looked at Fang Yuan with much puzzlement. He was not suspecting his identity, of course. Instead, he was thinking, Ancestor was clearly using the excuse of being bedridden currently to delay the meeting with He Chang. Why did he appear in public so openly today, going against the original plan? Little G, that He Chang came to me secretly earlier. We have already finished negotiating. Let's go in, I have a matter to discuss with you. Fang Yuan said slowly. He patted Chen Liji's back. He walked ahead with his arms behind his back. The entire group of palaces were mortal GU houses. But these 3 GU immortals' accommodations respectively belonged to them. On this point, old immortal Chen Kai could not interfere. He could not control the lives of his descendants to this extent, right? Chen Liji heard Fang Yuan's words and his thoughts shifted, his suspicions were lifted. He quickly moved forward, leading the way. Ancestor, please take a seat. He bowed, directing Fang Yuan to his seat. Please have some tea. Soon, he prepared a high-quality tea and handed it over with both hands, having a respectful attitude. After handing over the tea, Chen Liji went down to sit at a lower seat. After drinking the tea, Fang Yuan saw that Chen Liji was seated far from himself. He said, "Oh, little Ji, bring your chair over, sit beside me." Chen Liji was shocked and pleased. He joyfully answered, "Yes, Ancestor. I will stand beside you and listen to your guidance." How could he stand? There was a difference between sitting and standing. When standing, one's muscles were contracted, they could move rapidly. When seated, the body relaxed, even their mental state would be affected, they would let down their guard. Fang Yuan wanted to kill Chen Liji, he had to make ample preparations. Thus, Fang Yuan pretended to be unhappy. "I asked you to move your chair, why are you being so reluctant? I have already talked to He Chang, now, we need to deal with Zheng Tuo's gang. I need to entrust many matters to you. Yun and Le are both women. At the crucial moment, little Ji, you have to handle more responsibilities." Chen Liji had countless thoughts in his mind. He had a feeling of joy after receiving recognition. Yes, he quickly moved his chair, sitting beside Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan saw that the doors were open. He said, "Close the doors, these words are better kept as a secret from outsiders." Chen Liji had no doubts. He followed the instructions. He Chang could not endure it anymore. He came to me. After negotiating with He Chang for a long time, he promised us many benefits. He is very sincere, Fang Yuan said slowly. Chen Liji listened attentively. He wanted to ask what price He Chang paid, but because his ancestor did not mention it, he did not dare to ask. Right now, Fang Yuan started to satisfy his curiosity. He exaggerated the amount somewhat, causing Chen Liji to listen with joy and excitement. He Chang actually offered a rank 7 immortal GU. At the end, Chen Liji gasped. He was truly overjoyed. "Will I lie to you? Take a look." Fang Yuan chuckled, taking out Flying Sword Immortal GU. "Good GU, this is a good GU." Chen Liji quickly praised. "Oh little Ji," Fang Yuan said slowly. Chen Liji immediately raised his head. His ancestor was talking to him, how could he be distracted? At this instance, sword light flashed. Chen Liji was startled, there seemed to be a flash of light just then. Next, he looked at Fang Yuan's hand subconsciously, the Flying Sword Immortal GU there was gone. Why did the GU vanish? Chen Liji was perplexed, but suddenly, he felt his body going weak, there was a warm liquid flowing down his forehead. Suddenly, his world started spinning. He fell onto the ground, kneeling. One of his hands was on the floor supporting himself, while he attempted to grab Fang Yuan's robe with the other, but he did not succeed. Plop! He fell onto the ground, completely dead. Fang Yuan's warm smile vanished, his expression turned icy cold. Doing the same thing as before, Fang Yuan suppressed this palace as well, preventing it from shaking, others could not see any problems. Next, he gathered Chen Liji's corpse and kept it in his immortal aperture. He opened the palace doors and left. There were 2 female GU immortals remaining. Chen Wanyun had greater threat. Fang Yuan's next target was her. "Sister, I finally succeeded in my new move, concealment within." Chen Le smiled and said to Chen Wanyun. "Is that so?" Chen Wanyun heard this and was overjoyed. She looked at Chen Le with an expression of satisfaction. "It seems that our Le is finally working hard. Let me guess, who is the person who motivated you to cultivate this hard?" Chen Wanyun pretended to think. She continued. I think this person has the surname He, and there is only one other word in his full name." Before she finished, Chen Le interrupted. "Sister, stop teasing me. I was very hard-working to begin with, okay. Is that so? Chen Huanyun smiled as she saw Chen Li's shy appearance. She thought, Lure might be innocent and grew up under our protection, but she knows how impressive He Cheng is, thus she is trying to improve herself. I was going to remind her, but it seems that I was worried for nothing. Chen Le could not deal with this glance. She took a step back, vanishing from Chen Huanyun's sight. Sister, I used concealment within, can you find me? Hee, do you know where I am? In an instant, Chen Huanyun could hear Chen Li's voice near her. Cheeky girl, after I find you, I will deal with you. Chen Huanyun showed an evil appearance. She was about to use her investigative killer move, when suddenly, she felt some disturbance outside. She was curious, why is Ancestor here? Lure, stop playing, go with me to greet him. Chen Le was about to dispel her immortal killer move, but suddenly, she had an idea. She remembered the time when old immortal Chen Kai made fun of her. She pouted, forget it, I will listen secretly by the side, let's see if Ancestor can find me. If he cannot find me, and I appear suddenly, he would be in shock. He. Oh you are too mischievous, you will not be able to get married. Chen Huanyun shook her head, walking out of the palace to greet old immortal Chen Kai. Fang Yuan had familiar face. Chen Huanyun and Chen Le could not find out his true identity. But Fang Yuan did not have an outstanding investigative killer move. He could not find Chen Le, who was concealed. In fact, even if he had a killer move like that, he could not use it openly. Once he used it, his immortal aura would leak. It would invite suspicion. Only immortal methods like dark assassination could completely conceal the aura of immortal Gu. Without leaking a trace, one could sneak attack and catch an enemy unprepared. Chen Huanyun brought Fang Yuan to his seat. She wanted to call Chen Le to come out. How could she peek at them with such disrespect? But thinking about it, old Ancestor dotes on Lure. He gained a lot of benefits just now after negotiating with young Master He Cheng. He is in a good mood. Even if Ancestor discovers Lure in hiding, he would surely not blame her. Thinking of that, Chen Huanyun pretended to be unaware, passing the tea to him. Fang Yuan drank a mouthful. He did the same thing again, asking Chen Huanyun to sit closer to him. Chen Le watched as she held in her laughter. She felt extremely excited. Next, as she listened to Fang Yuan and Chen Huanyun's words, she gradually focused in upon hearing their gains. She was very happy, but she started worrying for Fang Yuan. Young Master He Cheng paid such a huge price, will this affect him negatively? Soon after, Fang Yuan took out Flying Sword Immortal Gu. This rank 7 Sword Path Immortal Gu was given to me by He Cheng, adding on to his previous offer. Yun'er, I want you to go to the cave where the 3 immortals live, using this as a chip to convince the 3 immortals to support He Cheng. Are you willing to do it? Chen Huanyun quickly got up. Ancestor, I will follow your instructions. Good. Fang Yuan chuckled. Chen Li's gaze was focused on Flying Sword Immortal Gu as well. This was the first time she was seeing a rank 7 Immortal Gu. She could not hold in her curiosity. She wanted to jump out and give a surprise to her ancestor. But at the next moment, a change occurred. Dark assassination activated again. How could Chen Huanyun anticipate that her beloved ancestor, someone with such closeness to her, would attack? Without any defense, this gentle female immortal followed in the footsteps of Chen Kai and Chen Liji. Chen Huanyun was killed. Fang Yuan retrieved Flying Sword. He sent the corpse into his immortal aperture. He got rid of the blood stains and left. Chen Le was still concealed. She was covering her mouth with her hands. Her eyes were wide open and staring, but her pupils had shrunk to pin size. Her nostrils were expanded. She was breathing in deeply. Her delicate body was shivering. Tears were flowing down her beautiful tender cheeks silently. Unbelievable. Extreme terror. How can this be? How can this happen? What did I just see? What just happened? Is this an illusion? Definitely, this is all an illusion. How can this be? He, ha, ancestor killed Sister Yun'er. How can that be? But the truth was in front of her very eyes. Hearsay could be wrong, but seeing was believing. Cold, cruel, she could not doubt what she saw at all. Plop, she knelt on the ground, collapsing weakly. Her shoulders moved up and down, she was sobbing. On her lively face, there was fear, terror, confusion, and helplessness. Her hands were still covering her mouth. She was desperately covering it, as if this could protect her. Chapter 1125. More killing. Why did her ancestor kill Chen Huanyun? Chen Le could not understand. She could not imagine why. She sobbed. Her body shuddered. She suddenly thought of Chen Liji. Did ancestor also go to find and kill him? This was a simple inference. No matter what, She had to find Chen Liji and tell him about this. At the crucial moment, Chenla did not think of He Chang, she thought of the GU Immortals who were her most closely related family members. Chenla realized what she had to do, she stopped crying, standing up and activating her immortal killer move, concealing her appearance and running towards Chen Liji's palace. But Fang Yuan did not go to Chen Liji's palace as Chenla was thinking. He did not discover Chenla, and he had already killed Chen Liji, thus, his final course of action was to go to Chenla. To find her and kill her. A moment later, Chenla arrived at Chen Liji's place. Why is there no one here? Chenla searched the palace, but did not find Chen Liji. Of course, she saw many mortals and GU masters. But Chenla did not alert them, even if she told them this shocking news, they might not believe her. In the empty hall, fear and helplessness emerged again in Chen Li's heart. Ancestor Chen Kai had killed Chen Wanyun, Chen Liji was missing as well, he was likely to have met with disaster. Chenla could not help but cry again. What should I do? Oh no, young Master He Chang. Chenla finally thought of Fang Yuan at this time, she jolted back to focus. She felt that at this moment, the most reliable person was He Chang. She turned around, towards He Chang's accommodation. Almost at the same time, Fang Yuan arrived at Chen Li's palace. Nobody was here. Strange, where would she go at this time? Fang Yuan's heart sank. The situation was changing beyond his expectations. Fang Yuan raised his head and looked up at the sky of Heifan Grotto heaven, it was cloudless and azure in color. Fang Yuan smiled at the sky, before going towards his own accommodation. Where could Chenla go? There were only a few places. GU Immortals and mortals did not have many common topics of interest. Returning to his accommodations, Fang Yuan turned into He Chang, waiting for Chenla to come. At this time, a bright light was shot into the sky, it went up and spread out in all directions, it was bright and piercing to the eyes. Is this the thing Chenla mentioned before that warning of bright light, to ask the immortals to work together in defense? Fang Yuan frowned instantly. These days, he had been getting intel from Chenla. Among which, one of them was about the time when GU Immortals first appeared in Heifan Grotto Heaven, they struggled against desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts. The first few generations of GU Immortals joined forces to resist them. Normally, they would be in different parts of the Grotto Heaven, but when one side was attacked, they would send out a signal during critical times, inviting GU Immortals from other areas to help out, and paying them afterwards. As the number of GU Immortals increased in Heifan Grotto Heaven, they got stronger, and this warning of bright light has not been used for 100 years. This time, it must have been sent out by Chenla. Hee, I underestimated this girl, she dealt with the situation well. Fang Yuan smiled. With his craftiness, he already deduced many things. He had already killed 3 people, only Chenla was left. And the warning method could only be used by GU Immortals, it was clear that Chenla had activated it. Why did Chenla activate this without meeting him? Evidently, she had found out that one of the others had met with disaster. No matter where she is hiding or what method she used, since she did not come to find him, that meant she was suspicious of him. Then, the immortals were going to gather together now, how would Fang Yuan deal with them? Actually, a moment ago, Chenla was about to find He Chang, when she suddenly had a thought, even if she found young Master He Chang, what if he could not defeat her ancestor? Chenla did not know about He Chang's strength, but in her mind, she felt that old immortal Chen Kai had deep and immeasurable power. This was the result of old immortal Chen Qi's authority that had been ingrained in her. I have to think of a perfect method. Chenla thus thought of the warning of bright light. The alert of bright light soared into the sky, Chen Li's mind slowly calmed down. Will ancestor come to find me after seeing this light? Thinking of this, Chenla started feeling scared again. She gritted her teeth, she decided to go find Fang Yuan. From start to finish, she did not suspect that Fang Yuan was the culprit. When bright light soared to the sky, GU Immortals in all the other areas reacted. What happened? At this timing, old man Chen Kai actually sent a warning signal and asked us to go help him. In front of their cave, Feng Jun frowned upon seeing the light in the sky. Zhou Min also had a look of suspicion, this matter is quite peculiar. Old immortal Chen Kai has a total of 4 immortals, they are the strongest force among us. Inside Heifan Grotto Heaven, what kind of ancient desolate beast can make Chen Kai ask us for help? You think this matter has to do with He Chang? Zheng Tuo pondered. Most likely. Feng Jun nodded. This warning of bright light has not been used for 100 years, it is strange that it is activated at this time. He Cheng has already stayed at old man Chen Chi's place for some days. They might have come to an agreement now, and are working together. Old Immortal Chen Kai will definitely provide support if He Cheng is willing to give him enough benefits. It is not surprising. Zheng Tuo thought over it. No matter whether there really is an ancient desolate beast attack, or if Chen Kai is trying to scheme against us, we need to go and investigate the situation. That's right, we have practiced blood-light spirit suppression and are at the crucial moment. In a few days, we will be able to suppress the heavenly spirit and take the true inheritance forcefully. We need to stall for time now, but we need to be careful of what the other side is planning. We will give in to them for now. In a few days, Heifan Grotto Heaven will belong to us. Feng Jun snickered. Immediately the three immortals moved out, towards old Immortal Chen Chi's palace. At the same time, the two lone GU immortals also went there. Heifan Grotto Heaven was not small, but the GU immortals lived quite close to each other. And because the three immortals used immortal killer moves, disregarding the immortal essence to travel. In a moment, they were already halfway there. At this time, a flying figure appeared in front of the three immortals. It's Chen Le. Zhou Min was the first to recognize the person. Chen Le was bathed in blood, she had a shocked expression, she seemed to be escaping for her life. The three immortals looked at each other. Was there really an ancient desolate beast attack? Chen Le, slow down, we are here, what happened over there? Zheng Tuo called out. Chen Le saw these three immortals and was overjoyed with surprise. Seniors. It is great to see you. That He Cheng is heinous. After failing to negotiate with our ancestor, he used a sneak attack and killed Sister Wan Yun. I was the one who sent the warning. I escaped, but He Cheng is still chasing me. Thankfully, I had my immortal killer moves concealment, I managed to survive. What? The three immortals heard this and were deeply shocked. He Cheng is so daring. He dared to attack old Immortal Chen Kai, he is so vicious and ruthless, he is likely going to attack us as well. Strange, he has to get He Fan's true inheritance, without our support, how can he get it? A life for a life is perfectly justified. We will have to take down He Cheng. To play safe, we need to gather with the other GU immortals. Chen Le, don't worry, we are family, we will definitely uphold justice for you. Justice. Chen Le smiled suddenly, attacking. Under the three immortals' shocked gazes, sword light flashed and stabbed into Zheng Tuo's body. Zheng Tuo was caught unawares, even though he had immortal killer move defending him. Dark assassination was an immortal killer move, with rank 7 immortal GU flying sword as the core, it could not be stopped, it cut him into half on the spot. Instantly, Zheng Tuo died. Brother, Zhou Min shouted. Feng Jun was furious, he clapped his hands, intense winds assaulted Fang Yuan. Oh brother, Zhou Min cried out, watching the two halves of Zheng Tuo's corpse fall to the ground, his organs and blood scattered in the air. Feng Jun carried Zhou Min, dragging her as they retreated. Chen Le, are you crazy? You dared to kill my brother Zheng Tuo, I will fight it out with you. Zhou Min growled, her beautiful face was flushed red, I will kill you. Kill me. Chen Le stopped her movement, she scoffed as she looked at Zhou Min in disdain, you. Zhou Min was furious, she struggled intensely, getting free from Feng Jun's arms. Brother, what are you doing? Let go of me, this lowly bitch killed our big brother. She killed him, I will pull out her skull and use it as an offering for our brother. Calm down, sister, don't fall for his provocations. How can this be Chen Le? Don't you know Chen Le? Earlier, that was a sword path immortal killer move. This is not Chen Le. Feng Jun shouted, looking at Chen Le, his eyes were bursting with fire, filled with hatred. It seems that someone here has some brains. Chen Le smiled, her appearance changed suddenly, becoming that of He Cheng. You are indeed He Cheng. Feng Jun's body shook. Scoundrel, Zhou Min scolded. From their expressions, it seems that they were not aware that I was the killer. Strange Chen Le did not use any information path GU worms to tell them. Fang Yuan was confused. He did not know that from start to finish, Chen Le did not suspect him. After creating the warning, Chen Le ran off to his accommodations. Fang Yuan returned to his room long ago, but after seeing the warning of bright light while waiting for Chen Le, he thought he was exposed. Thus, he adapted to the circumstances and went out to weaken the remaining immortals' battle strength in Heifan Grotto Heaven. Since Chen Chi's side had 3 immortals dead already, the next largest group were the 3 immortals who were sworn siblings. Thus, Fang Yuan turned into Chen Li's appearance, flying towards their cave. In the end, he met the 3 immortals and used dark assassination to kill the most threatening of them, the blood path GU immortal Zheng Tuo. Meanwhile, Chenla went to Fang Yuan's room. She could not find him. She felt disappointment and immense worry. She did not know that out of sheer coincidence, she had narrowly escaped death. I did not put any hope in this disguised assassination attempt, but the process was unexpectedly smooth. The GU Immortals inside this Heifan Grotto heaven are truly incomparable to Northern Plains GU Immortals. After such a long period of peace, they have low vigilance. Anyway, I should kill these two first. Thoughts churned in his mind like fireworks. Fang Yuan thought of many things, but only a moment had passed in the outside world. His lips curled up, he charged towards Feng Jun and Zhou Min. To kill. Chapter 1126, Verge of Death. He actually charged over. Feng Jun's pupils shrunk, he was stunned by Fang Yuan's courage. Fang Yuan charged forward relentlessly. Even though he was alone, his stance was overwhelming. It was as if he was clad in wind and lightning. Killing intent surged. It was like a terrifying claw, slashing towards the veil of life and death. The GU Immortals in Heifan Grotto Heaven would often spar with each other, but when would they ever be in a life and death situation against each other? Retreat. At once, Feng Jun only had one word in his mind. In contrast, Zhou Min was spewing with anger. She said excitedly, "Good. Scoundrel, get ready to die." She was already beyond furious. She wanted to take revenge for her brother. She wanted to tear this scoundrel, Fang Yuan, into pieces, to pull out his tendons and snap his bones. Feng Jun dragged along Zhou Min as they escaped, but Zhou Min had already activated her immortal killer move. Her eyes were wide open as they stared. Golden white light shot out of her eyes. The light was extremely sharp, as if it was made of blades and daggers. Zhou Min was a light path GU Immortal. She was nurtured by a GU Immortal from a past generation. She had Sight Light Immortal GU. And she was currently activating her strongest move, Farsight Weapon Light. It is this move. Fang Yuan saw Zhou Min's actions and came to a realization. His charging speed increased instead. In his mind, he recalled a scene from a few days ago. "Young Master He Chang, why are you sighing?" Chenla asked. "Do you not like this scenery?" "Thanks for your concern, Miss Lur. The scenery is beautiful, I am truly impressed. But I have the mission of inheriting Heifan's true inheritance. I am very worried as I recall. Zheng Tuo and the others are not easy to talk to." Fang Yuan acted like he was troubled. Chenla frowned too. Indeed, Ancestor had said this before. Those three GU Immortals have their own ambitions, they are different from us. Birds of a feather flock together, those three are ambitious people. Even if I obtain your support, I will still be short of obtaining the true inheritance. Do you think these three would find trouble with me on the pretext of sparring? Will they obstruct us? Fang Yuan asked. Chenla smiled. No need to worry. Actually, if you know about them, those three immortals are not scary. For example, GU Immortal Zhou Min has a killer move called Farsight Weapon Light. It is very powerful. Once she uses it, her eyes will shoot out golden white light. It can cut down anything. But this move is quite peculiar. The farther the distance, the stronger it is. If you are very close to Zhou Min, then this move is drastically weakened. If you are right in front of her, even a mortal killer move can block Farsight Weapon Light. A warm smile appeared on Fang Yuan's face. "Oh, there is such an interesting move. I am truly enlightened. Lur, what other interesting stories are there?" Chenla looked at Fang Yuan, seeing his handsome face looking right at her, emitting lots of affection. It was so intense as if the summer winds were drowning her in bliss. Chenla had a flushed expression. She quickly turned around, not daring to look at Fang Yuan directly. Her face was completely red. She looked afar as she stammered. Young master, if you want to know, I will tell you." Inside Heifan Grotto Heaven, some of these GU Immortals' inheritances came from old ancestor Heifan, like the Blood Path one for example. It was a result of Heifan's research. And some came from the criminal immortals, like Zhou Min's Light Path inheritance, and old immortal Chen Qi's Rule Path inheritance. These proper GU Immortal inheritances were all very comprehensive. The details of large numbers of mortal GU, a few immortal GU, and all sorts of immortal GU recipes and mortal GU recipes, cultivation experiences and information about the outside world. Some of these contents were sensitive, like Treasure Yellow Heaven. They were all erased by Heifan. However, some information regarding the other inheritances was retained. The He tribe GU Immortals were quite close together. For example, outsiders might not about Farsight Weapon Light, but how could they themselves not know? Thus, this kind of information was all left inside their inheritances. As time passed, mortals went up Immortal Succession Mountain and inherited them. GU Immortals appeared and passed away. During this process, there were all sorts of reasons, like fighting over benefits or personal conflicts, they fought against each other. The GU Immortals' methods were passed down over generations, everybody knew about their moves, these were no secrets. Fang Yuan's preparation was not only regarding the assassination plan, he also collected a lot of other information. Farsight Weapon Light. This was quite a troublesome immortal killer move. Under normal circumstances, when seeing an unknown attacking method, GU Immortals would choose to retreat and observe cautiously. Nobody would charge in without knowing the situation and place themselves in trouble. According to Fang Yuan's vigilant nature, there was a high likelihood of him doing so, unless the difference in their strengths was very big. And that was exactly what Zhou Min wanted. By the time Fang Yuan realized the effect of Farsight Weapon Light, he might have already spent a lot of time, effort, immortal essence, or even gotten injured in the process. When GU Immortals battle, information often led to having an advantage. Thus, under normal circumstances in the GU Immortal world, they would keep their immortal GU secret. Immortal killer moves were rarely used publicly. They would practice their moves in private. The GU Immortals' immortal aperture was also rarely shown to others. Because the environment inside revealed the secrets of the GU Immortals' Dao marks. The resources inside were often food for immortal GU, all these could be used to deduce what immortal GU the GU Immortal had. Fang Yuan withstood the Farsight Weapon Light, he charged forward with unparalleled vigor. Of course, he was not rash. His robe was previously stained with blood. These blood stains were not eye-catching, but they were formed from an immortal killer move. Blood Path Immortal Killer Move, Blood-Stained Conqueror's Robe. During the period before the opening of Treasure Yellow Heaven, Fang Yuan was unable to develop his immortal aperture, because Langya sect was suppressing him, he had a tough time. But he did not waste his time, he deduced this immortal killer move to make up for his weakness. Fang Yuan had many weaknesses. But he considered it deeply, his greatest weakness was in defense. During the second earthly calamity, this flaw was evident. If he did not have Danghun Mountain as a base for defense, Fang Yuan would have likely died. Compared to investigative and information path methods, Fang Yuan would rather play safe and settle his weakness in defense first. Due to his Wisdom Path and Blood Path Grandmaster attainment levels, as well as the immense Blood Path foundation built during his previous life, Fang Yuan did not have much difficulty in creating Blood-Stained Conqueror's Robe. At this moment, with Blood Acid Immortal GU as the core, Blood-Stained Conqueror's Robe was showcasing its capability in battle. The effect was superb. Fang Yuan charged towards the Farsight Weapon Light, his body did not waver, he had no injuries at all, his immortal essence expenditure was also reducing. Like what Chen Le had said, the closer I get, the lower Farsight Weapon Light's power becomes, thus, even Blood-Stained Conqueror's Robe's immortal essence expenditure is falling. Fang Yuan made such a decisive and wise choice, in the blink of an eye, he was already very close to Zhou Min. They were less than 100 steps away. Die die die, Zhou Min cried out continuously, the sharp light in her eyes continued to shoot out brightly. She was overcome with anger, she was not a threat. Feng Jun, who was calmer, felt huge fear as his hair stood on end. Fang Yuan's advancement made him feel an immense sense of danger. The great shock made him use his most familiar defensive method subconsciously. Immortal killer move, Luck Whirlwind. Huge winds blew, Fang Yuan was pushed away by a mystical force. Chen Li's words reverberated in Fang Yuan's mind, speaking of which, GU Immortal Feng Jun is also quite strong. He is the only person who ascended Immortal Succession Mountain and successfully became a GU Immortal. Such immortals are more formidable than us, who were nurtured by our seniors. Furthermore, Feng Jun cultivates the famous Luck Path. Luck Path, a GU Immortal path with few members. Luck Path was created by Giant Sun Immortal Venerable, even though it was famous, actual Luck Path GU Immortals were few in number. As the origin of Luck Path, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable left behind 3 true inheritances, Self-Luck, All Living Beings Luck, and Heaven and Earth Luck. Self-Luck was in Langya Blessed Land, it was given to Long Hair Ancestor as payment, among which, Dog Shit Luck ended up in Fang Yuan's hands. All Living Beings Luck was placed in 88 Truyong Building by Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. A portion of it was given to the winner of the Imperial Court contest. Fang Yuan had once possessed Connect Luck Immortal GU, it was part of All Living Beings Luck. Feng Jun's true inheritance had also originated from 88 Truyong Building. Back then, the He tribe GU master entered 88 Truyong Building and fortunately obtained a portion of the true inheritance, he received Chi Luck Immortal GU. Thereafter, he cultivated to GU Immortal level and passed it down for generations. The last generation had been punished after He Fengyu's disappearance and the loss of attitude Jiyu, thus this true inheritance was left in Immortal Succession Mountain. Feng Jun obtained this true inheritance. He had Qi Luck Immortal Jiyu, the move he was most familiar with and had practiced the most was Luck Whirlwind. This move was very special. When the target attacks, by using it, it could repel the target. When the target retreats, if it is used, it could drag the target back to the user. Once this move was used, intense winds would form, but that was only on the surface, the key was that formless force. Fang Yuan could not see this formless force, he was hit by the move again and was sent away. At once, their distance enlarged, as if his hard work had been in vain. But Fang Yuan smiled as his lips curled up, he thought to himself, Luck Whirlwind the second time already. According to what Chen Le said, this move could not be used extensively, in one day, it could only be used 100 times. Just take it as 100, this might seem like a lot, but it was not. Activating Luck Whirlwind was not as simple as it seemed on the surface. The first issue was Immortal Essence. Feng Jun was a rank 6 GU Immortal, he did not have a deep foundation, using this killer move would expend Immortal Essence, how long could Feng Jun last? And Immortal killer moves could not succeed with every use, each time Feng Jun failed, he would not only suffer a backlash, he would be unable to repel Fang Yuan, he would be able to get close and kill them. Thus, it might seem like Fang Yuan could do nothing to Zhou Min and Feng Jun, but he actually had complete advantage in this situation. Feng Jun and Zhou Min were walking on the side of a steep cliff, if they were careless, they would die without intact corpses. Die, go and die. Zhou Min was still furious, she stared at Fang Yuan as her eyes shot out white light. Retreat, we must retreat. The calmer Feng Jun felt his mouth going dry, his heart was pounding as his body was covered in cold sweat. Chapter 11:27, Resolving the situation by killing. The two sides did not fight for very long, but Feng Jun already had the intention to retreat and escape. Fang Yuan first assassinated the strongest rank 7 Blood Path GU Immortal Zheng Tuo, before charging forward and using the best tactic to gain the absolute advantage. Feng Jun was not an idiot, even if he lacked battle experience, he knew that he was in great danger. He wanted to retreat, it was a wise choice. In GU Immortal battles, they fought not only with strength but also with wits. Sister has lost it due to her emotions, He Cheng is a rank 7 GU Immortal, even if we cooperate, we cannot defeat him. We should join up with the other GU Immortals, and with old Immortal Chen Kai at the lead, encircle and kill him. Feng Jun thought of this and started to retreat. He used his Immortal Killer move, his body moved like a cloud, bringing him and Zhou Min away towards the left. What are you doing, brother? Let me kill him, let me kill him. Zhou Min screamed as she struggled in Feng Jun's arms. Feng Jun smiled bitterly, he increased the strength he was using on Zhou Min, he pacified her. Don't move, I am getting some distance to create a chance for your farsight weapon light. Zhou Min heard this and shuddered, she said excitedly, good idea. She concentrated, staring fixedly at Fang Yuan. With greater distance, farsight weapon light became stronger, Fang Yuan's defense would be under greater pressure. Fang Yuan looked at the cloud below their feet, he smiled without concern. He did not chase them, he charged down and landed on the ground. He picked up Zheng Tuo's corpse which was split into two, putting both pieces into his immortal aperture. Evil thief, let go of our brother's corpse. Zhou Min shouted, her lungs were exploding from anger. Fang Yuan's actions were truly vile. Not only did he kill Zheng Tuo, he did not even let his corpse off. How could he let it off? The Dao marks of this rank 7 Blood Path GU Immortal were an immense boost to Fang Yuan's foundation. Looking at it, including Zheng Tuo, Fang Yuan had already killed 4 GU Immortals, it was hard to annex the Immortal Aperture as it had strict conditions, but the gain in Dao marks was immense. Ordinary GU Immortals would only absorb the Dao marks of an enemy of the same path due to the conflict between Dao marks. Otherwise, they would get more trouble instead. However, my sovereign immortal body is different, the Dao marks do not conflict, this is amazing. I can absorb the Dao marks of any enemy I kill and increase my foundation. This seems to be the best way to increase my strength. At this moment, Fang Yuan had a new insight. This sovereign immortal body was created from sovereign immortal fetus GU, spectral soul wanted to revive using it. If he really succeeded in reviving, the consequences were unthinkable. Firstly, spectral soul had devoured so many souls in the door of life and death, he had countless cultivation experiences. Secondly, all of his paths were great grandmaster and above. Finally, he had the help of Shadow Sect's remnant forces. With this starting point, he could repeat what he did in his era, killing everyone and everything. He could annex the immortal apertures of GU immortals he killed or absorb the Tao marks they had. His growth would be at an incredible speed, it would surpass one's imagination. Unlike Fang Yuan, who only had Grandmaster attainment level in 4 paths, it was hard for him to annex immortal apertures, he could only absorb Tao marks in most cases. Fang Yuan placed Zheng Tuo's corpse in his immortal aperture. Zhou Min looked at with this anger and hatred. Feng Zhen did not speak, he felt aggrieved, but also let out a sigh of relief. It seems that He Cheng does not have movement methods, or maybe he uses the upper extreme heavenly eagle normally. This immemorial desolate beast has yet to grow fully, it only has rank 6 battle strength, he did not let it out because he is afraid of farsight weapon like killing it. Feng Zhen became less worried. But at the next moment, his mouth opened wide, a shocked expression appeared on his face. It turned out that Fang Yuan had activated sword escape, his body flew into the sky like a sword. His speed was so fast, Feng Zhen and Zhou Min were completely stunned from shock. How can he be this fast? Zhou Min said, so this is his real speed. Feng Zhen's heart was about to jump out, his movement method was simply outmatched. In a few breaths of time, Fang Yuan got close to them again. His icy killing intent almost froze Feng Zhen's heart. Immortal killer move, Luck Whirlwind. At the moment of crisis, he had to use his trump card again. Like what happened earlier, Fang Yuan was sent away again. The third time, hee. Fang Yuan noted, he had been repelled 3 times, but he felt no dejection. Zhou Min finally became sober-minded. She was completely shocked by Fang Yuan's speed, her forehead was full of sweat, her anger dwindled, and fear took over. Quickly leave, this person is too strong, let's gather with the rest first. Zhou Min yelled. Feng Zhen heard this and felt glad at her change of mindset. With Zhou Min's help, the two rose in speed, they rapidly escaped for their lives. Fang Yuan chased after them, shooting out with bursts of speed at times. But every time, Feng Zhen's luck whirlwind would ruin his attempt. After chasing them for some time, 2 GU immortals appeared before them. They were the 2 GU immortal lone cultivators, they usually lived together, one was called Zhang Ji, the other was Gao Mi. Hold on, we're coming. The 2 immortals were flying too, they quickly joined up with Zhou Min and Feng Zhen. Fang Yuan observed their expressions, seeing that they were showing no shock, he knew that Feng Zhen and Zhou Min had used a certain information path method to inform these 2 GU immortals along the way. He Cheng, you are simply too bold, you dare to cause harm to us inside He Fan Grotto Heaven. Today, you will undoubtedly die. Feng Zhen and Zhou Min stopped escaping, they went ahead to fight Fang Yuan. Young Master He Cheng, you killed Sister Wan Yun. Did you kill old ancestor as well? A shrill voice suddenly resounded. It was Chen Le. After using the warning, Chen Le went to find Fang Yuan, but at that time, Fang Yuan had already left to find the 3 immortals including Zheng Tuo. Chen Le could not find Fang Yuan, she was completely lost and helpless, she did not know what to do. She did not dare to dispel her immortal killer move, she hid inside the palace for a while, before she received Feng Zhen's letter. The letter stated that Fang Yuan disguised as Chen Le and used an immortal killer move to kill GU immortal Zheng Tuo. No matter how stupid Chen Le was, she realized instantly what the situation was. She quickly went to Chen Qi's place, but where could she find that old ancestor of hers? Even though Feng Zhen was escaping, he had already contacted the remaining immortals, Chen Le also decided to answer his call. Thus, she appeared on the battlefield at this time. Oh, it's you. Fang Yuan looked at Chen Le, smiling cruelly, you have finally gotten smarter. That's right, be it Chen Kai, Chen Wanyun, or Chen Li Ji, even Zheng Tuo died in my hands. All of your rank 7 GU immortals are dead now, the rest of you should surrender to me, after all, a wise person submits to circumstances. Chen Li's expression turned pale, her body shook intensely. Fang Yuan admitted it outright, this was a huge blow to her mental state. Why did you do that for? Chen Le screamed in a sharp tone, tears were pouring out of her eyes. Did we do anything wrong to you? Why must you do something so evil and cruel? Don't be affected by him, Chen Le, let's get into formation. Zhou Min, who had regained her senses, shouted loudly. With Fang Yuan in the center, a jade light ball suddenly appeared over a huge surrounding area. This was a huge battle formation. With Feng Zhen, Zhou Min, Chen Le, and the other 2 immortals as the formation cores, they assembled an ancient battle formation. He Cheng, even if you are a rank 7 GU immortal, you will die here today. That's right, we have already practiced this battle formation many times, we killed over a dozen desolate beasts and 8 ancient desolate beasts. You cannot escape from here. I will tear your bones and tendons, and use them as offerings for the innocent souls of our comrades. Heifan Grotto Heaven's GU Immortals shouted, their morale rose sharply. Fang Yuan smiled lightly, his calm expression did not change at all. He said slowly and calmly, oh, Green City Battle Formation. He, it is only a small portion of the ancient battle formation Green City Rampage, do you think I am unaware of it? The expressions of the immortals changed, a bad feeling was emerging in them. Chen Li's expression paled even further, at this moment, she felt utter regret and hatred, she could not live with herself. Because she was the one who told Fang Yuan about this Green City battle formation. The GU Immortals in Heifan Grotto Heaven had to practice a huge formation in every generation. It was the Green City Battle Formation, it was used to kill desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts, it had incredible strength. I have rank 7 cultivation level, while you people are just rank 6. Thus, I expected you to use this move. After getting into formation, you won't be able to run, right? When this battle formation is breached, you will all face a backlash, even if you do not die, you will suffer heavy injuries. Fang Yuan said in a plain tone. His tone was very calm, he did not speak loudly, but the immortals could hear him clearly for some reason. The morale that was raised earlier instantly got cut in several pieces after hearing his words. Before fighting, these GU immortals already had wavering determination. Now, I will show all of you my true strength. Fang Yuan called out, his body shook and a loud sound was heard, the aura of GU worms burst out from within him. Immortal killer move, Myriad Self. In an instant, tens of thousands of Fang Yuan phantoms appeared in the space inside the entire battle formation. They were all strength path phantoms. And Fang Yuan's true body was hidden among them, acting as one of the phantoms. The battle commenced at this moment. From the start, they entered the climax of the battle. Feng Jun, Zhou Min, and the other GU immortals used their respective methods, all sorts of immortal killer moves were unleashed, causing huge damage to the Myriad Self army. Fang Yuan's strength path phantoms did not have high defense, but no matter how many were destroyed in battle, more strength path phantoms emerged and replaced them. Fang Yuan had made ample preparation before the battle. Even if he did not continue to activate Myriad Self, he had already stored hundreds of thousands of Myriad Self phantoms inside his immortal aperture in advance. He did not lack the immortal essence. Fang Yuan had a huge storage of green grape immortal essence. Feng Jun and the rest soon realized that they were in a tough spot. Without using immortal killer moves, they could not defend against the Myriad Self army attacking the battle formation. But if they used immortal killer moves, even though they could kill countless phantoms, Fang Yuan would also replenish them, their immortal essence would be wasted. In this battle of attrition in immortal essence, Fang Yuan completely had the upper hand. Do not forget about the advantage of strength path, that was the minimal consumption of immortal essence. Meanwhile, the advantage of enslavement path was in battles of attrition. Myriad self-killer move combined the effects of both paths, it could display the strengths of both paths at once. Fang Yuan waited patiently among the Myriad self-army, observing attentively. All sorts of information was gathered by him, he committed them to memory. After fighting for several hours, the GU Immortals of Heifan Grotto Heaven were extremely tired. Not only were they tired mentally, the immortal essence expenditure was also starting to put a toll on them. The moment they exposed weakness, Fang Yuan's true body appeared. Ha, Chenla, I need to thank you, without your information, how could I have killed Chen Wanyun and the others? Fang Yuan laughed loudly. Chenla felt like lightning had struck her, the pain in her heart could not be described with words. Using this opportunities, Fang Yuan went for the killing blow. Flying Sword Immortal GU. A flash of light pierced Chen Li's defenses, killing her instantly. Always pick out the weakest enemy first. Fang Yuan struck at the crucial moment, immediately killing one immortal on the other side. Chenla died on the spot. Green City battle formation became unstable instantly, it started shaking. The other GU immortals quickly tried to stabilize it, succeeding after some effort. Next, it is time for the rest of you to die. Fang Yuan smiled sinisterly, he did not attack, instead, he went back into the Myriad self-army. The remaining 4 GU immortals had pale expressions, a cold chill was emerging in their hearts. They were the ones encircling Fang Yuan, but at this very moment, none of these 4 GU immortals felt any joy or excitement. His victory was assured. From the start, Fang Yuan had used the most appropriate battle tactics, establishing his current huge advantage. He was very aware about the methods of these GU immortals, but they, on the other hand, did not know about his methods. Originally, the other party had an advantage. For example, Chen Li's concealment method, Fang Yuan could do nothing against it. It was a pity, because Fang Yuan schemed against them. Chen Li joined the battle and formed the Green City battle formation. She gave up her greatest advantage. In the end, it was because Heifan Grotto Heaven had been in peace for too long. These GU immortals did not lack immortal GU or resources, but they truly paled in terms of battle experience. Even though they sparred during their interactions, the experience gained from fighting on the verge of death could not be gained from friendly battles. A long while later, Fang Yuan killed 2 more GU immortals, before breaking apart Green City battle formation. Feng Jun and Zhou Min escaped in defeat again. The 2 immortals had completely lost their courage against Fang Yuan. They did not dare to fight. They escaped towards Immortal Succession Mountain. Along the way, Fang Yuan killed Zhou Min, as Feng Jun crashed onto the peak of Immortal Succession Mountain with his heavily injured body. "Heavenly Spirit, save me!" he screamed loudly. This situation was quite ironic. Earlier he was still plotting to suppress the Heavenly Spirit, but now, he had no choice but to seek help from it. "It is not going to save you." Inside the stone pavilion, Fang Yuan's figure appeared in a flash. He spoke in a calm tone. He had no injuries on his body. He was still so charming and handsome. It was as if the battle earlier did not occur at all. Feng Jun saw Fang Yuan and shuddered in fear. He focused his attention on the brass bell Heavenly Spirit. The brass bell Heavenly Spirit had no reaction. Feng Jun had a look of despair. "Why?" he muttered. "Why?" At the next moment, he screamed again, seemingly questioning the Heavenly Spirit. But the brass bell Heavenly Spirit continued to be unmoved. "Because you are all descendants of criminal immortals." Before old ancestor Heifan died, he thought of this point when leaving behind his true inheritance. Therefore, he set up this final test. Only by obtaining half of the votes of the GU immortals inside Heifan Grotto Heaven could I inherit it. But what if you descendants of the criminal immortals bear hatred to He tribe and refuse to let our main tribe's member obtain the true inheritance? What if you cause problems for us intentionally? What will we do? Fang Yuan extended his hand, lightly touching this stone tablet. "Then it can only be to kill all of you. After killing you all, I will be the only person left. Then I would also have satisfied the conditions for clearing the final test of Heifan's true inheritance." Fang Yuan spoke lightly. There was even a faint smile on his face. Feng Jun plopped onto the ground. He had an expression of despair. He was sprawled weakly. He raised his head and looked up at the sky. The azure sky which he sought to escape for so long, at the moment before his death, now seemed so endearing to him. But at the next moment, he heard Fang Yuan's words. "Now, I will give you a chance. As long as you submit to me, and serve me wholeheartedly from now on, I will spare your life." What did you say?" Feng Jun's body shook. He showed an expression of disbelief. Fang Yuan repeated his words again, before saying, "You are a smart person, you are not swayed by emotions, you are unlike Zhou Min and Chen Li. I appreciate that aspect of you. Hand over your immortal GU and the luck path true inheritance's details, I will spare your life and give you a chance to live." Feng Jun blinked. He was moved. "You are not lying to me." He raised his head and looked at Fang Yuan. Anticipation was hidden deep within his gaze. "Why would I lie to you? Killing you is as easy as breathing to me. But don't even think of bargaining with me now." Fang Yuan's expression changed. "You only have 3 breaths of time to consider it. Will you die, or surrender everything to me and submit, before making an alliance agreement?" "I surrender." At the first breath of time, Feng Jun said without hesitation. "These are all of the GU worms that I have." At the second breath of time, Feng Jun handed over everything. Fang Yuan nodded, stretching out his hand and keeping them. With Feng Jun's cooperation, he suppressed all of them. "Please make the alliance agreement." Feng Jun breathed in deeply. He was already mentally prepared for an extremely harsh alliance agreement. Swoosh! A bloody hole appeared in his forehead. He had an expression of shock. He stared at Fang Yuan fixedly as he gradually fell onto the ground. The third breath of time had just passed. Chapter 11:28. Heifan's 4 Treasures 1/2. Fang Yuan gathered Feng Jun's corpse. Together with the GU immortal corpses that he had collected earlier, Fang Yuan had a total of 9. And he also had 9 corresponding GU immortal souls. Such gains are truly rare. For GU immortals in the outside world, even if they die, they may self-detonate. Among the GU immortals in Heifan Grotto Heaven, only Feng Jun has some brains. This person was able to give in when needed. Unfortunately, after I gained the upper hand, the situation was firmly within my grasp. He could not do anything. His eventual surrender was out of desperation. Too bad for him, his enemy was me. Fang Yuan sighed as he set aside these thoughts. He had won. It was time for the rewards. He turned around, entering the stone pavilion. He raised his head and looked at the brass bell heavenly spirit on the pillar. He said, "Right now, I am the only GU immortal inside Heifan Grotto Heaven. I vote for myself to inherit Heifan's true inheritance." The brass bell heavenly spirit was silent for a moment before shaking, emitting a loud bell sound. Next, the stone pillars in the pavilion radiated with pure white light. The white light was not painful to look at, it was very gentle. As the bright light shone, the stone tablet became more transparent, it turned into a wall of light. Inside the wall of light, there were several shadowy figures. And on the surface of the wall, there were several lines of words. Fang Yuan looked, the words were, "The indistinct figures in the stone tablet are the contents of the true inheritance. The inheritor just needs to retrieve them by putting their hands in." The final line was an instruction by Heifan, descendant of He tribe, inheritor of the inheritance, "May you achieve great things in life, do not let down the reputation of He tribe." Fang Yuan looked at it and sighed. Old ancestor Heifan had put in immense effort in setting up this true inheritance, he thought of every aspect. But a dead person was like an extinguished candle, even a legendary figure like himself could not predict everything in the future. The incredibly strong He tribe had been wiped out, and Heifan's true inheritance was taken by an outsider like Fang Yuan. The world had changed, times were different. New forces prosper while old forces vanish, this was the changing of eras. Fang Yuan settled his mood, he started acting according to the description on the wall. He stretched out his left hand, to enter the wall of light. The white light became brighter, as it shone on his left hand, Fang Yuan's left arm became transparent as well. Fang Yuan could see his skin, bones, flesh, and even his blood flowing in his vessels. A small obstruction could be felt ahead. Fang Yuan's left hand touched the wall of light, it was as if he was touching an icy wall. At the same time, he noticed, the white light shone on his blood and caused a reaction. His blood moved more quickly, the color also turned from bright red to dark red, before returning back to normal. Next, the wall in front of his left hand became soft like water. Fang Yuan's left hand easily got through the stone tablet like he was going into water. Fang Yuan, however, felt a chill in his heart, he thought, so close. This light wall is a test towards my blood. Thankfully, I made ample preparations, I integrated blood acid Immortal GU into familiar face and modified the killer move to disguise my blood as well. Otherwise, my efforts would have been in vain. This Heifan is so hard to deal with. Fang Yuan regained his cool, he started to assess this wall of light. From the outside, he could see that there were 4 shadows in the wall, they were uneven in placement. The largest shadow was like a ball, it was the size of a basin and was at the most central area of the wall. On the upper right corner, there was a sharp shadow, it resembled a rock. On the left side, there was also a shadow, it looked like intertwined threads. There was also one spot at the bottom, this shadow was the smallest, like a finger. Fang Yuan had worked so hard to obtain the famous Heifan's true inheritance, but the contents seemed to be quite minimal. Because of where he was standing, Fang Yuan's left hand went to the left of the wall of light, he grabbed towards the shadow closest to him. He held onto this thread-like shadow. The shadow had a rough feeling, Fang Yuan felt like he was touching an old tree branch. Next, Fang Yuan stretched out his hand and pulled out the mysterious shadow. Once out of the wall, the aura was exposed. Evidently, these were GU worms. These GU worms were coiled together, they had similar appearance, they were like ginseng roots, or tree roots. They were not immortal GU. They were just mortal GU. But even so, Fang Yuan's eyes shined, his breathing became rougher at once. Mortal and immortal GU were vastly different. Immortal GU were unique. Mortal GU could not compare to immortal GU, but there was a huge exception to this rule. That was lifespan GU. That's right, Fang Yuan pulled out a batch of lifespan GU. This was expected, yet unexpected. Earlier, when old immortal Chen Kai had asked Fang Yuan for benefits, he mentioned lifespan GU. Thus, Fang Yuan was mentally prepared for it. But to think there was so many. This is indeed a lot of lifespan GU. Fang Yuan began to refine the lifespan GU. Mortal GU could be refined using primeval essence. Even though the lifespan GU was not his, Fang Yuan had passed the test, he was the acknowledged inheritor. As the white light shone, Fang Yuan quickly refined these lifespan GU successfully. He found out, these lifespan GU grants 720 years of lifespan in total. Immense gains. Old Immortal Chen Kai had thought there would be at least 300 years worth of lifespan GU, but Fang Yuan could tell now that he had underestimated it. Heifan Grotto Heaven had over twice that amount of years worth of lifespan GU. These lifespan GU have great value. I can use them for myself, who in this world would complain about having longer lifespan? But I still have about 80 years to live, my lifespan is sufficient. Even if I do not use these lifespan GU, I can use them for transactions. In transactions between GU immortals, immortal essence stones were just basic currency. Lifespan GU had much greater value than immortal essence stones. No GU immortal would not want lifespan GU. In many high-end transactions, immortal essence stones were unusable, GU immortals only wanted lifespan GU. Lifespan GU was an absolute hard currency out there. After a long time of consideration, the lifespan GU were all refined, becoming Fang Yuan's property. Fang Yuan placed the handful of lifespan GU in his sovereign immortal aperture, keeping them securely. He was not planning to use these lifespan GU yet. Actually, it had been a long time since Heifan Grotto Heaven was created. It is not strange that so many lifespan GU were accumulated. When can my sovereign immortal aperture produce lifespan GU as well? Fang Yuan was rather fascinated by the prospect. But he knew that he was far from this goal at this point. Even though he was earning a lot of profits each month, those were his prior accumulations as an immortal zombie. His immortal aperture's development was still in the basic stage. Only when he gathers enough production and resources to sustain the feeding of all his immortal GU could those initial developments be considered complete. Fang Yuan suddenly thought of Langya Blessed Land. Compared to Langya Blessed Land, Heifan Grotto Heaven's existence is very short. Long Hair Ancestor was a person from 300,000 years ago, a legendary figure of the medieval antiquity era. Heifan Grotto Heaven has about 700 years of lifespan GU. Then how many years does Langya Blessed Land have? Thinking about this, Fang Yuan's eyes shined. Langya Blessed Land definitely has much more lifespan GU. No wonder Langya Land Spirit can use up some to feed wisdom GU. Fang Yuan could understand Heavenly Court's actions at once. In the 500 years of his previous life, Heavenly Court attacked Langya Blessed Land, even though they sacrificed Feng Juzhe, they went ahead without balking. Lifespan GU was likely one of the main reasons. Thinking about it, the geezers in Heavenly Court were lacking lifespan, they could only sustain their lives through sleeping. It was easy to see how much attraction lifespan GU had towards them. Fang Yuan's gaze returned to the center of the wall. This shadow was the largest. It is at the center. Is this a hint that this is the most precious treasure inside Heifan's true inheritance? Fang Yuan's heart jumped. He stretched out his left hand towards the wall of light. Soon, he touched that shadow. It had an icy feeling, but the shadow was not smooth on the surface, it had many protrusions and holes, it was like a handful of sesame. Fang Yuan tried to move it. Very heavy, normal human strength could not carry it. Fang Yuan activated his strength path mortal GU, after gaining strength, he took it out with one hand. After seeing this lump of shadow, Fang Yuan had a surprised look on his face. This was not one entity, it was the combination of countless bodies. It was a ball of ants. Black ants, all gathered to fill the size of a basin, that were extremely heavy. Countless black ants were collected in a ball shape, they were extremely compacted and tight. These ants were not ordinary ants, they were mortal GU. The previous item being mortal GU was fine, because it was lifespan GU, it had greater value than immortal GU from many GU immortals' perspectives. But this was also mortal GU. Fang Yuan felt perplexed and a bit confused. Based on his knowledge, he could not recognize what this GU worm was. But forget that, Fang Yuan felt that since it was part of Heifan's true inheritance, even as a mortal GU, it could not be bad. Thus, he began to refine it. Mortal GU could be refined using primeval essence. Fang Yuan was a GU immortal, he had unlimited primeval essence. Layers of black ants were refined by him, becoming his property. Under Fang Yuan's manipulation, the ants split apart, revealing the center of the ball. Oh, Fang Yuan's expression changed, his gaze became sharp, because he felt the aura of immortal GU. Actually, at the center of this ball of ants, there was something good. An immortal GU. Ordinary and mortal GU were finally completely refined, they landed on the ground, there was only one GU left in Fang Yuan's hands. Immortal GU. Compared to the other black ant mortal GU, it was many times larger. It had the form of an ant, it had feelers, small legs, a large abdomen, it looked very chubby. Is this the queen of the ant group? Fang Yuan guessed randomly. This immortal GU had a strong aura, it was at a high level, it was a rank 7 immortal GU. As for what it was, Fang Yuan did not know. He could not recognize it. But whatever, he was going to refine it first. Chapter 1129, He Fan's 4 Treasure 2 Halves. Refining immortal GU could not be done with primeval essence, he needed immortal essence. At this time, Fang Yuan took a look at the brass bell heavenly spirit, thinking about it, he directly used his green grape immortal essence to refine this GU. The brass bell heavenly spirit had no reaction, on the surface, Fang Yuan could not tell what mentality it had. It was just a bell after all, it had no expressions. The refinement process was very smooth, the rank 7 immortal GU resembling an ant queen did not resist, it cooperated with him. But it was still a rank 7 GU, Fang Yuan's green grape immortal essence was greatly expended. Now, my stockpile of green grape immortal essence has dropped again. Fang Yuan reminded himself. In this trip to obtain He Fan's true inheritance, he had consumed a lot of green grape immortal essence. His expenditure was mostly in battle, after all, other than myriad self, sword escape and flying sword immortal GU were rank 7, his sword path killer moves used rank 7 immortal GU as the cores. Even though the battles were not intense, his green grape immortal essence consumption was huge. After going back, I need to stock up on immortal essence, otherwise, I can't feel safe. A moment later, Fang Yuan refined this rank 7 immortal GU and kept it in his immortal aperture. There were only 2 shadows left in the wall of light. The shadow at the bottom had the smallest size, Fang Yuan left it to the end. He stretched his hand in and grabbed the shadow at the top right corner. This shadow was like a rock, but when Fang Yuan touched it for the first time, it reacted. This shadow was very cold. Fang Yuan took it out, it was indeed a piece of ice. The upper portion of the ice was sealing a GU worm. Naturally, Fang Yuan's attention was drawn to it. Even though it was sealed in ice without any aura leaking. But Fang Yuan's eyes shone, he could recognize this was an immortal GU, Year GU. It was like a ladybug, thumb size and black in color, there were golden markings on its shell. The golden markings were bright and shining, they showed images of a fierce beast growling, the sharp and menacing teeth left a deep impression. As for what beast it was unclear. Oh, Year GU, Fang Yuan sighed. This was a famous GU among Time Path Immortal GU. Fang Yuan had a deep impression towards it. Because it was very unique. When GU Immortals expend immortal materials, they could parallel refine a Year GU continuously. Normal refinement and reverse refinement were mainstream in refinement path, parallel refinement was very rare. GU worms that could be parallel refined were very rare. Year GU was one of them. Mortal level Year GU were less than 10 years. There was 1 Year GU, 2 Year GU, 5 Year GU, and others. When the Year GU rises to rank 6, it would become an immortal GU, unique in the world. Rank 6 Year GU were at least 10 years. A 10-year immortal level Year GU could be parallel refined using immortal materials, to make it 20 Year GU, 38 Year GU, or at its highest, 99 Year GU. 100 Year GU was rank 7, to refine a 10 Year GU to 100 Year GU, it was not parallel refinement but normal refinement to increase rank instead. Refinement in this case was tens to hundreds of times as difficult as parallel refinement, with equally low success rate. 1000 Year GU was rank 8, in theory, 10,000 Year GU would be rank 9, but in history there had never been a 10,000 Year GU. But rank 8,000 Year GU had existed before. The use of Year GU was very unique. Corresponding to the usage by the GU Immortal, the number of years would fall continuously. For example, a 50-year GU might become a 20-year GU after one use. There was a specification when using Year GU, that it should not go overboard. For example, if a 1000-year GU is used and becomes 900-year GU, it would fall from rank 8 to rank 7. To increase its rank again through refinement, it would be troublesome and risky. Strictly speaking, Year GU was a consumable immortal GU. But it was not a one-time consumable GU like Sovereign Immortal Fetus GU. It could be expended but replenished again. This was a very special case among GU worms. So He Fan had the immortal GU, Year, in his possession. One good thing about Year GU is that it has no issues in terms of food. It has the same food as Spring-Autumn Cicada, they both consume the water of the River of Time. However, how can I refine it? Fang Yuan was unsure. The Year GU in front of him was sealed by almost transparent ice. Fang Yuan looked at this ice, he felt that this ice was quite special too. Its effect was similar to fossilization or amber. It sealed the year immortal GU inside ice, so that it hibernated without leaking its aura. Why did He Fan seal year GU? Wait, this is... While observing, Fang Yuan had a new discovery. He realized that there was some flowing water sealed at the bottom of the ice. This is water. Fang Yuan shook it. He could clearly see that there was water flowing, he could even hear a soft sound. Water was sealed in ice, it was really quite strange. Fang Yuan's attention had been drawn to year GU earlier. In comparison, the flowing water was not eye-catching. At this moment, when Fang Yuan inspected it again, he realized, this ice was huge, year GU only occupied a small portion, the flowing water took more than half of the space below. It gave a feeling that the ice was not sealing year GU, but the water instead. To be given such treatment, is this flowing water a rank 9 immortal material that surpasses rank 8? Fang Yuan had a bold guess. Rank 9 immortal material, it could be used to refine rank 9 immortal GU. In this world, they were rare, having immense value. A portion of rank 9 immortal material being sealed like this was understandable. Fang Yuan could not find a way to remove the ice, he could only set it aside, he held it with his right hand as his left hand entered the wall of light again. This time, he went to the final shadow. Taking it out, it was a rank 5 information path mortal GU. The details recorded inside were about He Fan's true inheritance, it had immense value. Firstly, the introduction to the GU worms. Fang Yuan took his first glance and saw the information about the ant ball. So the rank 7 immortal GU at the center of the ant ball is the time path immortal GU, after. 1. After sounds the same as ant queen if you read it in Chinese. Rank 7 after immortal GU. The recorded information noted the specifications of feeding after immortal GU. The feeding of after immortal GU was quite unique. This immortal GU could eat anything. The feeding style was very unique too. It produced black and mortal GU on its own, it sent them out to feed on all sorts of immortal materials before using these nutrients on itself. Any sort of immortal material can feed after immortal GU. The point is not about the immortal materials, but in preserving these black and mortal GU. These black and mortal GU were tough and could devour immortal materials, digesting them and retaining the nutrients. But they were just mortal GU. Once too many of them were destroyed, the immortal GU, after, would starve. Even though the immortal GU could produce black and mortal GU, it could only produce one every month. If there were too few black and mortal GU, and after immortal GU could not be fed, it would die of hunger. After all, this immortal GU, after, could not feed itself. Fang Yuan felt enlightened, he continued reading, about the information on the ice. The ice itself was a newly created type of rank 8 immortal material, it was created by immortal Bing Ren. The latter was invited by He Fan and went ahead to seal his 2 immortal GU. One immortal GU was year GU, it was only rank 6. Fang Yuan had recognized it already. The other immortal GU was the flowing water. This was the greatest treasure within He Fan's true inheritance. It was named Years Flow Like Water, it was rank 8. Rank 8 Time Path Immortal GU, Years Flow Like Water. Rank 8 GU immortals were rare, rank 8 immortal GU were rarer, and had very great value. Many rank 8 GU immortals did not even have a single rank 8 immortal GU, they could not find one even after endless searching. He Fan was a legendary character, the formidable champion who led He tribe to a domineering state, but in his life, he only had one rank 8 immortal GU, Years Flow Like Water. Fang Yuan's situation was quite special. As of now, he was a rank 6 GU immortal, but he already had 3 rank 8 immortal GU. One was Attitude GU, one was Wisdom Sword GU, and now the third was Years Flow Like Water. Ordinary GU immortals usually had a lack of immortal GU. Fang Yuan's problem instead was that he had too many, and could not use them all optimally. Looking at some of his immortal GU like Wisdom Sword, he had not even started to use them yet. This rank 8 immortal GU, Years Flow Like Water, had one effect, that was to produce year GU. The more immortal essence expended by the GU immortal, the more year GU produced, they could even produce immortal level year GU. Of course, the rule of immortal GU being unique still holds. Right now, this rank 6 year GU was around, unless Fang Yuan used and expended it, he could not create an immortal level year GU from Years Flow Like Water. If year immortal GU still existed, no matter how much immortal essence Fang Yuan used, he could only get mortal year GU. Fang Yuan continued to read. Immortal GU Years Flow Like Water had 2 good points. One was that it had a low usage requirement, even rank 6 GU immortals could use it. As long as they used green grape immortal essence, they would receive year GU, even though the quantity was less than when using rank 7 or 8 immortal essence. The second point was that year's flow like water was easy to feed. It also fed on the water of the river of time, just like year GU and spring-autumn cicada. This solved Fang Yuan's greatest problem. The feeding of rank 8 immortal GU was a huge burden. However, year's flow like water had a flaw. This was clearly listed in the information path GU worm. Once the seal of year's flow like water was removed, its immortal GU aura would leak, year beasts would be lured towards it and would attack. Year beasts, a type of special fierce beast that were rare even in the 5 regions and 9 heavens, yet commonly seen in the river of time. In terms of battle strength, there were Desolate Beast, Ancient Desolate Beast, and Immemorial Desolate Beast level year beasts. The food of year beasts was year GU. The river of time was the paradise of time path GU worms. There were a vast number of wild time path GU worms in it. Year beasts were one of them. They ate year GU as food. The higher the rank of the year GU, the more year beasts would be attracted to hunt them. In fact, immortal level year GU could also lure year beasts to attack. Even placing the immortal level year GU inside the immortal aperture would not work. Because in ordinary immortal apertures, there was a tributary of the river of time. When year beasts smell the year GU, they would travel into the tributary from the river of time, and directly appear in the immortal aperture. Immortal level year GU had a huge attraction to the year beasts. Year's flow like water, which could endlessly produce year GU, had hundreds or thousands of times as much attraction as immortal level year GU for the year beasts. Precisely because of this, when He Fan set up the true inheritance, he sealed year GU and year's flow like water, not exposing a trace of their auras. At this point, Fang Yuan had completely understood what GU worms he had obtained. Next were the following important details. Or more accurately, the immortal killer moves. Chapter 1130. Usage of He Fan's GU. The introductions of countless immortal killer moves were displayed before Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan restrained his excitement. He inspected carefully. There were immortal killer moves that encompassed offense, defense, movement, healing, and other aspects. These were all time path immortal killer moves. The cores used were mostly year GU and after GU. Few of the immortal killer moves use the immortal GU year's flow like water as a core. Using a rank 8 immortal GU as a core of an immortal killer move would naturally produce incredible effects. In this regard, Fang Yuan had personal experience. He had familiar face. It was a legendary method that used the rank 8 attitude GU as the core. Of course, with Fang Yuan's rank 6 cultivation level, his green grape immortal essence could not activate year's flow like water. It was unlike attitude GU, which only needed mental energy to use. Attitude GU is the legendary immortal GU recorded in less than the legends of Ren Zhu greater than. In terms of ease of use, year's flow like water cannot compare to it. However, thinking about it, didn't He Fan give attitude GU away to He Feng Yu? These immortal killer moves were truly eye-opening to Fang Yuan. Many theories were involved. The coordination of GU worms was stated clearly. He only took a look, but he felt that he had already benefited greatly from the knowledge gained. There were more than 30 immortal killer moves. Some of the immortal killer moves were split between rank 6, 7, and 8 levels. In some of their descriptions, He Fan had also left behind his insight and experiences when creating and using them in the past. Bountiful Year. Fang Yuan's gaze was fixed. He discovered a rather interesting immortal killer move. Bountiful Year. This was the name of an immortal killer move. The core immortal GU used was immortal level year GU. There were tens of thousands of supplementary mortal GU. It was a tough process to activate the move. He Fan had left behind his experience in using it. Even for a legendary figure like him, when using this immortal killer move himself, he would need 2 or 3 days of preparation to execute it. The expenditure of immortal essence was huge, but Bountiful Year's effect was that for the next year, starting right from the moment of successful activation of the killer move, all of the resources inside the immortal aperture would be produced at a higher rate. This was an immortal killer move used to develop the immortal aperture. It was a very rare move, but it had great use and value. He Fan also praised this immortal killer move greatly. According to the description, he was not the creator of this immortal killer move. He had exchanged for it with a person called Pill Immortal. Fang Yuan took a closer look. Bountiful Year needed to use many mortal GU. If he wanted to prepare for it, he would need to buy them from Treasure Yellow Heaven. He was definitely going to use this killer move. But not only did he need a lot of immortal essence, there was a lot of expenditure in terms of year GU as well. The year GU that I have is only a little over the 100-year level. I need to parallel refine it until I can use bountiful year. Otherwise, if it falls to the level of immortal GU, that would be a severe loss. Fang Yuan continued to read. Among these killer moves, some had incredible power, some were extremely wondrous, but to Fang Yuan, they were not especially important. Fang Yuan had never forgotten about his true goal all along. That was to find a method to delay the calamities and tribulations in his immortal aperture. Days passed like years. His eyes flashed, he saw his target. This immortal killer move also used immortal level year GU as the core, with a huge number of supplementary day GU. Once used, it could slow down the time in the immortal aperture. Simply from the name itself, the effect was that one day in the immortal aperture would be extended to the length of a year. However, He Fan had noted with great caution, extending one day into the equivalent of a year was purely theoretical. The actual effect varied greatly based on circumstances. For example, a Strength Path GU Immortal with primarily Strength Path Dao marks would receive much lower effect when using this Time Path killer move. If a Time Path GU Immortal used it on themselves, like He Fan, the effect would be amplified by the GU Immortal's Time Path Dao marks, the effect would be much better. And also, using the same killer move on a low-grade Blessed Land and a high-grade Blessed Land would produce different results. Months passed like years. Fang Yuan continued to read. There was another immortal killer move that was very similar to days pass like years. It could also slow the rate of time in the immortal aperture, it could turn what would be 1 month in the immortal aperture into the duration of a year. The core GU was still immortal level year GU, but the supplementary GU were month GU now. Day GU, month GU, year GU. These were all time path GU worms that were closely related. Other than days pass like years and months pass like years, there were also 2 other immortal killer moves. They were called years pass like months and years pass like days. The former 2 were used to slow the time in the immortal aperture, the latter 2 were used to accelerate the time in the immortal aperture. Slowing the rate of time in the immortal aperture meant that the calamities and tribulations would be further apart. For example, in Fang Yuan's case, he had to undergo tribulation every 2 months in the outside world's time. After using days pass like years, he would only need to undergo the next tribulation in decades or even a century. Seeing this, Fang Yuan finally let out a sigh of relief. He felt great joy. In the first 3 earthly calamities, he was almost forced to his wit's end, he could only brace himself as he challenged them. But now he had this immortal killer move, the situation had changed. From now on, Fang Yuan could decide when to undergo tribulation, he could either delay or hasten it, there was a huge advantage in this. But right now, I do not need to slow the time in the immortal aperture. I should undergo tribulations, increasing my Dao marks and raising my cultivation level. With Chudu helping me, there is a high chance of passing. Fang Yuan thought. Once he slowed the immortal aperture's time, there were flaws. His resource would grow more slowly, Fang Yuan's cultivation level would also rise more slowly. Now, I should prepare these GU worms. The immortal GU are already here, but I need a huge quantity of day GU and month GU. Even if I buy them inside Treasure Yellow Heaven, I will need to spend a long time collecting them. He Fan's true inheritance did not leave behind any day GU, month GU, and mortal year GU. Fang Yuan had to purchase these mortal GU himself. Even though this task had its difficulties, as long as Fang Yuan was determined, he could achieve it. These 4 immortal killer moves form a set. They are specially used to alter the rate of time in the immortal aperture. He Fan, who created these killer moves, had incredible talent. At the end, He Fan even noted, if the inheritor could obtain immortal level day GU or month GU, these 4 immortal killer moves would not need to consume so many mortal day GU and month GU, the effect would even rise greatly. I was already extremely fortunate to have obtained immortal level year GU. As for immortal level day GU and month GU, I can forget about it. Fang Yuan was clear of the situation. His goal in this trip had been fulfilled, Fang Yuan was satisfied with it. He continued to look. Immortal killer move, years grant strength. Soon, Fang Yuan saw a very interesting killer move. This killer move used year GU as the core, it could grant the GU immortal immense physical strength. The more year GU expended, the greater the strength obtained. This was He Fan's own creation, he used time path GU worms to achieve a strength path effect. Immortal killer move, 100 years harmony. It also used year GU as the core, with a large number of supplementary information path mortal GU, to create an alliance agreement that could last for 100 years. This was a use of time path GU worms to unleash the might of information path. I can use this with Chudu, After all, our current alliance agreement was solely handled by him, it is not reliable. Fang Yuan rapidly had an idea. Immortal killer move, unlucky year. This was an immortal killer move that used year's flow like water as the core. Fang Yuan could not use it now, he could only look on in captivation. Using time path to achieve the mystical effect of luck path. This was an offensive killer move. Once the enemy was hit, they would experience a huge fall in luck for a year, nothing they do would go smoothly. As expected of He Fan, an expert even among rank 8 GU immortals. If he was born in the central continent 10 great ancient sects, he would definitely be invited into Heavenly Court, he would be an elite among Heavenly Court's GU immortals. To be able to use one's own path to mimic other paths and achieve their mystical effects, this was the symbol of a rank 8 expert. Ordinary rank 8 GU immortals could not reach this stage. He Fan's strength was similar to Heavenly Court's Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord. Heaven Overseeing Tower Lord was a rank 8 GU immortal cultivating wisdom path. But when Bo Qing awakened, and his sword lights were sent out over central continent, in order to fix Heaven Overseeing Tower, he actually used wisdom path methods. And the effect was even better than ordinary refinement path methods. This was using wisdom path to achieve the effects of refinement path. Oh, endless trouble, what move is this? Towards the end, Fang Yuan saw an immortal killer move. Its core was after immortal GU. Once the GU immortal activated it, they could delay the current calamity or tribulation to the time of the next one, and face them together. Fang Yuan's heart jumped. There was He Fan's advice left inside the description of this killer move. This killer move could not be used excessively, even though the calamity or tribulation would be delayed until the next one, it would anger Heaven's will, the following calamities or tribulations would increase greatly in strength. This immortal killer move was created by He Fan, but he only used it once and never again. To warn his descendants, He Fan intentionally gave a name like, Endless Trouble. I can only use it in emergencies, it is not a standard method, but it is definitely something very useful. Fang Yuan was surprised and joyful to have obtained this. Anger Heaven's will, he could not care less. Heaven's will was bent on killing him anyway. Fang Yuan's existence was the biggest cause of Heaven's will's anger to begin with. After spending some time, Fang Yuan finally finished reading the contents of the immortal killer moves. It was very comprehensive, there were even details about the development of an immortal aperture. In fact, there were even details about the mimicking of other paths, effects. Even though He Fan's true inheritance only had these few immortal GU. But by cooperating with mortal GU and forming countless immortal killer moves, the GU immortal could deal with any situation that arises. This was the norm in the cultivation world. Even though He Fan was strong, he was not even of one of the 10 extreme physiques. Thus, he raised very few GU worms, they were all time path GU worms, he could support them. The number of GU worms was not crucial, the GU immortal who uses them was most important. He Fan was the best example. Even though he only had 3 immortal GU, his use of GU could unleash incredible effects. There was no strongest immortal GU, only strongest GU immortal. This was what the sentence was referring to. Chapter 1131, He Fan's GU refinement. Compared to He Fan, even though I have many immortal GU, I am unable to use all of them to this extent. Fang Yuan reflected upon himself. He Fan's true inheritance gave him a lot of insight to his problems, but he did not waver. It is great that I can raise so many immortal GU as well. GU immortals placed great focus on their calamities and tribulations. The more they cultivated, the tougher the calamities and tribulations. He Fan had few immortal GU, his burden of feeding them was low, but he had many methods to deal with all sorts of situations. He accumulated his resources, even if he sold them, by storing up immortal essence stones, he could have a huge immortal essence stone stockpile. And He Fan had a tribe, a super force with the Huang Jin bloodline. He Fan liked to nurture descendants, he had a lot of immortal GU that were not too important. Before setting up the true inheritance, he had given them out to He tribe's GU immortals, or placed them into the treasury and passed them down. He Fan did not have one of the 10 extreme physiques, his immortal aperture had limited potential, the resources he could grow also had a limit. All in all, he fed just a few immortal GU and researched many killer moves for them, it was a very wise choice. But Fang Yuan was different. Different situations needed to be analyzed in depth. The first difference was his sovereign immortal aperture. The sovereign immortal aperture had immense potential, feeding GU was a burden, feeding immortal GU was a greater burden. But Fang Yuan could afford to do so, easily in fact. The second difference was that Fang Yuan was alone. He was alone, he only had to care for himself. He did not need to worry for a tribe, or give any attention to his descendants. This was the advantage of being a loner. The advantage of a tribe was shared resources and helping each other. But at He Fan's level, he was the one giving the tribe benefits. But He Fan had never thought of leaving the tribe. He had grown up in this tribal environment. During his growth, he had received a lot of help from the tribe, relationships, friendships, and kinship. He had all of them. He cared about the tribe, and his descendants. The environment that a person grows up in has a huge influence on them. And Fang Yuan was free and unrestrained. He had almost zero burden in this aspect. Even though he joined Langya sect, he was just making use of them. The third difference was that Fang Yuan had huge pressure in survival. He needed a lot of immortal GU. Immortal GU were unique. With a greater number of them in all aspects, they could deal with many situations. For example, he could use Flying Sword Immortal GU to attack, and Sword Escape Immortal GU to retreat. Even without killer moves, Fang Yuan could use Immortal GU to deal with many situations. In fact, having many Immortal GU was useful and helpful to the construction of Immortal killer moves. Immortal killer moves used core Immortal GU and supplementary Mortal GU. For example, Fang Yuan's Sword Marks Targeting Death, a Sword Path Immortal killer move, used Flying Sword Immortal GU as the core, and a small number of supplementary Sword Path Mortal GU. If Fang Yuan did not have Flying Sword Immortal GU, and only had Sword Escape Immortal GU, how would he use Sword Escape in place of Flying Sword to unleash Sword Marks Targeting Death? Sword Escape replacing Flying Sword was possible. Because the two were Sword Path Immortal GU, they were interchangeable on this basis. But the entire killer move, Sword Marks Targeting Death, would need to be heavily altered. Flying Sword was used as an attacking Immortal GU, it was easy to construct an offensive killer move with it. But Sword Escape was a movement Immortal GU. If it were to replace Flying Sword, the Mortal GU used for Sword Marks Targeting Death would need to be changed, and increased drastically in number. This way, when using Sword Marks Targeting Death, the process would be more lengthy and difficult, the failure rate would be higher, and it would have less feasibility as a whole. Looking at it overall, He Fan's development method suited most people, but it did not suit Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan's GU raising method was the most optimal for himself. But if other GU immortals mimicked him, they would be courting death. Fang Yuan continued to read. After the immortal killer moves, He Fan's true inheritance talked about mortal killer moves. There was an even greater number of these killer moves, a large portion of them were time path, but Fang Yuan basically had no need for them anymore. Immortal and mortal was vastly different. Maybe in the future, Fang Yuan could use these methods to probe other GU immortals in battle, but they had little use, because Fang Yuan already had a good number of exemplary mortal killer moves. He already had numerous blood path and strength path killer moves. These mortal killer moves might only have one use in the end, to be the foundation for deductions. After the mortal killer moves, there were some incomplete killer moves, including both immortal and mortal killer moves. The completion rate varied, some were even simply inspired ideas or guesses. These were things that He Fan had never completed even upon his death. Deducing killer moves was unavoidable and essential in a GU Immortal's cultivation journey. Fang Yuan took a look, nothing really caught his eye. His time path attainment level was too low, and he could not use Wisdom GU. Furthermore, Fang Yuan already had many useful methods, they were sufficient. As a result, his browsing of killer moves ended. After returning, I will need to spend a lot of time practicing these killer moves. Fang Yuan planned. The usage of killer moves could end in failure. If during an intense battle, the activation fails, the GU Immortal would suffer a backlash. If it was during a critical moment in battle, that would be terrible. One killer move's success or failure could directly affect the outcome of the battle, or even determine life and death itself. Thus, one had to be extremely familiar and proficient with their killer moves. This would use some funds as well. The supplementary mortal GU that made up the killer moves needed to be purchased. When practicing, activating immortal killer moves would expend immortal essence. And practicing would definitely occur more than once. All of these required money, money, money. Thus, the development of a GU Immortal's immortal aperture was extremely important in their cultivation. Finances were the foundation for military might. Fighting was dangerous, and with the threat of calamities and tribulations, unless huge benefits or conflicts were involved, GU Immortals usually preferred to live in peace instead. To practice so many killer moves, I need a lot of funds. Fang Yuan frowned, he felt both joy and worry. Of course, this was simply a blissful worry. Large numbers of immortal killer moves, even more mortal killer moves and incomplete killer moves. After looking at them, Fang Yuan moved on to GU recipes. Immortal GU recipes, among which, the first was the parallel refinement method of immortal level year GU. There were quite a few parallel refinement GU recipes. There were a total of 5, they could achieve parallel refinement and elevate year GU. At the back, He Fan even noted his experiences. He talked about the advantages and disadvantages of all 5 methods, and some tips when undergoing parallel refinement. Just the methods recorded here was incredibly insightful for Fang Yuan. Out of the 5 parallel refinement immortal GU recipes, the one He Fan used the most was the final one. This immortal GU recipe was created by He Fan in his later years. It used the least ingredients and had the highest success rate. It expended the least amount of time and mental energy as well. Overall, it used a large number of mortal level year GU and added them into the immortal level year GU, thus the effect was great. After developing this, He Fan almost abandoned the first 4 GU recipes. He used this parallel refinement method solely. But because of the comprehensive nature of He Fan's true inheritance, he recorded the 4 recipes into it regardless. Rank 8 immortal GU years flow like water can produce countless mortal year GU. These year GU can be used to parallel refine immortal level year GU, it is so convenient. Fang Yuan sighed as he continued looking. Next was the immortal GU recipe of refining after immortal GU. Fang Yuan already had this immortal GU, he only took one glance at it. Overall, the number of immortal GU recipes was quite shocking. There were nearly 100. And all of them were fully completed immortal GU recipes. Most were rank 6, some were rank 7, and there were only 2 or 3 rank 8 immortal GU recipes. In terms of path, most were time path, but there were also other paths like fire path and luck path. Compared to the immortal killer moves, these immortal GU recipes were more disorganized. There were recently created immortal GU recipes, there were also ancient recipes with extinct immortal materials, they could not be used anymore. Among all of the immortal GU recipes, He Fan placed the greatest emphasis on years flow like water. The rank 8 immortal GU years flow like water was actually the creation of He Fan. His inspiration was obtained by constantly parallel refining year GU. He Fan had described the entire process of refining years flow like water in great detail. In order to get enough immortal materials, he had expended the entire He tribe treasury, and used up a lot of favors and paid a huge price to ask 2 refinement path grade experts to help. In the end, he was still in a lot of debt. To refine years flow like water, He Fan had placed all of his effort into it. During the refinement process, he had suffered failure after failure, there was several times he wanted to give up. He Fan had recorded all of these mental states down, he was not afraid of his descendants laughing at him. This showed that He Fan had truly put his heart and soul into creating this true inheritance. In the end, because of his relatively good luck, after 9 failures, he finally succeeded. In his words, all of the difficulties and risks that He Fan faced when refining the rank 8 immortal GU was expressed in detail. Even after succeeding, He Fan did not recoup his losses for many years to come. He solemnly warned his inheritor to treasure the fruits of his predecessor's hard work greatly. If they cultivate to rank 8 in the future, when refining rank 8 immortal GU, they had to be extremely careful. Fang Yuan saw this and thought of old ancestor Shui Hu. Right now, this old fellow was also refining a rank 8 immortal GU. And this immortal GU was extremely precious, it was fortune rivaling heaven GU. According to what Lang Ya Land Spirit said, this immortal GU was created in Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's later years using the essence of luck path. Refining rank 8 was a huge gamble. Old ancestor Shui Hu had Ma Hong Yun as the main ingredient, it saved him a lot of costs. But even so, when gathering immortal materials, he had discarded his reputation, he went personally to Zombie Alliance to steal immortal zombie corpses, he even went to He tribe's treasury and looted it. The entire snowy mountain blessed land was in chaos because of his actions, everyone was worried. Yao Huang was also trying to refine resurrection from the dead immortal GU. According to the rumors in Northern Plains GU Immortal World, this immortal GU was also rank 8. Actually, everyone knew about the risks of refining a rank 8 immortal GU. But why did they still try? As a matter of fact, having a rank 8 immortal GU and not having one meant 2 completely different states. Rank 8 GU immortals had to undergo tribulations as well, they usually had low lifespan, many times, they had no choice but to take a risk. Old ancestor Shui Hu was doing this for his tribulation, while Yao Huang was trying to prolong his life. Calamities and tribulations could not hinder He Fan, but he had limited lifespan, he eventually died. Tribulations and lifespan. Fang Yuan knew that in his quest for eternal life, he had to get through these two tough problems. Chapter 1132. Taking over He Fan Grotto Heaven. After the immortal GU recipes, there were mortal GU recipes. There were many mortal GU recipes. Fang Yuan felt a little shocked seeing all of them. The ones worth looking at were the mortal GU recipes of day, month, and year GU. In accordance with these mortal GU recipes, Fang Yuan could buy his mortal materials and refine his own mortal level day GU, month GU, and year GU. This way, not only can I buy these mortal GU in Treasure Yellow Heaven, I can also refine them myself. This would no doubt greatly reduce my preparation. But it is a waste for me to do the refinement myself, I should ask the hairy men in Langya sect to do it. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan frowned uncontrollably. His relationship with Langya sect had already turned cold, he would need to improve their relationship if he were to ask them for help. Forget about these for now, Fang Yuan continued to look at He Fan's true inheritance. After Immortal GU recipes and Mortal GU recipes, there were some incomplete GU recipes. They had varying completion rates, some were 90%, stuck at a crucial step. Some were at 10 to 20%, they were at the initial stages of creation. Immortal GU, before. Fang Yuan's gaze halted. Among the incomplete Immortal GU recipes, the before Immortal GU recipe was only 57% complete. Before Immortal GU, after Immortal GU, they were related Immortal GU. Evidently, in He Fan's lifetime, after obtaining after Immortal GU, he had greatly desired before Immortal GU. Unfortunately, even until his death, he did not succeed. Next was He Fan's recorded experiences in deducing these GU recipes. He talked about the difficulties of deduction, he told his inheritor not to be afraid of difficulty and to persevere. At the same time, he talked about the importance of inspiration. Thus, behind this, He Fan wrote about some tricks and tips. Like using Wisdom Path Inspiration GU, and Light Path a Flash of Inspiration GU, to help him with the deduction. Looking at this, Fang Yuan smiled. He was a Wisdom Path Grandmaster, he had obtained Dongfang Chongfan's Wisdom Path True Inheritance, he dominated He Fan in this aspect. He Fan's experiences in this aspect were quite shallow from Fang Yuan's perspective. Everyone had their own field of expertise, even though He Fan was skilled, he had his weak points too. Like how Giant Sun Immortal Venerable and Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable looked to Long Hair Ancestor for help to refine Immortal GU. After killer moves and GU recipes, there were He Fan's own cultivation experiences. Among this, there were maps, including the 5 regions and even White Heaven and Black Heaven, they had huge value in terms of reference. Of course, Northern Plains map was the most detailed, the other 4 regions were more simple. Fang Yuan placed the most attention on the maps of White Heaven and Black Heaven, this had broadened his horizons. Some strong rank 7 GU immortals and all rank 8 GU immortals would often explore Black Heaven and White Heaven, scavenging for resources within. As an expert among rank 8s, He Fan was no exception. After the maps, there were lots of secrets regarding the GU immortal world. Like Imperial Court Blessed Land and 88 Truyong Building, there was the most information about these. But they were useless now. And He Fan's own conjectures. What attracted Fang Yuan the most was one of them. He Fan was suspicious that a Time Path GU immortal had inherited Red Lotus, True Inheritance. From this record, Fang Yuan could sense that He Fan had a huge desire towards Red Lotus, True Inheritance. This was expected, he was a Time Path great expert, he naturally sought out and looked up to the number 1 Time Path True Inheritance in the world. The final important point was He Fan's own ideas and experimentation on the development of an immortal aperture. Using his own situation as an example, he clearly stated how calamities and tribulations, Tao marks, and immortal aperture helped each other in an intrinsic relationship, and how to modify the immortal aperture's environment, like how to alter the rate of time inside. There was also the management of the immortal aperture, and the selling of resources. The important point here was year GU. Back then, after He Fan refined rank 8 immortal GU years flow like water, he started selling mortal level year GU, it became his most lucrative business. In just a few months, he became the biggest year GU vendor in the world, he was earning huge profits. With this rank 8 immortal GU, he had an unceasing gold mine. However, He Fan had also stated the possibility of the attack of year beasts. How to deal with the year beast attacks, how to capture year beasts, how to dissect year beasts, and how to sell year beasts. There was also the relationship between year beasts and the immortal aperture and others. Fang Yuan looked on with a frown. In He Fan's immortal aperture, because of years flow like water, immemorial level year beasts had once went in. They had rank 8 battle strength. He Fan spent a lot of effort in killing them. Because he fought in his immortal aperture, the result was immense losses. Many times, He Fan felt pain due to his losses. After a painful lesson, He Fan started to research on how to seal years flow like water, and conceal its aura when not using it. He found and invented many methods, that were all recorded in the true inheritance. He had made great achievements. However, He Fan warned the inheritor to be careful on something, that was to use immortal Gu years flow like water carefully when in battle. Once they fought against a strong foe and lured an immemorial year beast over to attack their immortal aperture, they would be in deep trouble. It seems that I need to be very careful when using years flow like water. If I am careless and heavens will uses this opportunity to lure immemorial year beasts to me, I would die. Fang Yuan was only rank 6, he could not fight against a rank 8 level existence. With a huge difference in strength, there would be no unexpected lucky circumstances that could save him. His consciousness returned from the mortal letter Gu, Fang Yuan let out a breath. He Fan's true inheritance is truly the work of a time path great expert, he lives up to his name. Fang Yuan praised, but the difficulty to inherit this is too high. Precisely because of the difficulty, He tribe's descendants worked hard but did not succeed. In the end, Fang Yuan took advantage of it and obtained the fruits of his labor. Don't look at how easy of a time Fang Yuan had, it had many preconditions. Like attitude Gu and familiar face, he even had Chu Du's help to obtain the heavenly crystal eagle nest. However, according to the logic of the Gu immortal world, the inheritances left behind by people of He Fan's level are usually this difficult. For example, Nyen tribe's Nyen sword saint through inheritance. An inheritor would only appear every few hundred years, the current one was Nyen Pingji. He Fan and Nyen sword saint were people who left their names in history, they were prideful people, they were unwilling to have their inheritances obtained by useless people that would tarnish their reputation, they set difficult requirements to choose a worthy successor, it was normal. Next, I have to take over this He Fan grotto heaven. Fang Yuan looked at the brass bell heavenly spirit, signaling to it. At the next moment, the brass bell heavenly spirit slowly flew towards Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan smiled. When he inherited He Fan's true inheritance, he became the owner of He Fan Grotto Heaven, he could naturally command this brass bell heavenly spirit. The regretful thing was, He Fan Grotto Heaven had absorbed the immemorial azure heaven fragment, it made the brass bell heavenly spirit mindless and unresponsive, Fang Yuan could not manipulate it easily, it was hard to communicate, it was worse than Hu Immortal Land Spirit. Fang Yuan first looked at Immortal Succession Mountain. This mountain had many pavilions on it. Each one had an inheritance in it. Some of the inheritances were mortal level, while some were left by Gu Immortals. The Gu Immortals originally in He Fan Grotto Heaven had ascended Immortal Succession Mountain when they were mortals, after getting the inheritances, they slowly cultivated their way up. Unfortunately, their generations of development were in vain, Fang Yuan killed all of them on this day. Fang Yuan inspected and realized that Immortal Succession Mountain had a few inheritances left. Most of the stone pavilions were empty already. He kept all of these inheritances. He was the owner of the Grotto Heaven now, everything inside was his. These inheritances were no different. However, these inheritances were mostly mortal inheritances, there were only 3 Gu immortal inheritances. Among which, 2 of them did not have any immortal Gu, but they had a few immortal Gu recipes. The last Gu immortal inheritance had 1 immortal Gu left, it was called Bone Spike, it was a bone path offensive Gu worm. After ransacking Immortal Succession Mountain, Fang Yuan looked at the huge world in this place. He Fan Grotto Heaven had countless resources, the map in the True Inheritance had talked about He Fan Grotto Heaven's resource distribution, but after so many years, and after nurturing so many Gu Immortals, the resource map was no longer applicable to its current state. And the Brass Bell Heavenly Spirit could not communicate. Thankfully, Fang Yuan had captives. Even though he killed all of the Gu Immortals, he had preserved their souls, right now, all of them were locked up in his immortal aperture. Soul Search. A while later, Fang Yuan knew He Fan Grotto Heaven like the back of his hand. Other than a few areas that ancient desolate beasts and ancient desolate plants were living in, there were some forbidden grounds. These Gu Immortals inside He Fan Grotto Heaven were locals, after tens of generations, how could they know nothing about He Fan Grotto Heaven? In the process of soul searching, Fang Yuan also learned about the inheritances and cultivation experiences of these Gu Immortals. Blood light spirit suppression, heaven's will. Fang Yuan inspected Zheng Tuo, Zhou Min, and Feng Jun's souls. He realized their scheme. Fang Yuan was glad that he struck quickly, otherwise, if he waited, these three immortals might have actually succeeded. Chu Du snatched the heavenly crystal eagle nest away, while Fang Yuan had attitude Gu and familiar face. Heaven's will knew about all these. Most importantly, Heifan Grotto Heaven had absorbed a piece of an immemorial azure heaven fragment. Heaven's will could look into the grotto heaven. The immortal killer move blood light spirit suppression that Feng Jun had suddenly created was quite suspicious. Fang Yuan assumed that this was likely Heaven's will's influence. Thankfully, Fang Yuan took action after getting the heavenly crystal eagle nest. He went to obtain Heifan true inheritance in the shortest time possible. I have to move away all of the resources inside Heifan Grotto Heaven, and put them in my immortal aperture. This place is not safe. As for Heifan Grotto Heaven, I will give it to Chu Du. The value of the Grotto Heaven itself is already 30% of Heifan true inheritance's value. As for what Heaven's will would do to Chu Du, Fang Yuan could not care less. He had already given the method of self-will Gu to Chu Du. He did not have to worry about Heaven's will influencing Chu Du's thoughts. In the next few days, Fang Yuan went through a thorough inspection. The entire distribution of living habitats, the cooperation and coexistence between resources, some complemented each other while others restrained each other. These were all precious knowledge that Fang Yuan could learn in order to manage his own immortal aperture. He was lacking in this aspect. In the 500 years of his previous life, he had low aptitude. Blood Path Gu immortals were skilled in fighting but were not good in immortal aperture management. Especially large immortal apertures, Fang Yuan had no experience in managing them. Not to mention the sovereign immortal aperture. Right now, Heifan Grotto Heaven was like an encyclopedia placed in front of him. Chapter 1133, Ransacking the entire Grotto Heaven. In the next few days, Fang Yuan went around almost the entirety of Heifan Grotto Heaven. His consciousness was covering the surroundings, observing as he researched. Sometimes, Fang Yuan felt that it was as if Heifan was teaching him personally across time and space. There was an incredibly detailed explanation in Heifan's true inheritance. The Heifan Grotto Heaven in front of him was a real-life example. He could interact with and excavate information from it. He could also observe it. If there were any differences, Fang Yuan would soul-search those captive Gu immortals. This made him understand the process and secrets of the prosperity and dwindling of species in a long span of time. Heifan's talent made Fang Yuan feel deep admiration. He had benefited greatly from it. Regarding the development of the sovereign immortal aperture, Fang Yuan now had many new bold ideas. When Fang Yuan was certain that he had already understood the structure of the entirety of Heifan Grotto Heaven, he started to move resources. First were the heavenly crystals. Heifan Grotto Heaven's first forbidden ground was the heavenly crystal storage pool. This pool was built in the sky, it covered an enormous area, and was surrounded in layers of Gu formations. But the heavenly crystals only occupied the small area at the center. The heavenly crystals produced in Heifan Grotto Heaven were light azure in color. Heavenly crystals had different colors depends on where they were produced. Fang Yuan placed this storage pool into mini azure heaven. It is a pity that this storage pool can only produce heavenly crystals in a grotto heaven. My sovereign immortal aperture is only a blessed land, it cannot do anything inside here. However, the light azure heavenly crystals in the storage pool in that heavenly crystal eagle nest should last 5 to 6 years for me. Fang Yuan assessed, with the addition of these crystals, he would have no problems in feeding the upper extreme heavenly eagle. Heavenly crystals were not easy to buy in Treasure Yellow Heaven. The second forbidden area was underground. This was a huge cave. There was stalactites growing in the cave. The most valuable one were the hibiscus stalactites. It was rare in the outside world, but a lot were growing here. Fang Yuan spent some effort, digging out the entire cave and transplanting it into mini southern border. Thankfully, he had pulling mountain immortal Gu, otherwise, this second forbidden area would be hard to deal with. But after I do this, when the stalactites grow, they would need to absorb the earth chi inside the sovereign immortal aperture. It would increase the sovereign immortal aperture's earth chi expenditure. Once in a while, I will need to place down the immortal aperture and replenish earth chi. Other than these natural resources, there were ancient desolate beasts and ancient desolate plants. Among the ancient desolate plants, there was one walking meat tree. This tree was a rare strength path plant. It usually grew in Black Heaven. In order to cultivate it, Heifan specially enclosed a portion of Heifan Grotto Heaven, creating a condition of darkness. Around the walking meat tree, Heifan specially created a habitat that suited its growth. The walking meat tree's branches were very peculiar, they were like soft and thick octopus tentacles. With a light whip, they could send desolate beasts flying. Fang Yuan had once seen one in starry sky grotto heaven, this was his second encounter, he sighed. He had once wished he could get a walking meat tree, because he could use Eat Strength Immortal Gu to increase his strength path Dao marks. But now, he had the walking meat tree, but Eat Strength Immortal Gu was destroyed, it was truly untimely. Fang Yuan placed the walking meat tree into mini black heaven within the sovereign immortal aperture. The sovereign immortal aperture's advantage was starting to show. He Fan had to make meticulous arrangements to plant the walking meat tree. Fang Yuan did not need to do this, because mini black heaven's environment was close to the real immemorial black heaven. The walking meat tree was very pleased after the relocation, it stretched out its branches comfortably. Because He Fan had specialized methods, Fang Yuan had an easy time relocating these ancient desolate plants. The same went for the other desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts living in He Fan Grotto Heaven. Using methods in He Fan's true inheritance, Fang Yuan could lure these desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts into his immortal aperture with no trouble. What was worth mentioning was that among the ancient desolate beasts in He Fan Grotto Heaven, there were 3 remnant heavenly dogs. Unfortunately, Fang Yuan needed dog desolate beasts, not ancient desolate beasts. He needed their feces to feed the rank 6 dog shitluck immortal Gu. But these 3 remnant heavenly dogs were not useless. In the future, if Fang Yuan raised dog shitluck immortal Gu to rank 7, its food would change drastically. At that time, the remnant heavenly dog's feces would be useful. Fang Yuan's relocation was very efficient, in the entire process, the brass bell heavenly spirit followed beside him. Fang Yuan was the grotto heaven's owner, the heavenly spirit would cooperate with everything he did without resistance. After half a month, Fang Yuan finally emptied He Fan Grotto Heaven. Even the empty immortal succession mountain was not left alone, Fang Yuan moved it into mini southern border. Originally, there were large numbers of Gu masters and mortals living in He Fan Grotto Heaven. They were all the descendants of He tribe's criminal immortals. Fang Yuan killed all of them, collecting their souls, planning to feed them to Dang Hun Mountain. What made Fang Yuan feel slight regret was, He Fan Grotto Heaven did not have any variant humans. When Grotto Heavens or blessed lands reach a certain stage, the Gu immortals would start rearing variant humans inside. Even though He Fan could do this, he did not. Even though there were no variant humans, and most of the common cultivation resources were expended by the Gu immortals inside He Fan Grotto Heaven, Fang Yuan still had immense gains. All of the resources in He Fan Grotto Heaven were placed into the sovereign immortal aperture. From a desolate state, it was starting to gain life. This is a huge breakthrough. If I were to work at it myself, to get the sovereign immortal aperture to this stage of development, I would need 600 years. And that is the best case scenario. Now after taking in He Fan Grotto Heaven's resources, I have directly reached this stage. He Fan Grotto Heaven had existed for a long time, it had accumulated a great amount of resources. After all, this was the accumulation of a rank 8 Gu immortal's wealth. Even though a lot was used up, and it was not at its prime, Fang Yuan still benefited greatly. For example, the sovereign immortal aperture previously was like a pauper, even the immortal Gu were starving. But now, he had inherited the wealth of a billionaire, he turned into a billionaire instantly. Now, the resources inside the sovereign immortal aperture definitely surpasses most rank 7 Gu immortals in terms of value. Even by the standards of rank 8 Gu immortals, I might barely be able to reach them. Of course, a lot of the resources have just been moved into the sovereign immortal aperture. With a change in environment and a fall in time path Dao marks, their production would greatly reduce, they might even wither and die. The beasts and plants need to adapt to the new environment, and my sovereign immortal aperture also needs to assimilate them slowly. Among which, I can't use some of the resources, I should sell them in exchange for the things I need. Moving all of the resources was just the start. Next, Fang Yuan was going to get busy with his development and management. A few days later, Fang Yuan brought Chudu into He Fan Grotto Heaven. After getting your letter, I came here immediately. This is He Fan Grotto Heaven. Why is it so barren? Chudu had just arrived in He Fan Grotto Heaven, he looked around with a surprised and disappointed look. There was almost nothing in He Fan Grotto Heaven. Even the grasslands were dug up by Fang Yuan, it was literally empty. There were no trees as well, of course. And the rivers and pools were all moved into the sovereign immortal aperture using pulling water immortal Gu as well. The scenic He Fan Grotto Heaven had become desolate as ever, when winds blew, sand flew into the air, it was a dismal sight. Chudu looked at Fang Yuan with a flickering gaze. His expression seemed to be saying, "Brother, isn't your appetite too big? I rushed here to see this." Fang Yuan smiled, pointing at the sky. "Brother Chu, according to our alliance agreement, I will pay you 30% of my gains. Heifan Grotto Heaven is yours now." Chu Du heard this and his expression changed. He looked at Fang Yuan in shock. "Are you serious?" "Of course." Fang Yuan nodded. Chu Du was greatly enticed. Even though the resources inside the Grotto Heaven were taken by Fang Yuan, this was still a Grotto Heaven. Resources and Grotto Heaven were like eggs and the chicken respectively. Fang Yuan took the eggs, he left the chicken to Chu Du. Chu Du squinted, his eyes were flickering with sharp light. He could not reject it. The reason? Because controlling this Grotto Heaven was an immense help to Chu Du's cultivation. Even though Chu Du also had an immortal aperture, it was only a blessed land, be it time path or space path resources, they could not compare to a Grotto Heaven. And this was Heifan's Grotto Heaven. Chu Du's blessed land also had lots of cultivation resources, but it was not safe to place his resources there. Because of calamities and tribulations. Calamities and tribulations would destroy the immortal aperture's resources when targeting the GU immortals as well. Chu Du had rank 7 cultivation level, he had passed many calamities and tribulations, he knew the trouble and pain of getting his resources destroyed by calamities and tribulations. He did not have the great strength true martial physique, his blessed land space was limited. It was unlike Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture, it was too big, even after taking in Heifan's resources, there was still a lot of space left. Fang Yuan could freely choose a place inside it with no resources to undergo his tribulation, but Chu Du could not. Heifan Grotto Heaven has no calamities and tribulations, because this immortal aperture has absorbed a fragment of immemorial azure heaven. I can place my resources inside here, of course, there are few strength path Dao marks here, I will need to decide this carefully in the future. Chu Du assessed. Lu Guanyi handed over Heifan Grotto Heaven to me, other than completing our agreement, it is also because this Grotto Heaven itself is a problem. Chu Du was not stupid, he quickly realized. He had taken the heavenly crystal eagle nest, everyone knew that Heifan's true inheritance was in his hands. In truth, the one who obtained Heifan's true inheritance was Fang Yuan. Except that he was in the background, while Chu Du occupied the Grotto Heaven. If anything happened in the future, Fang Yuan would not be in trouble, but Chu Du would. Even if Heavenly Lord Baizu attacks, I will take over Heifan Grotto Heaven. How can I, the great domination immortal, be afraid of a small risk? Thinking of this, Chu Du spoke, agreeing. Good, as expected of the domination immortal. Fang Yuan clapped, praising. But next, when handing over Heifan Grotto Heaven, there was a tiny problem. The brass bell heavenly spirit was unwilling to. It was because Chu Du did not have He tribe's bloodline. Ignorant thing. Fang Yuan smiled sinisterly, destroying the defenseless brass bell heavenly spirit with one hit. The problem was immediately solved. Chapter 1134. Battling Falling Star Hound. After the transaction, Heifan Grotto Heaven changed owners. Even though Chu Du asked him to stay, Fang Yuan was insistent on leaving. He had stayed in Heifan Grotto Heaven for too long, Fang Yuan had to start preparing for his fourth earthly calamity. Of course, before leaving, he used the immortal killer move 100 Years Harmony to create a new alliance agreement with Chu Du. Fang Yuan left quickly, Chu Du was left behind, feeling a huge headache looking at the barren Heifan Grotto Heaven. Traveling back, he returned to Langya Blessed Land. Oh, look, Fang Yuan is back. A hairy man Gu immortal who was inside Langya Blessed Land saw Fang Yuan who was flying in the sky. Does it matter if he is back? That's right, there is no difference if Langya sect has him or not. He is a human Gu immortal after all, he is not one of us. Ignore him, let's continue planning on how to take down that falling star hound. Soon, these hairy man Gu immortals lowered their heads, continuing to discuss their tactic. Fang Yuan looked down, his gaze sweeping past these hairy man Gu immortals. Even though they were far away, Fang Yuan had investigative methods, he heard what they were saying. At once, Fang Yuan's gaze turned eerie. He had spent a lot of time searching for Heifan's true inheritance, the fourth earthly calamity was close. Fang Yuan was planning to undergo this earthly calamity himself. Even though getting Chu Du's help was safer, Reckless Savage's true meaning would also be split. Fang Yuan would definitely want to take the benefits for himself if possible. Only when he is unable to do so would he think of other ways. And just now, he obtained Heifan's true inheritance, his strength rose greatly, he was confident in dealing with the fourth earthly calamity alone. But to undergo tribulation, I need Langya sect's Immortal Tribulation Tempering Aperture. I will need to borrow Immortal GU and Mortal GU from Langya Land Spirit. With my current relationship with Langya Land Spirit, he will not lend it to me, unless I provide a huge gain like selling Danghun Mountain. Looking at it, I should use my remaining time to complete that sect mission of taking down the falling star hound. Firstly, it can improve our relationship. Secondly, I can gain a lot of sect contribution points to pay for borrowing GU. Fang Yuan did not return to his Cloud City, he flew straight to the first Cloud City. There, he met with Langya Land Spirit. Oh, you still remembered to come back. Langya Land Spirit did not speak in a pleasant tone, he had a cold attitude. Fang Yuan sighed, he showed a bitter expression. Please understand, First Supreme Elder, I had my reasons. Earlier, I was not ignoring it, I simply had no time or effort. After going out this time, I resolved my crisis. The moment I returned, I heard the Supreme Elders taking down the falling star hound. I rushed here to get this mission from you, First Supreme Elder, at the first moment. Oh, Langya Land Spirit heard this and stopped frowning. This means you are going to do it. Fang Yuan smiled bitterly again. I have been wanting to accept the mission, I am a member of Langya sect after all. But the circumstances did not allow me to, I had no choice. Now that I can spare the effort, I want to do something for the sect. His acting skills with attitude GU immediately took effect. Langya Land Spirit felt that Fang Yuan was speaking the truth, he was sincere and apologetic. Langya Land Spirit's expression soothed, he was about to agree, but he quickly changed his words. It will be troublesome if you want to accept this mission. Earlier, 12th Hair and the rest have already coordinated, they are going to strike. Last time, even though they failed, they had gained great experience, both sides had suffered a loss. They are likely going to succeed now. If you want to take this mission, regardless of whether you succeed, you will conflict with them first. Fang Yuan was only an outsider, 12th Hair and the rest were true Hairy Man GU Immortals, they were part of the Hairy Men. Langya Land Spirit naturally would side with 12th Hair and the rest. Fang Yuan nodded. So that's it. How about this, let them take the mission first, if they cannot complete it, I will help out, is that okay? Langya Land Spirit thought about it, nodding, okay. Fang Yuan said again, I hope First Supreme Elder can announce this. Langya Land Spirit did as he said. Once he announced it, there was a commotion in Langya sect. That Fang Yuan is finally going to fight. HMPH, he sees that we are succeeding, so he wants to attempt it. Despicable scoundrel. Disregarding the fact that he is despicable, the reward for taking down the falling star hound has risen to over 1,000. Whoever completes it will gain the greatest benefit. Oh 12th, you must succeed, don't let that Fang Yuan take advantage. The Hairy Man GU Immortals had mutual animosity towards him. 12th Hair nodded, subconsciously clenching his fists, thinking, I must succeed, we prepared amply, I will not let everyone down. His previous fight gave the Hairy Men lots of confidence. 12th Hair was prepared to attack in 2 days' time. But because of this matter, he decided to be more safe, and prepare himself better. 7 days later, Fang Yuan received notification that 12th Hair and the rest were about to attack. He went uninvited, gathering with 12th Hair and the rest. Elder Fang Yuan. 6th Hair went ahead and spoke to Fang Yuan in a strange tone. His true identity was Shadow Sect spy, but even if Fang Yuan exposed him, nobody would believe it. Because he had made a deal with Fang Yuan, they were in the same boat, he was fearless. Last time, he was ordered to represent Ying Wuxie in transacting with Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan had the upper hand, he had suffered immensely. Fang Yuan did not go and challenge the falling star hound. 6th Hair managed to stir up the Hairy Men and direct their attention to it, causing their relationship with Fang Yuan to worsen. Elder Fang Yuan, I know why you are here, but this time, you will be disappointed. 12th Hair walked forward, puffing his chest, he was filled with confidence. He spoke in a normal tone, he was frank and upright unlike the underhanded 6th Hair. Fang Yuan looked at 12th Hair, he saw that this Hairy Man GU Immortal had evidently changed. He was more confident and secure than before. Fang Yuan assessed. 12th Hair cultivates refinement path along with enslavement path. This time, to deal with the falling star hound, he had been the leader. He was heavily injured before and had to rest in bed for some time. After these obstacles, he has improved drastically, his mental state has also become much more developed. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan smiled as he replied, then I will await Brother 12th's victory. HMPH, hypocrite. He seems to have given up on the surface, but he must be anxious on the inside, right? Hee hee. The other hairy man GU immortals could not stand Fang Yuan's words, they were muttering. Fang Yuan heard their words and ignored it. The group was standing in the center of the main formation. The hairy men were standing close together, Fang Yuan was the only outcast. Stay alert, I am about to activate the GU formation. 12th hair said. He took a glance at Fang Yuan. With one more person, the immortal essence expenditure is definitely going to be higher. The hairy man GU immortals had calm expressions, they had already used this teleportation GU formation many times, they were used to it. The GU formation gradually activated, it gave off dazzling lights. Fang Yuan watched silently. The teleportation sub-formation in Taichu was placed by him. Fang Yuan had returned to Langya Blessed Land using the teleportation GU formation. When he used it alone, it was easy, but he could see that these hairy man GU immortals had much more trouble in activating it. 12th hair continued to expend immortal essence. After a long while, the GU formation finally activated. Dazzling lights blinded everyone's vision, with a huge mystical force, it reacted. In the blink of an eye, the immortals looked around and realized they were in Taichu. Fang Yuan turned around, the huge elephant corpse was indeed behind him. The immortal essence expenditure did not increase by a lot, it seems that Fang Yuan does not have a deep Daomark foundation. He is probably more experienced than us in battle techniques only. 12th hair glanced at Fang Yuan, showing some disdain in his gaze. We can only win this time, we cannot lose. Let's go. 12th hair waved, shouting loudly. The hairy man GU immortals responded, they had high morale. They started their journey, Fang Yuan tailed behind them. In order to not cause conflicts, Fang Yuan purposely stayed behind, not getting close to these hairy man GU immortals. Before they advanced by a lot, Fang Yuan found his target. A falling star hound that has not reached maturity. Fang Yuan was slightly surprised, he saw that the hairy man GU immortals were charging towards it. Dog, we will definitely beat you. 12th hair shouted loudly, battle intent surging in him. The falling star hound howled, it lowered his body as its hill-like body burst forward with incredible speed. The hairy man GU immortals were scattered by this attack. 12th hair was in a very difficult state, he shouted in anger, beast, you dare to sneak attack us. Come, let's battle for 300 rounds. Saying this, 12th hair clapped his hands as a blue light expanded from his hands, forming a blue lake in the sky. From the lake, water spewed out, as 3 desolate beasts came out from the bottom of the lake. 1 yak, 1 tiger, and 1 bear. It was a chestnut yak, a golden white tiger, and a diamond bear. The 3 desolate beasts went towards the falling star hound, engaging in an intense battle on the giant grass. This was a deep area of Taichu, the giant grass was extremely tall, even the falling star hound and diamond bear was not as tall as the strands of giant grass. 12th hair controlled the 3 desolate beasts, drawing the falling star hound's attention. The other hairy man GU immortals were hiding in the giant grass, attacking the falling star hound from a distance. Fang Yuan watched from an even greater distance. He could evidently see many traces of intense battle in this battlefield. The hairy man GU immortals' performance was quite impressive. They were skillful and had improved from earlier. Even though it was still quite bad, their improvement was very apparent. The falling star hound had not reached maturity, but it could fight with these hairy man GU immortals evenly. Fang Yuan smiled, looking at the sky. He thought to himself, I am here, heavens will, how will you deal with me this time? Chapter 1135, Don't be a disturbance. Boom. With a loud boom, the falling star hound crashed into the diamond bear. The diamond bear was only a desolate beast, but it had a robust body, it blocked the falling star hound like a wall. It was hit by the falling star hound, it moved back 5 or 6 steps, but it still stood firmly. The falling star hound moved back by a huge step, its head was spinning. It shook his head, clearing its mind. During this period of time, 5 or 6 killer moves shot out from the giant grass, impacting on the falling star hound's body. The falling star hound cried out in pain, its flesh was cut open from the attacks. Fang Yuan watched coldly from the side. It seems that not just 12th hair, the other hairy man GU immortals have also learned to use their immortal killer moves. But these immortal killer moves mostly only have 1 core immortal GU, they are at rank 6 level. After the falling star hound was attacked for a long time, even though its flesh was torn open, it was only lightly injured. It was an ancient desolate beast, even as an infant which had not reached maturity, it still had incredible defense and recovery abilities. I cannot fail this time, Fang Yuan will see me as a joke. 12th hair concentrated, he was filled with unprecedented determination. The three desolate beasts seemed to be able to sense their master's feelings, they were filled with battle intent. Under 12th Hair's manipulation, the diamond bear with the sturdiest body resisted attacks, while the golden white tiger assisted it. As for the chestnut yak, even though it was very weak, it could cause some interferences on the side. 12th Hair is directing the desolate beasts, he seems to be having an easy time. But this situation is quite stagnant, the falling star hound is attacking fiercely, he has not sent out a fourth desolate beast yet. I am afraid he only has 3 desolate beasts after all. Fang Yuan calmly analyzed. He even had to use a desolate beast like the chestnut yak. Fang Yuan's guess was very likely to be true. After Treasure Yellow Heaven opened, 12th Hair bought a diamond bear and a golden white tiger. But his choice is quite questionable, the diamond bear itself is sufficient. Golden white tiger is a metal path desolate beast with strong defenses as well, he might as well get a flying desolate beast, it would pose a greater threat. That way, the falling star hound would be distracted more and act more warily, it would have weaker attacks when trying to defend itself. Fang Yuan was thinking about this, when 12th Hair made a mistake, the diamond bear left a gap open after moving away. Damn it, 12th Hair stared with furious eyes, he immediately moved the chestnut yak to fill the gap. You have to hang on. 12th Hair bellowed in his mind. The falling star hound growled, slamming the chestnut yak away. Next, the falling star hound broke away from the encirclement and charged into the grass. As a result, the hairy mangu immortals hiding in the grass screamed in terror. Quick, use that move. Seeing that he was about to be hit by the falling star hound, an unlucky hairy mangu immortal shouted in fear. Swoosh. At the next moment, he vanished on the spot, appearing beside another hairy man 1,000 steps away from him. Thanks, you acted quickly, otherwise, I would have died. The hairy mangu immortal who was saved still felt lingering fear. The one who saved him was 6th Hair. He patted the hairy mangu immortal's shoulder. Relax, don't forget the outsider is here, don't make our Lang Ya sect lose face. Even now, he was still trying to sow discord. The hairy mangu immortal who was saved quickly concealed his expression, but his body was still shaking slightly. Fang Yuan snorted coldly, killing intent was hidden in his gaze as he looked at 6th Hair. I will slaughter this fellow one day. But we are members of Lang Ya sect now, the Information Path Alliance agreement prevents us from killing each other. So to kill him, I need to get rid of this Lang Ya sect alliance agreement secretly first. Fang Yuan wanted to make use of Lang Ya sect's strength, 6th Hair was a severe obstacle. 6th Hair played a big role in causing Fang Yuan and Lang Ya sect's relationship to turn so sour. In Lang Ya sect, Fang Yuan and 6th Hair both had ulterior motives. Their relationship was not simple either. Because they had made transactions, they had a hold on each other. Fang Yuan had Lang Ya sect's alliance agreement, he could not do things that harmed Lang Ya sect. Of course, he could think and talk about them. 6th Hair was a member of Lang Ya sect, because of this, if 6th Hair was in fatal danger, Fang Yuan had to save him. Of course, it depended on the situation. If 6th Hair tried to suicidally put himself in danger and lure an ancient desolate beast in order to entrap Fang Yuan, he would not have to save him in that situation. Since Fang Yuan joined Lang Ya sect and went under an alliance agreement, he was not going to be restricted so easily. And 6th Hair only wanted to get rid of Fang Yuan and obtain his body. He had insufficient strength, and Fang Yuan had a hold on him, because of Shadow Sect's plan, he was the final spy left in Lang Ya blessed land, he had to stay hidden. Both sides had their own reservations, they were wary of each other. As if he had sensed Fang Yuan's gaze, 6th Hair turned around and smiled sinisterly. He was a split soul of spectral soul, he had rich battle experience. This was why he could save the hairy mangu immortal before anyone else reacted. He was trying to unite the hairy mangu immortals and ostracize Fang Yuan, limiting his growth. The battle continued. The falling star hound did not kill the hairy mangu immortal, the diamond bear and golden white tiger quickly diverted it. Soon, the chestnut yak arrived as well, forming an encirclement again. The hairy mangu immortals also continued their long-range attacks. But 12th Hair continued to make flaws in the battle due to unexpected circumstances, even though he was performing above his usual abilities. After getting out of the encirclement, the falling star hound attempted to kill the other hairy mangu immortals. But these hairy mangu immortals seemed to have the same immortal killer move. Whenever one was targeted, the rest would be able to teleport them away to another comrade's side. This immortal killer move is quite interesting. Fang Yuan watched silently, he subconsciously placed himself in the falling star hound's position, what would he do to resolve the killer move? Soon, Fang Yuan had an answer. It was difficult to resolve this killer move. Because with just this little bit of information, he could not analyze anything. He did not even know the name of the killer move. In this short period of time, the killer move did not seem to have any flaws. Even if I cannot break it, it is very easy to kill these hairy Manju immortals. My movement speed far exceeds them, sword marks targeting death and dark assassination can cause many deaths to them already. In fact, just flying sword immortal GU alone can kill them. Of course, sixth hair is hiding his strength, that is another issue. The actual situation would depend on how the fight develops. I am about to succeed. This time, I will truly defeat the falling star hound. 12th hair got more and more excited, the light of victory could be seen in his eyes. This time, he performed better than usual. 7 to 8 hairy Manju immortals along with 3 desolate beasts were fighting against an infant falling star hound. With the proper tactics, victory was favoring these hairy Manju immortals. Fang Yuan, are you seeing this? Even without you, we can take down the falling star hound and obtain true victory. 12th hair cried out in his mind. He loved his home, he was extremely loyal to Langya sect. Earlier, when Langya sect was facing trouble with developing in Taichu, Fang Yuan watched on the side. 12th hair had a lot of grudge towards Fang Yuan. When he was injured and bedridden, Fang Yuan went to visit him, but he did not even want to meet. He sent Immortal GU Master to reject Fang Yuan's entry into the Cloud City. This victory had incredible meaning for him. Being able to obtain victory in front of Fang Yuan, 12th hair felt great pride and joy. As time passed, the battle situation was becoming obvious. Falling Star Hound was gradually unable to hold on. The hairy Manju immortals felt that their pressure was lifting. They unavoidably became excited. Some of them could even see victory ahead. Their eyes were red from excitement, they were trembling slightly. It was not easy. With their horrible battle strength, fighting against the Falling Star Hound resulted in repeated setbacks. They had put in so much blood and sweat, coming up with a tactic to deal with the Falling Star Hound. They had spent countless sleepless nights practicing. They were finally going to succeed today. Even though they were tired and their immortal essence was depleted, the hairy Manju immortals felt revitalized. They were having an adrenaline rush. Kill this dog. That's right, tear its skin and hang it above the cloud cities, let everyone see our victory. Ha ha ha, we finally defeated it. Fang Yuan, are you seeing this? I know you are unwilling, but so what? Today, we will teach you a lesson. The hairy Manju immortals are not powerless. Langya sect belongs to us hairy men, it is not for a human like you. The hairy Manju immortals shouted and screamed in excitement. Fang Yuan smiled plainly, as if he did not hear them. His attitude made the hairy Manju immortals disappointed, some of them even felt disgust and anger. He is just concealing his emotions, what can he do? A hairy Manju immortal sneered. However, a change occurred right at this moment. An eagle hound suddenly appeared in the center of the battlefield. With one swipe of its claws, the diamond bear fell. With one peck from its beak, chestnut yak went blind. With a flap of its wings, intense winds blew, the golden white tiger flew back by dozens of steps. The falling star hound curled up into a ball, whimpering in fear. What? Where did this ancient desolate beast come from? The hairy Manju immortals were shocked. Not just one. Soon, 5 eagle hounds appeared from the grass, and 3 were flying in the sky. Out of nowhere, eagle hounds had completely encircled the hairy Manju immortals. How did this happen? 12th hair's pupils shrunk to pin size, he was completely stunned. He had just experienced going from heaven to hell. A moment ago, he was still a high and mighty victor, at the next moment, his life was on the line. This was a desperate situation. Oh, heaven's will, this is your ambush, incredible indeed. Fang Yuan laughed in his mind. The eagle hounds did not make a noise, while the hairy Manju immortals were shocked beyond words. There was silence. Oh 12th hair, it seems that you have all failed. According to our earlier agreement, it is time for me to act. Amidst the silence, Fang Yuan's plain words could be heard. For some reason, 12th hair felt his heart jump, intense rage was burning inside him. He screamed at Fang Yuan, are you making a mistake? What are you talking about? Open your damned eyes and see the situation we are in, okay? Fang Yuan's lips curled slightly. Bam! A strength path giant hand appeared out of nowhere, it slammed the eagle hound closest to Fang Yuan to the ground. Dust and smoke rose. The eagle hound's attention was drawn away, towards Fang Yuan. They were wary of this strong enemy. Within the dust cloud, Fang Yuan's voice could be heard. All right, I will accept this present, can everyone please go far away, don't be a disturbance to me. Chapter 1136, Eagle Hounds. Eagle Hounds. They had the body of a wolf and head of an eagle, with a pair of eagle wings on their backs. Their head, neck and wings were covered in black feathers, while their canine bodies and forelimbs were covered in gray wolf fur. The dow marks on their bodies were mostly of dark path. This was a rather special beast. Normal desolate beasts, ancient desolate beasts and so on reproduced through males and females mating. Eagle hounds, however, were different. The reproduction of eagle hound was through infection. The poison of an eagle hound could influence any species of dog or eagle. When this influence reached a certain degree, the dog or eagle beast infected with the eagle hound's poison would gradually transform into an eagle hound. As a result, the individual strength of eagle hounds varied greatly. Some eagle hounds were transformed from desolate beasts, so they would be desolate beast level. Some transformed from ancient desolate beasts, thus would be ancient eagle hounds. Immemorial eagle hounds were rarely seen, even in white heaven and black heaven. Everything was clear. The moment the first eagle hound appeared, Fang Yuan had already realized how the falling star hound and these eagle hounds were related. This group of eagle hounds had been eyeing this falling star hound. It was thrown down from the sky and confined in Taichu to grow. When the falling star hound matured, it would be a true ancient desolate beast. At that time, the eagle hound group would use poison to turn this falling star hound into an ancient eagle hound. As for why this falling star hound was roaming near the teleportation GU formation, the answer was clear: heaven's will. 2 ancient eagle hounds, while the rest are all desolate beast eagle hounds. Fang Yuan's gaze coldly focused on the 2 ancient desolate beasts. He did not sense auras of immortal GU on the eagle hounds. This gave him even greater assurance in this battle. Having and not having immortal GU would lead to Fang Yuan adopting 2 completely different battle tactics. The eagle hound was killed in one strike. It has not died, it is only unconscious. What was that move just now? It was like a huge hand. The hairy man GU immortals reacted only now, and they were extremely shocked. Just now, the eagle hound that was beaten unconscious by one giant hand was naturally a desolate beast level. Strength path giant hand had rank 7 battle strength, creating such an outcome was not strange. If it were against an ancient eagle hound, however, it would be a different result. 12th Hair had never seen Fang Yuan fight seriously. He had always thought the battle strength Fang Yuan showed when instructing him was Fang Yuan's true strength. 12th Hair forcibly calmed down, thinking, although Fang Yuan beat one eagle hound unconscious, there are still a lot more remaining. Even if he is powerful, what can just one person do? This battle bodes ill, it is better to retreat. Ah! Just as he was thinking of this, 12th Hair suddenly could not help crying out in shock. Fang Yuan's confrontation with the eagle hound group lasted a very short time. Almost the next instant after beating the eagle hound unconscious, he began his attack. Sword escape immortal GU. Whoosh! Fang Yuan left behind an afterimage on his original spot. Within an instant, Fang Yuan had penetrated from the edge of the battlefield into the center. What level of speed is this? The hairy man GU immortals were shocked. Even 6th Hair's pupils shrunk, he gritted his teeth. He guessed Fang Yuan used sword escape immortal GU, this was Bo Qing's immortal GU. Fang Yuan floated in the air, looking down at the giant beast below. This was an ancient eagle hound. When it had just appeared, it had knocked down the diamond bear, sent the golden white tiger flying and pecked the chestnut yak blind. This ancient eagle hound was stepping on the diamond bear, not letting it budge. The infant falling star hound behind it was curled up into a ball, shivering. He was close to it. The distance between Fang Yuan and this ancient eagle hound was less than 100 steps. Images of each other were clearly reflected in both their eyes. Fang Yuan suddenly disappeared and appeared right before the eagle hound's eyes, giving it a scare and causing it to take a step back subconsciously. But soon, its fierce nature was agitated, as it opened its beak wide and screeched furiously. Its wings flapped rapidly and energy transferred from its rear limbs, as it charged ferociously at Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan sneered, shouting, "Beast, lie down." Boom! A strength path giant hand appeared and descended from the sky, slamming on the ground like a jar lid. The giant hand collided with the ancient eagle hound. The ancient eagle hound was full of ferocity, but was still unable to match the giant hand's power as it was pushed down. The giant hand also was sent back from the collision. But soon, under Fang Yuan's control and replenishment, the giant hand once again pushed down fiercely, as if it was bringing down a storm. The giant hand struck the ancient eagle hound's head, immediately causing it to bow down. Its forelimbs bent exaggeratedly and its claws that were fiercely supporting its body left 4 pits on the ground. The strength path giant hand was again flung up a distance from the vibration of the clash, thinning during the process. But the next moment, the giant hand once again condensed as it slammed down. The ancient eagle hound refused to give in and lifted its head, but at the next moment it saw the giant hand covering the entirety of its vision. Boom! There was a huge sound as the ancient eagle hound's head was fiercely slammed down to the ground. The thick and sharp eagle beak was firmly embedded into the ground. Its feathers chaotically flew in the air, while its forelimbs also sunk into the ground. The ancient eagle hound fell into an extremely furious state. When had it ever received such humiliation? It wanted to strike back. Energy flowed through its limbs, its muscles bulged, and the next moment, it was about to lift up its head. Boom! The giant hand was quicker, however, slamming down on its head and back. The eagle hound's skeleton gave fracturing sounds at the extremely heavy burden. Its head was shaking intensely and it was seeing stars. The strength it had accumulated just moments ago completely dissipated. But Fang Yuan's momentum was unforgiving. Bang bang bang, another 3 slams, and this ancient eagle hound was almost completely buried into the ground. It was motionless, the surrounding soil was gradually turning red from the blood. The hairy manhwa immortals were all struck speechless. After Fang Yuan had made a desolate beast eagle hound faint, he charged into the center of the eagle hounds without being afraid of the enemy's numerical advantage. Facing the ancient eagle hound, he sent out 10 or so giant hands and struck it to death like slamming bread dough. The hairy manhwa immortals had never seen such a terrifying display, and were extremely frightened. In fact, not only the hairy manhwa immortals, even the other eagle hounds were dazed. By the time they reacted, one of their leaders had been wiped out. Deathly silence hung in the air, with not even the sound of wind. Under everyone's gazes, Fang Yuan slowly lifted his head and gazed at the sky. There were quite a few eagle hounds hovering in the air, among them was the second ancient desolate beast. "It's your turn now." Fang Yuan's tone was light, as he charged towards the sky the very next moment. The eagle hounds in the sky immediately let out ear-piercing cries, breaking up in an uproar as they retreated in every direction. 12th hair and the group still had their mouths wide open as they looked at Fang Yuan charging to the sky, driving the eagle hounds away like they were sparrows or pigeons. Were these still eagle hounds? A mighty ancient desolate beast, where is your imposing might? 12th hair felt like he was in a dream. Pursuing good fortune and avoiding disaster, protecting oneself and seeking long life was every living being's instinct. Wild beasts pushing aside the weak and fearing the strong was also normal. With the eagle hounds dispersing, Fang Yuan could do nothing. In terms of speed, eagle hounds were outstanding, regardless of whether they were desolate beasts or ancient desolate beasts. Fang Yuan's gaze continued to stare at that ancient eagle hound. "Will you be able to escape?" As Fang Yuan mumbled, he suddenly sped up. The next instant, his figure appeared behind the ancient eagle hound. Myriad self-first style, giant hand. The giant hand slammed down with such a loud sound, the hairy men shivered and the eagle hounds felt their hair standing on end. The hairy men saw that ancient eagle hound being slammed down from the air by Fang Yuan like a ball, colliding heavily with the ground. Sword escape Immortal Gu combined with giant hand gave an outstanding result. Strength path giant hand's speed was rather slow. If it struck out from afar towards the eagle hound, this eagle hound would probably be able to escape before it reached it. But Fang Yuan personally moved, using his speed to make up for this weakness of the giant hand. Of course, this battle tactic also had a weakness. It could easily make Fang Yuan fall into a dangerous situation. So, Fang Yuan had activated Bloodstained Conqueror's robe before he used this tactic. There was also another condition. Fang Yuan did not sense any wild Immortal Gu on these 2 ancient eagle hounds. If there were wild Immortal Gu, without probing out the details, Fang Yuan would not use this battle tactic. Giant grass grew all over Taichu. The eagle hound's fall was greatly mitigated by these strands of grass. Even though ancient eagle hounds specialized in speed, they were all of ancient desolate level, and had sturdy bodies. Fang Yuan would not be able to kill it without using 10 or so strength path giant hands. However, just as Fang Yuan was about to take the chance to chase it, his expression suddenly changed. In his eyes flashed a scene of the future. While he charged down, suddenly a third ancient eagle hound appeared and ambushed him. Fang Yuan was caught unprepared and was clawed fiercely by the wolf claws, smashing to the ground. Blood flowed out of his 7 orifices and all his bones were fractured. His blood-stained conqueror's robe was broken and even blood acid Immortal Gu was injured, unable to be used again. The image flashed in an instant, however Fang Yuan fully trusted it. Because this was the result of his pre-activated Immortal killer move, 3 breaths future vision. It was a time path investigative killer move from He Fan True Inheritance, 3 breaths future vision, used after Immortal GU as the core and could allow the GU Immortal to see their future situation. And this future situation would manifest within 3 breaths of time. Fang Yuan did not lose his head, instead his eyes shined with satisfaction. Sure enough, Heaven's Will's arrangement wouldn't be so simple, there was actually an ambush. My Bloodstained Conqueror's robe is an Immortal level defensive move, but its core Immortal GU is only the rank 6 blood asset. It is still slightly weak when facing an ancient desolate beast. Since he knew about the ambush naturally would be useless. Sword marks targeting death. Fang Yuan suddenly shot out sharp sword light towards a certain location in the air. Right as the hairy man GU Immortals were feeling puzzled, sword marks targeting death struck that hidden ancient eagle hound. Ding! There was a sharp and clear sound. The ancient eagle hound was intercepted by sword marks targeting death. The hairy man GU Immortals shouted in shock. There was actually a third ancient eagle hound hiding in ambush. Unimaginable, if it had sneak attacked any of his hairy man GU Immortals, it would probably have gotten its way. Fang Yuan could actually sense it. Fang Yuan slightly raised his eyebrows, staring at the third ancient eagle hound which had suffered no damage. Being able to block sword marks targeting death, this ancient eagle hound seems to have wild Immortal GU on it. Chapter 1137, Transformation Path GU Immortal. The third ancient eagle hound had Immortal GU. If not for this, how could it block Fang Yuan's Immortal killer move, sword marks targeting death? Fang Yuan's heart burned with eagerness. Times had changed. If it were before he inherited He Fan's true inheritance, Fang Yuan would have avoided this eagle group, but now, with his strength having increased sharply, his mindset had changed. He intended to take down all these eagle hounds. My sovereign Immortal aperture is very big. Fang Yuan's lips curled up. As for the wild Immortal GU on the ancient eagle hound, I will take it as well. Being able to block sword marks targeting death, let me see what kind of exemplary defensive Immortal GU it is. In an instant, thoughts surged in Fang Yuan's mind, he determined his battle tactics. Blood path killer moves like Blood Torrent and so on were not suitable to be used in front of the hairy man GU Immortals. These hairy man GU Immortals could connect to Treasure Yellow Heaven and knew the terror of Blood Path. They were not like that group of ignorant GU Immortals in He Fan Grotto Heaven. Although he could use He Fan True Inheritance's Immortal killer moves, he had to be prudent. After all, he still had not practiced them to proficiency, rashly using them could likely result in failure and cause backlash. Therefore, Fang Yuan clapped, choosing his personal creation, which was also the offensive method he was most skilled in. Convergence of Enslavement and Strength Path, Myriad Self. At the next instant, large amounts of Strength Path phantoms filled the sky. Ah, the hairy man GU Immortals were all struck speechless. Sixth Hair also had a stupefied look, but inwardly was not surprised. He already knew about Myriad Self, this was old news. But soon, Sixth Hair's pupils shrunk as he blurted out, he vanished. In his perception, Fang Yuan had suddenly vanished, and only the dense group of Strength Path phantoms remained in the sky. Fang Yuan had used Familiar Face to disguise himself as an ordinary Strength Path phantom, mixing in within the Myriad Self army. Charge! The Myriad Self army cried out together and like a torrent falling from the sky, charged towards the third eagle hound. The eagle hound's eyes flashed with sharp light, suddenly the wings on its back flapped, bringing forth a layer of dark wing shadows. Its speed increased sharply, and it actually retreated. This response was somewhat out of Fang Yuan's expectations. Clearly, this eagle hound had a second wild Immortal GU. That layer of wing shadows was the effect of that Immortal GU. It actually has another wild Immortal GU. The desire in Fang Yuan intensified. He commanded the Myriad Self army to continue charging towards the ancient eagle hound. Along the way, the Strength Path phantoms suddenly dispersed, like a blooming flower, or a giant beast's maw, as they pounced at the ancient eagle hound. The ancient eagle hound gave a sharp cry, as it suddenly rose up. It was actually retreating again. Fang Yuan had already calculated its retreat routes. The Myriad Self army, which had charged ahead like a flood dragon with its mouth open, swung its tail. The Strength Path phantoms at the rear pounced at the ancient eagle hound. The ancient eagle hound that was retreating backwards suddenly leaned towards the right, its wings flapped and its whole body drew an inclining arc through the sky, perfectly dodging the Myriad Self army's offensive route. The hairy man GU Immortals were in an agitated state watching all these moves. Compared to the Eagle Hound, they naturally wanted Fang Yuan to win. But this third ancient Eagle Hound seemed to be extremely cunning. Fang Yuan had encircled it several times but was still unable to succeed. The ancient Eagle Hound's speed is much faster than these, Fang Yuan's. How could they catch up to it? 12th Hare attentively observed, feeling dejected as Fang Yuan continued to make no progress. 6th Hare however had a bright gaze, thinking, Fang Yuan's enslavement path attainment seems to have increased slightly. It is going to end soon. This ancient Eagle Hound might be fast, but it is concerned about the other Eagle Hounds, and has only been flying around the battlefield. It will soon be captured by Fang Yuan. A battlefield formed in the sky. Almost all the Eagle Hounds flew up and were battling with the myriad self-army. Fang Yuan's focus was completely on the third ancient Eagle Hound. There is something odd about this ancient Eagle Hound. Fang Yuan had discovered that the other Eagle Hounds could be easily dealt with. As long as he used a few strength path phantoms, the Eagle Hounds could be pinned down. Only this third ancient Eagle Hound was rather crafty and could see through the tactics of the myriad self-army. It was able to retreat and advance at will. Finally, Fang Yuan was able to succeed. Several groups of the myriad self-army besieged the third Eagle Hound from the front, back, above and below. He actually surrounded it. 12th Hare and the group cried out in joy. The ancient Eagle Hound let out a sharp screech, as it flapped its wings wildly and clawed everywhere, destroying many of the strength path phantoms. Within just a few moments of being encircled, the ancient Eagle Hound seemed to be about to break through the siege. But this did not matter. Because Fang Yuan's true body, hidden among the strength path phantoms, had already approached the ancient Eagle Hound. When he was close enough, he decisively used his sword path killer move, Dark Assassination. This killer move's specialty was that no immortal GU aura would leak out when it was activated. It was extremely stealthy. The ancient Eagle Hound let out a miserable shriek as it was struck by Fang Yuan. A bloody hole appeared on its neck, blood spurted out like a fountain. But in the blink of an eye, the blood lessened, and the bloody hole disappeared. The injury had healed and feathers grew once again on the surface. At the same moment, the ancient Eagle Hound turned berserk. Its whole body was covered by a layer of dark shadows. Its speed increased by multiple times as it attacked wildly, bringing forth afterimages of its wings and claws. Crash, crash, crash. Countless strength path phantoms were destroyed directly by the ancient Eagle Hound without putting up resistance. Even Fang Yuan's true body was discovered and was sent flying. But with blood-stained Conqueror's robe, there was not much injury. How could this be? There are disorderly auras of so many GU worms appearing on this ancient Eagle Hound. 12th Hare and the rest blurted out in shock. 6th Hare's eyes also widened at this, as he incredulously said, impossible. It can actually use an immortal killer move. Such a strong result and the complex aura of GU worms indicated this ancient Eagle Hound had actually used an immortal killer move just now. This no doubt went against the common knowledge of the immortal world. A wild beast actually had enough intelligence to activate immortal killer move. Wind whistled past Fang Yuan's ears. He was sent flying. Although he had avoided the frontal attack, it had still brushed past him and was enough to send him flying away. He gazed at the ancient Eagle Hound, his eyes brightly flashing. So it was like this. No wonder I had felt it was so peculiar. This ancient Eagle Hound was originally a GU immortal. It was impossible for wild beasts to be so smart to the extent of using immortal killer moves. 6th Hare did not realize this because he did not cultivate transformation path. Fang Yuan had plenty of understanding regarding transformation path, immediately thinking of this most likely possibility. A transformation path GU immortal who cultivated an Eagle Hound transformation, but because of transforming too many times or being in transformation state for too long, they were unable to turn back, losing their wisdom and memories, turning into a special ancient Eagle Hound. Like when refining GU, the GU immortals cultivating transformation path would have to face the risks when transforming into other forms. In history, such cases were not rare. The following battle proved Fang Yuan's guess. This ancient Eagle Hound still had some battle instincts of the transformation path GU immortal. As a result, its performance was much more cunning than normal ancient Eagle Hounds, and it understood when to advance and retreat. But in the end, it was not a GU immortal. It did not have human wisdom, it could not grasp opportunities in the battle and could not carry out any battle tactics. When in battle, it mainly used immortal GU. When it was the juncture of life and death, its instincts would be stimulated and it subconsciously used its most familiar immortal killer move from the past. Just before, Fang Yuan had used Dark Assassination to pierce through its head, but in the moment of crisis, it had dodged and the attack struck its neck. Then, the wild shadows it erupted with that sent Fang Yuan's true body flying were from it using an immortal killer move. The fight instantly fell into a stalemate. If it were ordinary eagle hounds, Fang Yuan would have captured all of them by now. But it was a different situation with this ancient eagle hound. It was much more troublesome than ordinary ancient eagle hounds. Whenever Fang Yuan sneak attacked, the ancient eagle hound was always able to avoid the fatal points. Perhaps it was because this transformation path GU Immortal had experienced many battles, or maybe it was because of the support of an unique immortal GU. A more likely possibility was the help of Heaven's will. In short, Fang Yuan's intention to finish the battle quickly had been thwarted. The sky was chaotic, loud sounds reverberated unceasingly as the strength path phantoms were destroyed at every moment. But with Fang Yuan's replenishment, the myriad self-army was unending. Their quality might not be up to par, but their quantity held the absolute upper hand. From time to time, eagle hounds covered by strength path phantoms would fall down from the sky and smash into the ground. Upper hand. Fang Yuan Elder Fang Yuan has the upper hand facing all these eagle hounds. An individual's strength can actually reach such a level. Elder Fang Yuan is actually so powerful. The hairy man GU Immortals had already retreated to the edge of the battlefield, and as they looked at the battle, they had, without noticing, started to address Fang Yuan as an elder. 12th Hair's expression was filled with shock as well as bitterness. He felt it even deeper than others. Fang Yuan's enslavement path attainment of easily commanding the myriad self-army, made him have a feeling of how shallow and minute he was. Although the ancient eagle hound was somewhat troublesome, from the beginning, Fang Yuan occupied the dominant position and the eagle hounds could not do anything to him. Since it is like this, then I should change my battle tactics. Fang Yuan's true body put off attacking, and suddenly retreated to the side. He began to gather his concentration to activate another immortal killer move. By now, he had already been constantly maintaining bloodstained conqueror's robe, familiar face and 3 breaths future vision. He was floating in the air and also activating GU worms, and occasionally replenishing the myriad self-army. All these used up his focus. And this immortal killer move was rather complicated and he had yet to practice it to proficiency, thus he had to give up on attacking and move to a safer environment to gather almost all his concentration and activate this move. Rank 7 Year GU was first activated, followed by the supplementary Mortal GU one after the other. Immortal killer move, Year Beast Summoning. Come out, my ancient Year Beast. Splash splash splash. In midair, a phantom image of the river of time manifested. Waves were surging endlessly in the river, and from these waves, an enormous bestial figure jumped out. Cluck cluck. The Year Beast unfurled its wings and descended to the battlefield. Chapter 1138. End of battle. What is this? Such a large chicken. Seeing an ancient Year Beast suddenly entering the battlefield, the hairy man GU Immortals were shocked. According to the contents of He Fan's True Inheritance, there are 12 different forms of Year Beasts. This time, I was pretty lucky to be able to summon a chicken Year Beast. Fang Yuan sized up this Year Beast, while appraising it inwardly. This Year Beast was as large as a hill. When it unfurled its wings, it cast a huge shadow on the ground. It was valiant and spirited, with awe-inspiring might. Its feathers were bright and colorful while its claws were sharp as blades. It quickly swept its gaze around the battlefield, before fixing on Fang Yuan. No one else had more appeal to it than Fang Yuan, because it smelled the scent of Year GU from Fang Yuan. Year GU. This was the food of Year Beasts. The higher the rank of the Year GU, the more enticing it was to Year Beasts. The immortal killer move, Year Beast Summoning, was formed from this principle. Its creator, He Fan, had invented this killer move long before refining years flow like water. This is for you. Fang Yuan chuckled, as he waved his hand, sending out large amounts of mortal Year GU. The chicken Year Beast was joyous, as it raised its head and inhaled. Immediately, an enormous air current was created and like a dragon swallowing water, the chicken Year Beast inhaled all the mortal Year GU. Kill it and I will give you a lot more. Fang Yuan pointed at that crucial ancient eagle hound. The chicken Year Beast's gaze sharpened, as it quickly turned its head towards the target. The ancient eagle hound felt goosebumps all over its body, revealing its sharp claws as it felt a strong threat from the chicken Year Beast. The ancient eagle hound formed a clear contrast with the chicken Year Beast. Even if it stood up like a human, it would not reach half the height of the chicken Year Beast. Cluck cluck. The chicken Year Beast flapped its wings, charging towards its target. The speed it erupted with was actually faster than the ancient eagle hound. Bam! The two collided fiercely. The chicken Year Beast was sent back 70 to 80 steps, while the ancient eagle hound was directly sent flying. The chicken Year Beast let out a sharp cry, as it chased after the ancient eagle hound. The ancient eagle hound was indeed crafty, After suffering a loss, it no longer confronted the chicken-ear beast head-on, instead it moved left and right, dodging the chicken-ear beast. Fang Yuan looked on for a while before he relaxed. This chicken-ear beast had no immortal GU, but its physical constitution was much stronger than the ancient eagle hound. Year beasts, even in the river of time, were very rare beasts. Of course, if the ancient eagle hound activated immortal GU, the chicken-ear beast would fall into a disadvantage. Once or twice would not matter, but if it continued on, the chicken-ear beast would also be defeated. The side which had immortal GU would naturally obtain a huge boost in their battle strength. He Fan warned in the True Inheritance that the summoned year beast is not a slave and the summoner does not have very much control over it. If the enemy is too powerful, it won't battle at all. Even if it battles, it might retreat after a short period of time and demand even more year GU from the summoning GU immortal. As he thought of this, Fang Yuan knew he did not have much time left. He did not choose to pincer attack the ancient eagle hound with the chicken-ear beast. Because the chicken-ear beast was not under his control and he was only able to barely communicate with it using the method left behind by He Fan, reaching a collaboration. Fang Yuan's true body, which was hidden amidst the myriad self-army, quietly approached a desolate beast eagle hound. The eagle hounds were still fighting with the myriad self-army in the air. Occasionally, some eagle hounds would be beaten down by Fang Yuan's strength path phantoms, but shortly afterwards, these eagle hounds would fly to the air again, continuing to fight. Although there were many strength path phantoms, their offensive prowess was clearly weak when facing against desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts. They were only able to disrupt and expend the eagle hound's energy. Strength path giant hand. Suddenly, Fang Yuan attacked. A strength path giant hand appeared out of nowhere, slamming down towards an eagle hound. Fang Yuan's position was extremely good. The eagle hound was caught unprepared and was struck by the hand, immediately letting out a miserable cry before it fainted. The eagle hound began to fall down, but Fang Yuan activated another giant hand and was waiting below. The second giant hand grabbed this unconscious eagle hound, and carefully placed it on the ground. Fang Yuan's true body disappeared amongst the myriad self-army once again. But soon, he appeared in another area of the battlefield. Strength path giant hand attacked quickly and sent another eagle hound fainting. He then did the same as before, placing this eagle hound on the ground, beside the first eagle hound. The hairy man GU immortals were all struck speechless. Elder Fang Yuan seems to be right. He intends to capture these eagle hounds alive. A skilled person is truly courageous. The hairy man GU immortals sighed. These eagle hounds, which were deadly opponents to them, seemed to be no more than wealth from Fang Yuan's perspective. One after the other, eagle hounds were plotted against by Fang Yuan, struck unconscious, and piled up together. Soon, these unconscious eagle hounds piled up to form a hill, making for quite a grand sight. The ancient eagle hound saw this scene and gave a furious cry. But it was pinned down by the chicken-ear beast and was unable to go rescue its brethren. The chicken-ear beast was also in a slightly miserable state. Its whole body was filled with injuries and it seemed to be having the intent to retreat. After all, He Fan was a time path GU immortal. Being able to create an immortal killer move that imitated enslavement path was already extremely amazing. It seems that year beast summoning is ideal for use in a favorable battle. If used to fight in a disadvantageous situation during a life or death battle, the result won't be outstanding. Fang Yuan engraved this information in his mind. Only when one used immortal killer moves in practice would they obtain deeper experience. Fang Yuan firmly held the initiative in the battle. He paid attention to the battle between the chicken-ear beast and the ancient eagle hound all along. Before the chicken-ear beast retreated, Fang Yuan dealt with the remaining eagle hounds. The unconscious eagle hounds numbered to 8, while the rest were struck to death. After all, giant hand was not a capturing method. It was not easy for Fang Yuan to use it to imitate this effect. Die! Fang Yuan flew to the sky and flanked the ancient eagle hound with the chicken-ear beast. After fighting for several rounds, the result was indeed not good. Fang Yuan called out to the chicken-ear beast to retreat and guard those unconscious eagle hounds. The chicken-ear beast already had low battle intent, and after receiving Fang Yuan's instruction, it did not immediately move, but instead quietly retreated a distance before opening its beak as it gazed at Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan understood its intention, and threw out a large batch of year GU. The chicken-ear beast had its fill, only then did it turn around and move towards the ground, to guard the unconscious eagle hounds. Fang Yuan and the ancient eagle hound battled once again. But this time, the situation was different from before. The ancient eagle hound was anxious to save those unconscious comrades, as it charged in all directions. What a pity, a grand GU immortal falling down to such a level. Thinking it is an actual eagle hound, Fang Yuan was lot more relaxed now than before. The ancient eagle hound flew fast and with immortal GU on it, at the crucial times, it could arouse its survival instincts and activate the previous immortal killer move. Fang Yuan changed his battle tactic. His previous tactic of charging in and using giant hand was too risky. Blood-stained conqueror's robe's defense was nothing prominent in front of this ancient eagle hound. Fang Yuan started using sword path killer moves to attack the ancient eagle hound from afar. But the ancient eagle hound's defensive method was outstanding. Fang Yuan did not know which immortal GU it was specifically. He estimated this transformation path GU immortal, when alive, felt the defense of an eagle hound was rather low, thus intentionally strengthening this aspect. Fang Yuan fought for a long time but still had no upper hand. The ancient eagle hound also could not rescue its comrades, while the chicken ear beast sat in position to fight a defensive battle. The injuries on the ancient eagle hound slowly accumulated. This is truly troublesome. Giant hand's speed is slow, it cannot hit. Sword path killer moves can hit, but the effect is not that good. Using poison spit is simply wasting immortal essence. Ancient eagle hounds are extremely resistant to poison. Fang Yuan was without other options. Similarly, after this transformation path GU immortal completely transformed into the ancient eagle hound, they obtained the intuition of wild beasts, and with the remaining battle instincts, this ancient eagle hound became much more difficult to handle. Facing it, Fang Yuan found himself at a loss as to what to do. A transformation path GU immortal's advantage was that after the transformation succeeds, their body's constitution would be extremely high. Like this ancient eagle hound, just its flying speed could match sword escape in short range. Let alone when it activates its immortal GU. At the moment, Fang Yuan could only choose to fight a battle of attrition. When this ancient eagle hound uses up all its immortal essence, and is no longer able to activate its immortal GU, that would be his victory. Or when its injuries accumulate to a certain degree and it exposes a flaw which Fang Yuan could use. Fang Yuan felt helpless, but the spectators did not have this feeling. The hairy man GU immortals were staring blankly. Strength. In the competitive, cruel world of GU immortals, the most important thing was the GU immortal's strength. The strength Fang Yuan displayed shocked all the hairy men. Even sixth hair was not an exception. This guy, how could he increase his battle strength so much in such a short time? He can actually summon a year beast. How did he get a hold of this method? He clearly only went out for a short period of time. Sixth hair felt heaviness in his mind. Fang Yuan's growth speed caused him to feel stifled and breathless. After some more time fighting, the ancient eagle hound suddenly rose up. You want to escape? Fang Yuan thought before quickly giving chase. The ancient eagle hound's injuries had accumulated to a certain state, whether it be its offensive prowess or flying speed, both had clearly fallen. No matter how talented in battle the GU immortal was when they were alive, the wild beast's instinct of evading danger still made it choose to retreat. As for those unconscious comrades, they could only be abandoned. Fang Yuan inwardly cursed at this. He had already anticipated this situation, it was just that it happened earlier than his expectation. Fang Yuan activated Sword Escape Immortal GU to give chase, but the distance between them was shrinking very slowly. The ancient eagle hound was escaping for its life with an astonishing speed. Immortal killer move, Luck Whirlwind. Fang Yuan was without other options and could only activate this killer move. Success. The ancient eagle hound directly returned to the previous position. Fang Yuan caught up to it and both sides engaged in fierce battle again. After a few rounds of fighting, the ancient eagle hound escaped again. Fang Yuan could only give chase. Luck Whirlwind. Success. Both sides battled again, while the hairy man GU immortals watched on from afar. But soon, the ancient eagle hound gave up on Fang Yuan. It crazily flapped its wings as it retreated for a third time, its attitude more firm than before. Fang Yuan was helpless, he was unable to break the eagle's wings. Luck Whirlwind. Unfortunately, he failed this time and immediately spurted out some blood. It took him a few breaths to stabilize himself. The ancient eagle hound had already flown to the horizon by this time. Fang Yuan had no choice but to stop. Heaven's will was paying attention all along. Tai Chu was perilous, and there were already vague signs of a beast tide forming. Chapter 1139, Deadly Situation. There was not much time to practice Luck Whirlwind properly. Fang Yuan thought as he sighed. If Luck Whirlwind was activated on its own, the success rate of its activation was 80 to 90%. But when put in real battle, it was a different situation. For instance, Fang Yuan had to maintain blood-stained conqueror's robe, familiar face, 3 breaths future vision, and other immortal killer moves. These killer moves involved large numbers of GU worms and needed enormous mental energy. In this situation, activating Luck Whirlwind, which he was not proficient in, and being able to activate it twice successfully already showed Fang Yuan's luck was quite good. Immortal killer moves had outstanding effects, but their expenditure of mental energy was very high. Let alone in life and death battle, where one had to maintain their attention on the enemy, consider battle tactics as well as making appropriate responses in time. As a result, it was not the case that the more immortal killer moves activated in battle, the better. If the mind was burdened over the limit, one might not be able to give a correct response to an enemy's sudden attack or might not even be able to react in time, leading to their defeat and death. That would truly be laughable. In fact, there were countless such laughable ends in the history of GU Immortals. Examples of extremely powerful killer moves failing in activation and causing the GU Immortal to die were not few. To resolve this issue, I can only raise my battle strength even further. Besides adding in more practice and modifying the immortal killer moves to make them simpler, Wisdom Path can be used to solve it. Immortal killer moves were created from the combination of countless GU worms. Activating each GU worm expended at least one thought of the GU Immortal. Successfully activating one immortal killer move would expend thousands or even tens of thousands of the GU Immortal's thoughts. Wisdom Path was a path that was specialized in solving this issue. Wisdom Path GU Immortals were often able to use a greater number of and more complex immortal killer moves than GU Immortals of other paths. Among the Wisdom Path inheritances I have obtained, the most important one is still Dong Fang Chong Fan's Wisdom Star True Inheritance. It is specialized in deducing and is not specialized in controlling GU worms and activating killer moves. But I am now a Wisdom Path Grandmaster, I can fully use this foundation to develop on this aspect and make a breakthrough. After Fang Yuan sent the ancient eagle hound escaping away, he examined his own shortcomings while returning, and decided he had to progress on Wisdom Path next. Descending on the ground, Fang Yuan patted his stomach and opened the entrance to his immortal aperture. The entrance opened, revealing a part of the landscape in the sovereign immortal aperture. Sixth Hair stared fixedly, but how could he be able to see properly from outside the entrance? He only saw a desolate icy plain. That was many northern plains of sovereign blessed land. Sixth Hair let out a sigh of relief at this. It seems he focused on raising his battle strength, while the management of the immortal aperture has fallen. It's no wonder, after all this sovereign immortal aperture faces calamity once every 2 months. Sixth Hair simply did not know Fang Yuan had completely plundered Heifan Grotto Heaven. He thought Fang Yuan was still a pauper. Little did he know that the other areas of sovereign blessed land were beautiful mountains and rivers, lush forests, and shocking amounts of rich resources. Regardless, this is genuine rank 7 battle strength. Sixth Hair's eyes twitched as he gazed at the chicken ear beast. Fang Yuan might only be rank 6, but he already holds rank 7 strength. Adding on to another rank 7 battle strength I definitely need to report this matter to Lord Ying Wuxie. The chicken ear beast clucked in happiness. Fang Yuan fed it large numbers of year GU, making it extremely satisfied. Finally, it flapped its wings and jumped into the river of time, slowly disappearing from sight. Taking in the eagle hounds one after the other into his immortal aperture, along with the falling star hound, and after sending away the chicken ear beast, Fang Yuan turned around and faced the hairy man GU Immortals. This mission should be considered done by me, right? Fang Yuan lightly smiled, using an inquiring tone to ask these hairy men. The hairy man GU Immortals nodded, their expressions were more or less filled with reluctance, helplessness and embarrassment. This was the fact. Without Fang Yuan making a move, their lives would have been in danger. 12th Hair opened his mouth as if to say something, but even after moving his mouth multiple times, he did not manage to say a word. He thought of his meager performance and how he had an exaggerated opinion of his own abilities. He could not help feeling ashamed. 6th Hair was observing the others' expressions, and spoke with a sinister smile. Elder Fang Yuan, you are truly amazing, you were able to defeat the Eagle Hound group by yourself. If we had not seen it personally, none of us would have believed it. If you had made a move earlier, the falling star hound or whatever would have been nothing difficult, right? The hairy man GU Immortals heard this and their expressions changed slightly, feeling even more complicated. I have my own problems, I don't want to explain to you. First Supreme Elder knows about them. Fang Yuan chuckled, he then gazed at everyone before looking at 12th Hair. Alright. This matter is over now, let us return. With the teleportation GU formation, everyone returned to Langya Blessed Land. After hearing everyone's report, Langya Land's spirit's attitude softened by a lot. He was not very shocked at Fang Yuan's battle strength. Because he knew Fang Yuan had once possessed Spring-Autumn Cicada and had reborn. A rank 6 possessing rank 7 battle strength was rare, but for Fang Yuan, it was not hard to understand. Having eased his relationship with Langya Land Spirit, and obtaining the 1,000 contribution points from completing the Falling Star Hound mission, Fang Yuan was able to smoothly borrow GU worms to use Immortal Tribulation Tempering Aperture. Over the following days, Fang Yuan cultivated in peace. He mainly cultivated his soul using Danghun Mountain and Luopo Valley, secretly trained the new killer moves like Luck Whirlwind, and in his free time, he looked after the newly obtained infant Falling Star Hound and the group of Eagle Hounds. Regarding these desolate beasts and the ancient Eagle Hound, they only needed to slightly adapt to the new environment and could live in peace. Regardless of where they lived, they were still living, right? This was the behavior of those without intelligence. As for the countless resources moved over from Heifan Grotto Heaven, Fang Yuan placed most of them in Mini Southern Border. Because Mini Southern Border's environment was rather similar to Heifan Grotto Heaven's. Despite this, because the Tao marks of Fang Yuan's immortal aperture could not compare to Heifan Grotto Heaven, many resources had reduced production and some were even on the verge of dying. As a result, Fang Yuan still had a concern, which was to quickly sell these resources that he could not grow. Besides transacting with Langya Land Spirit, the focus was on Treasure Yellow Heaven. In a short period of time, Fang Yuan accumulated a large number of Immortal Essence Stones. After using a portion of the resources, the slightly insufficient Immortal Essence reserve was no longer a worry, and now it had become Fang Yuan's strong point. So much Green Grape Immortal Essence. I don't have to worry even if I activate triple-layered Sword Wave 100 times. Fang Yuan had never possessed so much Green Grape Immortal Essence. This made him even more confident for his fourth earthly calamity. Time passed, finally it was time for Fang Yuan to pass another earthly calamity again. He left Langya Blessed Land and came to the northern icy plain. After choosing an area, he placed down his immortal aperture and opened its entrance, absorbing heaven and earth chi. This time, the duration of the absorption of heaven and earth chi was tens of times as long as before. The reason was that the resources inside Fang Yuan's immortal aperture had increased by hundreds of times, expending large amounts of heaven and earth chi of the immortal aperture. Fang Yuan then arranged Immortal Tribulation Tempering Aperture. Everything was handled with ease. After finishing the preparations, Fang Yuan closed the Blessed Land's entrance, and welcomed the fourth earthly calamity. It was still at Mini Northern Plains. Fang Yuan encountered endless flying frost. This is profound white flying salt calamity. Fang Yuan was stunned, before recognizing it. He was slightly surprised. This calamity was not strong, instead it was the type which could be passed rather easily. Yellowish clouds started forming in the sky. Large amounts of frost salt slowly fell down from the sky. The whole process was silent, the salt was like snow and there was not any wind. The endless salt fell down on the ground, and melted the ice and snow on the ground. Some cold-resistant wild grasses and flowers that had grown on the snow were submerged by the salt, and were wilting rapidly before completely dying. It is trying to destroy Mini Northern Plains ecology. Fang Yuan was slightly perplexed. For the moment, he did not move and only looked on from the side. Although there were some losses, most of his resources were currently gathered in Mini Southern Border. Mini Northern Plains was the area Fang Yuan had been using to pass tribulations. Fang Yuan could completely bear these losses before, let alone now when he had harvested Heifan Grotto Heaven's accumulation and had become extremely wealthy. After a while, snowmen started to appear from the endless salt and frost. This was the influence of Reckless Savage's true meaning. So long as Fang Yuan killed these snowmen, he could obtain Reckless Savage's true meaning, rapidly raising his transformation path and strength path attainment levels. This time was not like the previous time where he shared with Chudu. Fang Yuan was going to enjoy it all by himself. Fang Yuan quickly made a move. These snowmen had just appeared when they were melted by the flying salt. The intention of Heavens will manifested at this moment, it wanted to reduce Fang Yuan's benefits from the earthly calamity as much as possible. Fang Yuan and Heavens will race to strike at the snowmen. Myriad Self was activated, eliminating these snowmen. Naturally, there were also other methods used. These had to be done by Fang Yuan himself. Other existences, whether they be GU immortal or desolate beasts, whoever killed the snowmen would be the one to obtain Reckless Savage's true meaning. Waves of Reckless Savage's true meaning entered Fang Yuan's mind, quickly raising his attainment level. As for the profound white flying salt, they were inexorable and not something Fang Yuan could directly get rid of. This fourth earthly calamity continued for a long time. Even when the duration of the previous 3 earthly calamities were added, they would not even be 1/10 of this earthly calamity. 3 days later, profound white flying salt scale began to slightly decrease. Is this a battle of attrition? Fang Yuan frowned, somewhat puzzled. Several days went by again, the profound white flying salt calamity finally stopped. Fang Yuan gazed at the frost salt that had covered the land, the doubt in his mind intensifying. According to his previous deduction, the 4th earthly calamity should have been even more strong and even more difficult to handle. But the reality was, the profound white flying salt calamity had been mild from start to finish, it descended gradually, Fang Yuan did not feel any pressure at all. He was even able to destroy almost all of the snowmen, not wasting much of reckless savage's true meaning. His gains were plentiful. It was as if heaven's will was letting him go. Previously, I used some time path killer moves in Tai Chu, it was also to test heaven's will's deduction ability and to see how it deals with me afterwards. The result was the profound white flying salt calamity. No matter what, the 4th earthly calamity is now over. I can let the land of salt remain, after cleansing it with self-will, I can treat it as a special environment. This earthly calamity was unimaginably easy. Fang Yuan did not suffer even a small injury. Fang Yuan retrieved his immortal aperture and was about to return to Langya blessed land. But right at this moment, the surroundings suddenly changed. Fang Yuan entered a battlefield killer move. 9 GU immortals appeared around him, along with an enormous dragon-shaped beast whose aura was majestic and boundless, staring at Fang Yuan with hostility. Immemorial desolate beast. Fang Yuan's heart immediately sank to rock bottom, he immediately comprehended, human calamity. So heaven's will was intentionally extending the duration of my tribulation to set up this deadly situation for me. In an instant, Fang Yuan had fallen deep into a predicament. Chapter 1140, The Sliver of Hope to Survive. The surrounding area was frost-white in color. Countless gray clouds, the size of carriages, hovered around Fang Yuan. Although Fang Yuan did not feel any wind, these clouds coiled around him swiftly, like hunting sharks or a pack of starving wolves. This is a battlefield immortal killer move, and one which I have not seen before. It seems to be mostly formed of cloud path. Fang Yuan was fully vigilant, and after the brief shock, his mind worked rapidly, analyzing the situation. Forget about the battlefield immortal killer move, the main point is there are actually 9 GU immortals and a dragon immemorial desolate beast. Fang Yuan observed the 9 figures. These mysterious GU immortals were covered in a layer of gray clouds, covering their true appearances, only revealing their eyes. As for the GU immortals' auras, the clouds could not hide them, they were leaked. That dragon beast was also covered in a thick layer of gray cloud as it hovered, facing Fang Yuan. It was completely releasing its majestically shocking aura. In Fang Yuan's perception, the dragon was like a lofty mountain, while he himself was like an ant at the base of the mountain. Fang Yuan was shocked. This group was too powerful. He could not even think of being their match. Strange, how could there be so many people lying in ambush? Besides shock, Fang Yuan also felt an enormous doubt. The northern icy plain rarely had humans, as there were almost no resources in it. This was a desolate land created by reckless savage demon Venerable, the only wealth to be found was reckless savage's true meaning which Chudu desired very much. As a result, GU immortals rarely came here. Moreover, before each earthly calamity, Fang Yuan would gather intel about any movements regarding Northern Plains righteous forces, through Treasure Yellow Heaven, Langya sect and even Chudu. There was no commotion from Northern Plains super forces. Because of He tribe's extermination, everyone was absorbing their gains, and adapting to the completely new power structure of forces. Almost all of these righteous forces had territories in Northern Plains which were guarded by GU immortals. In fact, it was difficult for Huang Jin tribes to mobilize 3 or 4 GU immortals at once, unless something big happened. While demonic path and lone immortals might be free, they usually moved alone, how could they suddenly gather into one group? Moreover, I have been holed up inside Langya blessed land for almost all the time, avoiding wisdom path GU immortals deductions. I am also protected by dark limit and other methods. It is almost impossible for my traces to be deduced so clearly. Where did these GU immortals come from? Could they be from Central Continent? Previously, to investigate the truth of 88 Truyong building, Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects had allied and built a team of GU immortals to send to Northern Plains. Currently, Heavenly Court was trying every means possible to deal with Shadow Sect and Fang Yuan, it would not be strange if they sent out another group. However, Central Continent's GU immortals, especially from the 10 great ancient sects or Heavenly Court, did things openly and in a grand style. How could they act so evasively like now? These GU Immortals' appearances were hidden, even the immemorial desolate beast was the same, and only their vague figures could be seen. Maybe this is only an illusion created by the battlefield killer move. Fang Yuan quickly speculated. From the time he put away his immortal aperture and prepared to return, to being ambushed, falling into the trap and his current analysis of countermeasures, only a short few moments had passed. The mental capability of the body from the sovereign immortal fetus was excellent by itself, and with wisdom path methods to support him, Fang Yuan had already reacted. If it truly was such a terrifying formation, Fang Yuan did not have any hope. But he felt the probability of this being an illusion was huge, because the origins of these GU Immortals could not be explained at all. A sharp light blossomed in Fang Yuan's eyes. At the next moment he decisively activated Sword Escape Immortal GU and charged towards the GU Immortals. The 9 GU Immortals did not react as if they were stupefied. Fang Yuan flew nearer before stopping. 3 breaths Future Vision and Bloodstained Conqueror's Robe were already activated as he pointed, sword light shot out. Immortal Killer Move, Sword Marks Targeting Death. A GU Immortal with rank 6 aura moved. But a rank 7 female GU Immortal to the side grabbed their shoulder. You can't take on this move, let me. Her voice had just sounded out. When she pointed with a finger, an ice mirror immediately appeared in the air. The sword light condensed by Sword Marks Targeting Death shot at the ice mirror, but it did not pierce through, instead it was reflected away. She is able to change the direction of my immortal killer move. Fang Yuan's heart chilled, as he quickly maneuvered Sword Marks Targeting Death back to the original direction. His Sword Marks Targeting Death's direction could be controlled by the mind once it was activated. It was just that this killer move was extremely fast and was not easy to manipulate. Sword Marks Targeting Death returned to its proper path with difficulty, but suddenly there was another ice mirror in front. Fang Yuan could only helplessly look as Sword Marks Targeting Death derailed once again. Then, there were the third, fourth, and following ice mirrors, surrounding Sword Marks Targeting Death, actually making it go around in a circle. This is bad. This GU Immortal's method counters my Sword Marks Targeting Death. Fang Yuan's heart sank. A second rank 7 GU Immortal suddenly took a step forward and gave a deep bellow, an ice spear immediately condensing in his hand. He then pulled back his arm, like drawing a bow, and after stretching to the limit, he threw the spear towards Fang Yuan. The ice spear produced a heart-shaking screech as it pierced through the air. Cold air overflowed and vapor was frozen along the way, turning into beautiful frost that floated in the air. The breathtaking scene, however, carried intense killing intent. This is an immortal killer move formed with rank 7 immortal GU as the core. Fang Yuan quickly jumped back to dodge the spear. But this ice spear was like Sword Marks Targeting Death, its direction could be controlled. Fang Yuan could not dodge, gritting his teeth inwardly. He knew just Bloodstained Conqueror's Robe could not block this move, so he sent out Strength Path Giant Hand. The giant hand suddenly appeared and created a barrier. It blocked in front of Fang Yuan. The ice spear reached the giant hand, immediately piercing through it and striking Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan was sent flying backwards. Thick ice condensed on his whole body and even the blood which he spurted out condensed into blocks of ice. His Blood Acid Immortal GU also suffered damage. If he continued to activate it, Blood Acid Immortal GU might be seriously injured or even destroyed. But in this situation, how could Fang Yuan care about this? He could only crazily use Blood Acid Immortal GU to barely maintain Bloodstained Conqueror's Robe. The 2 rank 7 GU Immortals are not illusions. What about the others then? Fang Yuan swallowed his blood and clapped, using the killer move Myriad Self. In an instant, large numbers of Strength Path Phantoms surged out and covered everyone's sight. These mysterious GU Immortals looked stunned. The 3rd rank 7 GU Immortal smiled and called out, "Let me." He raised his arms and puffed his cheeks, before fiercely blowing. Spiraling wind shot out of his mouth. Within the blink of an eye, the wind enlarged to an enormous tornado. The tornado was as high as 30 meters, its 2 ends were wide while the middle part was thinner, and was dark green in color. It spiraled frantically, sharp as blades as it engulfed all the Strength Path Phantoms in its path and easily ripped them into pieces. The size of the Myriad Self army sharply reduced by more than half in a short period of time. Fang Yuan quickly replenished the numbers. "Brother, I will lend you a hand." The 4th rank 7 GU Immortal spoke in a muffled voice. He pointed with his index finger, targeting the tornado. Instantaneously, a certain mysterious immortal killer move was activated. The tornado split into 2, before turning into 4. Within moments, 4 enormous tornadoes ravaged the battlefield. Their power had increased by 4 times. This, Fang Yuan's mind shook once again, feeling the situation was far from good. Since the battle started, he had suffered light injuries. Blood acid Immortal Gu was injured and was in a danger of dying if it was continued to be used. While at the enemy's side, that immemorial desolate beast had yet to move. Among the 9 Gu Immortals, 4 rank 7s had each activated an immortal killer move, which were either mysterious and awe-inspiring or profound and exquisite. Could it be this is not an illusion? As if he had fallen into an abyss, Fang Yuan's heart sank. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Wind whistled crazily. In a few short moments, the myriad self-army was going to be completely destroyed even if Fang Yuan continuously replenished them. The quality of the strength path phantoms was too low, their numbers could not be put to good use in front of rank 7 killer moves. Myriad Self, which had always been successful, now was in an awkward place, and was not able to change the situation for Fang Yuan. No, there is still an advantage of Myriad Self, it can at least expend the enemy's immortal essence. I have a strong point in this aspect. But there are a lot of enemies, while I am alone, this advantage is as good as nothing. What can I do? The difference in strength between the two sides was so great that any battle tactic looked useless. In fact, these mysterious Gu Immortals did not work together at once. Every time they made a move, they took turns. If this immortal level battlefield killer move was not entrapping him, perhaps Fang Yuan could make his getaway. Unfortunately, the enemy had already prepared amply. Fang Yuan also lacked space path methods, escaping itself was a problem, not to mention he still had to face 4 rank 7 and 5 rank 6 Gu Immortals, as well as that immemorial desolate beast. This was an extremely dangerous peril. This situation was simply the worst. Compared to his first life where he was besieged by righteous path Gu Immortals, this was innumerably more dangerous. After all, at that time, there had not been an immemorial desolate beast to control the situation. Fang Yuan probed these Gu Immortals, but regarding the immemorial desolate beast, he did not even have a thought of probing it. Fang Yuan was relying on continuously activating Myriad Self to survive in this worsening situation. One after the other, the Gu Immortals made moves, strength path phantoms were almost annihilated. The Myriad Self army, which had always until now been surging with overwhelming momentum, simply could not form a large scale. Am I going to die here today? An intense sensation of incoming death shrouded Fang Yuan's mind. Requesting for reinforcements would not work. Within this battlefield killer move, Fang Yuan could not even connect to Treasure Yellow Heaven. However, he had still not given up. His thoughts moved like lightning, and he suddenly remembered, no, I still have a chance of survival. This chance of survival was not Spring-Autumn Cicada. Spring-Autumn Cicada was filled with Heaven's Will. Heaven's Will was trying all methods possible to eradicate Fang Yuan. Using Spring-Autumn Cicada was courting death. This chance of survival was in the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle. If it was before Fang Yuan obtained He Fan's true inheritance, his death would be certain at this moment. But it was different now, he still had one hope left. The upper extreme Heavenly Eagle was also an immemorial desolate beast, it was just that it was only an infant currently with desolate beast level strength. However, He Fan's true inheritance naturally had time path immortal killer moves that could speed up the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle's aging and push it to grow in a short period of time. With this, Fang Yuan would have rank 8 battle strength. Coincidentally, the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle was also a space path immemorial desolate beast that could enter and exit Grotto Heavens and the immemorial 9 heavens. There was a huge chance it could pierce through this battlefield killer move. Persevere. I need to persevere until the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle reaches rank 8. When he thought of this, Fang Yuan immediately changed his battle tactics.